And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sarah, the Raging Tomato, here bringing to you live another Moderator Monday. This evening, I have with me Wick TV, Soy Pill, Who's Crunching, Admiral Gibbs, and the Misfit Patriot, all here to discuss the question: should Americans support Palestine having their own state? Wick, if you'd like to begin with your opening statement, please.
Certainly. Uh, the region of Palestine and Israel has been under almost constant conflict since even before the foundation of Israel back in the 1940s. Okay, America does not officially recognize the state of Palestine. However, I think that it should, and I'm going to give you an argument as to why. One of the reasons why so much horror has been enabled by Hamas and other terrorist organizations is because of the quasi stateless nature of many of the Palestinians. They are, again, uniquely susceptible to persuasion by bad actors because they lack a state of their own. And this creates a sense of desperation where they have no one really to turn to, no one really to go for. Sure, they have had quasi representative governments, the PLO, Hamas, but these have tended to be very poor representations for the people. Now, I want to make it clear that I do not support a Palestinian state under all circumstances. I think that work needs to be done to make sure that the proper Palestinian state is one that is going to bring more peace into the region. However, I think without a state, that peace is impossible in the region. I am here to advocate tonight for a two-state solution, and I think that is the best way forward and the only way forward that leads to lasting peace, not only for the Palestinian people, but for Israelis as a whole. And this benefits Americans because peace in the region, stability in the region, again, helps our interests. We no longer have to fund Israel's defense by giving them billions of dollars to help with the Iron Dome and things like that. If peace can come into the region more than it is now, right? If we can have normalization in the region between Israel and the states around it, including a future state of Palestine, it's going to help us be able to focus our eyes on other matters and our attention on other matters. And I think that is just a moral good for the Palestinian people to have their own state. And that's what I'm going to be arguing tonight, and that's what I'm here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Wick. And Soy to you, please.
Yeah, I first want to apologize to any highly informed people who may watch this. I am just a layman. I've read a few books on Israel Palestine, and I feel like I know less than I did after reading those or before reading those. There's just so much to learn. So I'm kind of coming at this, especially since it's last minute, as a layman perspective. So looking at the occupation of the Palestinian people, to my understanding, there's really no better alternative than statehood in the end. Otherwise, you have an inevitable, or excuse me, like a never-ending, infinite occupation of a people, which will never end well. It's all you're doing is continuing to oppress, relieve them and control relieve them of and control their resources, and just increase violence and death ad infinitum. And it doesn't seem to make sense to me that this is the way forward. I think the only two options, if you're going to change that, are expelling them completely from their country, which means sending 2 million minus all the ones that are already dead to other countries who either don't want to accept them or can't handle that many refugees right now, and will breed resentment. And these places also have complete, lack of controls over terrorism breeding compared to American occupations, or at least American oversight. Or you give them a state and allow them to develop and pursue their democratic interests the way that everyone else does. I think when you repress people like this, they go to the only options they have, and unfortunately right now that's Hamas for them. I don't want them that to be their only option, and I don't want them to have this like revengeful, violent nature. I want them to have autonomy. Now, there are other states that have democracies to some extent that still do violence, of course. Lebanon has Hezbollah. Hezbollah tries to bomb Israel. Iran tries to bomb Israel. But ultimately, just because there's the the opportunity for a state to do bad things does not mean that the peoples deserve a state. It doesn't mean that the peoples of Palestine deserve all the collateral damage because of whatever Hamas is doing. And if you're going to keep occupying them, or you're going to keep, ethnically cleansing them, you're just going to get more violence. And I just don't see any other path forward other than statehood. So yeah, that's my position on that. But we'll see where this goes. I'm curious.
Thank you, Soy Pill. And Admiral Gibbs, to you, sir.
All right, before I begin, I want to say all of my opinions are my own. I have been paid solely by Texas Ranch and oil money. No Crucible, no Soros, or Jew Gold has paid me. Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad to the Republic of Texas. Cheers, that. My fellow Americans, I come before you again today to once again point out the insidious nature of the Democratic Party. I've said it many, many times over the last couple of years that the Democratic Party is the true party of racism. That progressivism and democratic socialism are just intelligent rebranding by the Ku Klux Klan and the National Socialist Party. Now the perfidious Dems aren't even trying to hide this fact. We see examples of this in plain sight with Graham Planter, Richard Spencer, and counterpoints. One openly proclaims his love of socialism and communism all over Reddit and has a death head tattoo. Another openly leads one of the largest neo-Nazi groups and avidly campaigned for Kamala Harris and voting down ballot for the Dems. Finally, the last one openly proclaims he's racist while pushing for a center-left authoritarian state that embraces eugenics and advocating that Hispanics, and I directly quote what Counterpoint said to me, are subhumans. Who else is going to pick the cotton and clean the toilets? These are your modern Democrats, wishing to form a new form of slavery using illegal Hispanic voters and welfare trapping other minorities in order to ensure they stay in power. It should come as no surprise that the Democrats hate Israel and wish to see a Palestinian state. In fact, while the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Hajjin Abin al-Husani, collaborated with the Nazi Germany during World War II, many other Arab states like Iran continue to deny the Holocaust and push for the death of Israel via nuclear fire. These are states the Dems wishes to be close to. Are we seeing a pattern of National Socialism and racism yet? The dishonest Dems can argue for their high moral causes, but historically the Palestinians, dating back to the time before writing, never have had a state. Do we see the same moral outrage for our allies, the Kurds, who we left high and dry in Iraq from the Dem? No. We don't. Not even as they were gassed, oppressed, genocided, and sold into slavery by the various powers around them. No one has talked about the Kurds' historic claims to the region, despite suffering much more than the Palestinians ever have, when they've actually had their own country in the region historically, and their name, the
thank
Kurds,
you, Jack.
Kurdistan,
Yeah, oh brother, indeed.
from
What the
those
fuck
former
is
countries'
this?
name. The Dems don't care about this, though, as this is an inconvenient truth to them, and distracts from their hate of the Jews. They'll sit here and proclaim Zionism is evil while propping up the nationalistic causes of terrorist organizations like Hamas and the PLO. Has anybody noticed that none of the countries of Palestine around Palestine want to take in the Palestinians? Why could that be? Could it be because during Black September they tried to overthrow the Jordanian monarchy and started a civil war in Jordan? Could it be that many terrorists trace their roots back to Palestine and terrorist acts like the Munich attack or the October 7th? How about the heinous way in which Palestinians' chosen governments perform? The PLO was notoriously corrupt and hoarded resources, ruling more like gangsters than an actual government. How about Hamas? Well, they ripped up the piping from the water plants that the Israelis built for the community in order to turn them into missiles, shamelessly using their own people as shields, and then literally sexually assaulting many of their hostages to death. We could talk about the things the average population cheers for. They came out in the streets celebrating the horrendous atrocities perpetrated on October 7th like it was the second coming of Christ. This savagery and history of evil
I'm
leadership
curious if he's going to have a
doesn't show that
prescription
they
at the
deserve
end
a
of this,
state.
by the way.
Finally, my last and probably most controversial point is what's best for America. For better or worse, we've hitched our wagon to the success of Israel. Israel's basically destroyed one of our biggest enemies, Iran, in short order, while normalizing relations with other Arab countries in the region. Israel's moved into Syria to protect the Druze and other minorities in the region from a new racist regime with Ba'athist roots. Israel, despite what many of my opponents want you to believe, is a multi-ethnic nation with Arabs and Jews of many types living in harmony. They are a beacon of democracy in the region and a staunch ally of ours. What benefit would there be to help for us to help those people who choose barbarism repeatedly over a staunch ally? The answer is none. In conclusion, my fellow Americans, short of America annexing the region as part of the new American empire, the best option is to forgo a Palestinian state and give it all to Israel to do as they see fit. In the long term, it'll be better for everyone involved and reward those who work with the United States and its allies while disenfranchising those who work with our enemies. The Democrats, in their desperation to be relevant, don't actually care about the Palestinians, and their moralistic claims are just window dressing for the rampant hate of the Jews and their love of National Socialist policy. My fellow Americans, it is imperative that we continue to support our allies in the region and not give an inch to the demands of Palestinian statehood. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral Gibbs. And finally to you, Misfit Patriot.
I usually write an opening statement. I didn't have to this time because I've already done this debate 50 fucking times. This debate is stupid. It's retarded. It's been beaten into the fucking ground, right? And here's why this debate is stupid. It's not because I've done it so many times, okay? I don't have a pre-written opening statement. I have the fucking two-state solution proposals. There have been 11. Okay, let's go with the Peel Commission, 1937. Okay, rejected by the Arab leadership. The UN Partition Plan in 1947, rejected by the Arab Higher Committee. The post 1967 war proposals, right? Rejected. Well, actually, this was basis for future talks in the 1979 Camp David Accords. Okay, PLO, Palestinian, rejected. Oslo Accords, rejected. Camp David Summit, rejected by Arafat. Taba? Who gives a fuck? Rejected. Roadmap for Peace, 2003, rejected. Annapolis Conference, 2007, rejected. Joint understanding, no details signed. Want to be very clear here. Kerry parameters talks, 2013 and 2014, neither fully accepted. Trump plan. And by the way, when I said rejected every time before that, it was only rejected by Arabs/Palestinians. So 3 strikes, you're out. 11 strikes, get fucked. Okay. Why do Palestinians deserve a state? Well, maybe prior to 1937, they would have an argument. They don't have an argument anymore because every time they have been offered one, they have said, fuck you, we'll just kill Jews instead. All right. I am so tired of having this
I don't know,
debate
Chapin.
about whether or not people
As
who have
favors.
been offered the thing that you say they deserve the thing they have been offered. I'm done with it. Right? Palestine has never been a state. It is not now, nor has it ever been a country. Right? So when I hear
did
people
misspell
like Soy
uncensored.
in
I
his
just saw
opening
that.
statement say occupation, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about because Israel can't occupy Israel. Right? Palestine is a region in Israel. I am in Texas, in America. Okay. So if I'm in Texas, okay, that is a state in America. America can't occupy Texas. America is Texas. Israel has offered these people their own fucking country 11 times. And 11 times there has either been a rejection on one side. The vast majority has been a rejection on one side, or the deal couldn't go through. Now, there have been 5 peace deals that have been the most notable where they have literally just said, no, we want more. So who are the Palestinians, right? What are they? The League of Nations in 1920 got together and they said, hey, we're going to name this little area Mandatory Palestine. And for the next 28 years, these people claimed that they had a country when they didn't. Then Theodore Herzl puts together the Zionism, because the Jews got kicked out of 109 countries, not because they're Jews, not because they were the ones starting problems, because ever since the, death of Christ, they're just the world's punching bag. And I don't understand how any person can make an argument that these people who have already been persecuted during World War II, their population was basically cut in half, even more. I think it was like 60%, right? Are the problem, right? They're not. Here's the deal. Jordanians and Egyptians are what makes up Palestinians. They have 2 countries already. And if they want to either go to those countries and become
True,
what
JJ.
they
Also, the
already
reason all the
fucking
plans
are,
fell apart
great.
is very
If they want
relevant
to call
here.
themselves Palestinians, just like I called myself a Texan, great. They can live in Israel. That's it.
Thank you, Misfit. And as a kind reminder to the audience, we are going to get through the debate. Then we will read and respond to your kind super chats. And then, of course, everyone's favorite part, we will open up the panel. And if you have something to add into the conversation, you're more than welcome to come join. Gentlemen, I believe everyone is dual streaming as well. So please be sure to go over, check them out, like, subscribe, and share. I leave the floor open to you.
I have a quick response to Misfit because he did address me directly. So when I say occupation, obviously, you can debate the semantics as to whether or not Palestine is independent or not. Israel says it's all Israel or whatever. The point is that you have a people in a area that are completely unable to have any sort of self-determination. They can't leave or go in with their own,
Yeah, they can.
No, they can't. There's no airport, so their only way they can go in or
They
out are
they could have built an airport. They built tunnels. They built murder tunnels.
I don't believe Israel would allow them to build an airport in their land. I think the point is that
Israel
since
gave them
2000,
billions of
Hold on,
dollars. They
hold
could have
on.
built an airport.
So
what I'm trying to
finish your
say is
point.
that
I'll
you
let
have
you finish. I'll let you
right.
finish.
I'm not trying to say that they could have done this or that. I'm saying is you have a people that first of all is not directly one-to-one with the government. So we'll get to the negotiations that have fallen apart 11 or more times. But the idea that these people that are in this country who are living under some sort of oppression. Now people say open air prison. Some people don't like that comparison. I'll just avoid using that for the sake of saying you are not allowed to do and live freely as many other people are in other countries because of the way Israel's occupying them. And regardless of the justification for that, what inevitably happens when you do that to a place and a bunch of people is violence and revolt. And regardless of how bad I think that is, obviously I condemn Hamas. I'll say it 100 times if you need me to. I don't think that makes it a viable option to keep doing it and just hope to God that one day these people will just stop trying to revolt, stop trying to break out of Palestine, stop trying to get self-determination. So this endless let Israel do whatever they want, I think that was kind of the prescription that Gibbs said at the end there. I just don't think that's going to work out. And really quickly to address, and I'll let you jump in, Wick, but to address the idea that we've offered them a state 11 times, I really don't think that's the case. Well, hold on. Let me say just one of these examples, and I'm not saying this disproves all of your examples, but if you look at example the Oslo Accords, which fell apart after the assassination of was it the prime minister or the president? I actually forget which one they have of Israel. If you look at the actual Oslo Accords, there was kind of an explicit avoidance of mentioning Palestinian statehood. It was a deal that allowed them more autonomy, but Israel was specifically very careful not to give them a state in that one. And there's other arguments as to whether or not in 1947 why would they agree to give up so much of their land when really they think you deserve none of it. And you can go back and forth of hey, we offered this and you said no. But the point is that just because the governments haven't been able to make a deal does not mean that they somehow don't deserve a state, or that a state shouldn't inevitably be in the long run, especially because those people don't determine whether or not that deal goes forward. They are the civilians of Palestine.
Why does anyone deserve a state? Why, I'm talking anyone, any country in the world. Why do they deserve a state?
That's not the question at hand. We're not talking about whether they deserve it or not.
That's what he just said.
That's what I'm saying, Wick, to be fair.
Sure. But the overall argument, right, is whether or not Americans should support the forming of a Palestinian state. And I think these are fundamentally different questions.
Let Gibbs jump in, and then I'll retort.
Go ahead, Gibbs.
Well, yeah, so that's interesting, because I don't see any of this outrage for the Kurds, right? And I brought that up in my opening. I mean, you might have said something about it previously, Wick, but even then, I don't see you even pushing that as a hardcore agenda point of yours. I've never seen you make a thing, hey, let's get Kurdistan going. This is not a bash on you, but this is more of a bash on the Democratic Party as a whole. I don't see this outrage for the Kurds. The Kurds have suffered just as bad, if not worse. They actually have a claimed historic land, and I think Misfit Patriot here really hits the nail on the head when he says, why do they deserve a state? Well, I don't think any country deserves a state, right? But if you actually believe they deserve a state, then you don't believe in Urbo, because right now it should just be all of Israel, right? And you're just creating a new state where there was none, and there's never been, right? So, okay, if you believe in Urbo, then you don't like the idea of a new Palestinian state. And then when we look at this finally, in another way, I'm sitting here going, well, I don't think that this benefits America. Y'all made the argument that's going to make things better over there. I think maybe, just here's me out. We've already picked our dogs in this fight, and we should back those dogs, which seem to be Saudi Arabia and Israel, and then just let the figure that shit out of their own. Because every time we go to get involved, it turns into a goddamn quagmire. And I don't think the Palestinians have any reason to like us any more than anybody else. In fact, some of the people that have attacked our ships, our embassies, and our planes have been Palestinians.
Okay, let me expound. Wick, I'm going to let you jump right in. I just want to expound on this, and I'm going to actually kick it to you, Wick. Why would you say that any country, right, deserves a state when the way countries are created is pretty much one of three ways, right? Conquering, diplomacy, or purchase, right? So why does Palestine deserve a state? Please answer.
It's not about deserve. Again, the question at hand, the pertinent thing that we have to look at is, would Palestinian statehood be better or worse, not only for them, for Israel, and for us, than the conditions now? The question of deserve doesn't
Do you
factor
think
in it.
that
You answer the
they
question
have shown
directly.
a pattern of
No
behavior?
one
Hold on,
deserves a
hold
state.
on, hold on.
Just to answer your question directly, no one deserves a state. What does that
Okay.
even mean, deserve a state, right?
Okay, well, I was responding to Soy. My bad. So Soy
Sure,
said they
sure,
deserve a state.
Sure. Soy can make that argument. I don't know what argument he
Well,
wants to
so
make.
here's
But
my
here-
here's
well,
my
Well,
can
hold
if
on.
can
I
finish
think
my point.
let
If I could just finish my point real quick.
Go
My
ahead.
argument tonight is that what we're doing when it comes to Israel and Palestine, what Israel is doing, what Palestine is doing, what America is doing, what the international community is doing, none of it is working. What we need is something new. And
Okay.
yes, there are difficulties in getting a state for Palestinians. But one of the reasons that Hamas and other terrorist organizations, Qatar and all these other extremist organizations, have been able to use the Palestinians to strike at Israel is because they are in this kind of quasi-stateless like limbo where they don't have access to their own resources and government, and it creates this really where they are very susceptible to the types of predations where people like Hamas and others can use them for their
Do you think that
evil.
Britney Spears has shown a pattern of behavior as a responsible adult that should be able to take care of herself?
Look,
No, it's an honest question. Do you
I
believe that?
don't.
Do you
She's
believe that
done some
Britney
crazy
Spears?
shit, but I'm not a Britney Spears expert.
But
I
hold
only
on.
am
So
passably
she was
familiar
under
with her, so I don't know. I can't.
she was
answer
under a conservatorship, right? And everybody fought for Britney Spears to be independent, right? And Britney Spears became independent. They freed Britney Spears, right? Free Britney. And she started dancing in her fucking living room with knives and
Okay.
doing drugs. And she's
Based.
marrying people and
Based.
fucking like breaking up with them a week later, right?
Okay.
Now, hey,
yeah, unlike other celebrities, like
this is not a this is hold on.
I
this is-
also dance about the
I see where you're going with
this is
it,
not
Miss
a,
Vic.
this
Go
is
ahead.
not a this is not a one-to-one comparison. What I'm saying is, right, when you have what your argument is, which is will the world, will Israel, will everybody be better if Palestine has a state? My argument is, do you think that the people in Britney Spears' house are safer or in more danger now that she's free?
Well, wait, this is a very good analogy. In fact, I actually kind of agree with, because maybe we can find some common ground here. First of all, if you think the Palestinians right now is a stateless and letting as Israel do whatever they want entity are safer, absolutely not. They've had more deaths now than I think ever in history. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they died a lot more in the Nakba. But when you say a conservatorship, I think you would agree. Brittany might have deserved. I don't know if fully, but she probably needed a conservator, right? Like,
Yes.
right. So what I think maybe Wick would agree with this is, like, when we say that Palestinians deserve a state, independence and statehood and the ability to not have someone else control your resources, not have someone else control your travel, does not mean that you don't have any sort of oversight, right? So when I think of a statehood that maybe Americans would be supporting in Palestine, which is to let them have their own autonomy, let them travel freely, but perhaps it might look like something that was post World War II Japan or Germany, where we say, hey, but you can't have a military, and we have some sort of like say over how these things are, or with the Iran deal, where we say, hey, yeah, you can have nuclear facilities, but we're going to have third-party people come in and watch. That doesn't mean they don't have a state. That doesn't mean these civilians are oppressed, but it does mean that there's some sort of oversight to make sure that they're not, formed.
Hold on one second. Here's the flaw in the logic. I'm gonna give it back to you, Gibbs. I don't want to hijack the whole thing.
Oh, you're good.
But the flaw in your logic is, right, Britney Spears is still Britney Spears. So what you're talking about is a transfer of conservatorship from a different person that's overseeing Britney Spears to make sure she doesn't stab her fucking kids, right? So what I'm saying is, right, have the Palestinian people, have they displayed over the past 70 years a pattern of behavior of people that can take care of themselves, make good decisions, pick their own government, right? Have they done that? No, they haven't.
I think the problem there, Misfit, is that the worse it has gotten, is kind of almost directly proportional to how little freedoms they do have. Like
37,
the October
47, 68, 73. It's a pattern. It's a big pattern.
but I understand that there are reasons why Palestinian peoples might oppose certain, like, secessions of territories and all that. But what I'm saying is, the worse that you let Israel say, hey, we're going to control every aspect of your life, I think the greater resistance you're going to see, the more kind of October 7th violence you'll see, because they have no other option. There's no, hey, let's vote on the super nice people into power that are going to negotiate a little better. There's no, hey, you know what? I don't like this government, so I'm going to go migrate to a different place. It's complete and total control.
Egypt also occupied the area, and they also had resistance back then.
Yeah, I'm not saying no resistance will ever happen.
No, that's an important point. Let's look at Egypt. What's the difference between Egypt and Palestine? What's one of the major differences?
A fucking wall with razor wire.
Egypt has responded right in a way that Palestinians haven't. It's because Egypt has a state.
Egypt has a state because Egypt is Egypt. It's been there. It's already been a state.
Hold on.
Egypt has a state because Egypt is Egypt. Can you?
No, Egypt is in the fucking Bible, dude. Egypt has been there. It's pre-established. You're talking about establishing.
Egypt. Hold on. Let's give Gibbs his. Go ahead and let Gibbs.
I mean, I know that sounds dumb, like on the surface when you say, "Oh, Egypt has a state."
I'm sorry, everybody.
But like, even
you
under
have to
Rome,
be here for this.
It's like identified as its own section, like, right? It's like, oh, under Rome, this is Egypt. We identify it as Egypt because it's been in existence for thousands of years. They have a national identity. Palestine's never had that up until the 40s. Up until I think the Ottoman Empire, like
1920.
They were the Levant. Whoa, let's zoom it in. They were the Levant, and we're getting into zooming. I'll fix that in a second. But they were the Levant, right, in the region, and all these people identified it that way. And so now you're sitting here going, oh, they deserve this national thing. They don't deserve that. And like you're saying, oh, I didn't say that, but you're basically saying that, right? You're saying because, oh, all these things bad, but whenever it's everything Mr. Patriot said, every time they've had a chance to get their leadership, guess who got a Nobel Peace Prize? Arafat, somebody they basically kicked out of not the West Bank, but the other side, Gaza, because they go, oh, these are the PLO, too corrupt. They're too corrupt. They're basically gangsters. They kicked it out. And then what do? Instead of getting rid of the gangsters and putting some actual change there, hey, guess what they did? They elected Hamas, who's never let them have an election since then, and still enjoys to this day popular support despite committing atrocities left and right and tearing up their infrastructure to make bombs and using the people's human shields. Clearly, they can't be trusted at the act for themselves.
Hold on. The problem with trying to measure popular support in Palestine currently with Hamas is that if you don't support them, Hamas will kill you. So you better fucking say you support.
Well, whose fault
Hamas,
is that?
right?
You gave them that power
to get an accurate
How many millions of people live in Palestine?
Hold on, let
what
Wick
the
finish.
Palestinian people actually think. And to answer your point, right? Like the Egypt of 100, 200, 300 years ago looks remarkably different than the Egypt today and how it's governed.
But they can still trace their lineage.
Don't worry, first name, last name. Thank you for the 5. I will talk about this.
But the fact that it does have a state means that it has, and its people see it having.
Thank you, Fred Skull. 4 sausages, 1 tomato.
One of the things that Palestinians are desperate for is a future. And yes, I agree. They have been governed by real bad actors
that they elected
a real long time
that
have been a danger to Israel. But the problem is you keep wanting to do the same thing and you are expecting a different result. And what I am advocating for and arguing for tonight is that we do something that's different than what we have been doing for the last 80 years.
You keep saying they're doing it. They elected Hamas, right? They elected Yasser Arafat.
Again, you got to look at this. Again, you have a population of millions, like you pointed out, and to say, first of all, let's say like 90% of them.
That's the answer.
90% of it's 2 million, right? Let's say 90% of them voted for Hamas. So first of all, like to Wick's point about whether or not they need to support them, obviously I agree. There is some sort of weird coercion there where it's kind of hard to say you don't support Hamas. But let's just say they all did. It makes perfect sense for the people to turn to some sort of violent repression against the violence that they're facing, and to say that, well, Egypt is Egypt because Egypt's always been there because of the Bible. Like Egypt in the Bible times doesn't even
Well, not just the
closely resemble Egypt now or
Hold on.
Egypt, you know,
But it's still
20
same.
years ago.
Hold on,
And
Scotty,
the idea that like because Palestine was only an area that they you know, declared to be Palestine in like the Ottoman times, which I'm not even sure if that's true. They might have called it that before that. Doesn't matter as to whether or not people, when I say deserve, because you keep coming back to this, deserve a state. It's not like, oh, did you earn it? Oh, here's your brownie points for the revolution,
Well, there's
Americans.
three ways-
The
there's three ways to
idea
make a
is
modern
that
nation.
people
Hold on.
always are going to want to make their own decisions, and if you don't let them and you oppress them and you keep them locked up and you don't let them control their own resources, they're going to revolt, and you need inevitably to let these people do something that doesn't make them want to violently lash back.
Here's what you're doing. You're conflating the British in the American Revolution to the people, right, that is in the current government. So all right, as an American, let's say we Americans elected somebody for president. That person became an authoritarian dictator. In fact, a terrorist regime.
Let's say that's
like-
happening.
No. You don't know. You don't know
It
shit
already
about.
happened
You don't
in
know
Biden.
shit about authoritarianism in America because it's never fucking existed.
Hmm.
All right. If our current government moved into Mexico, slaughtered 1,200 people, and I'm using a 1-to-1 comparison, not a fucking relative, right? I'm talking about if we did what Hamas did. Okay, you're saying that those people who are oppressed should have done something because they saw that they were, you know, under this type of authoritarian rule. What if their own government, right? What if our own government did what Hamas did? Do you think that we would have a duty, a right, in fact, an obligation to overthrow our own government, not Mexico's government? Not even if we thought Mexico was being cunts, right? If we videotaped ourselves raping women, cutting people's heads off, burning old ladies,
Killing
right?
a million Iraqis, Abu Ghraib.
Do you, no.
What if we did that?
Just use a simple 1-to-1 comparison of exactly what Hamas did, right? If the American government that we elected did that and we didn't uprise, nobody should support us. We deserve nothing from the rest of the world if we don't fight
this
back.
isn't a 1-to-1. The problem with your analogy here is it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. The fact that like
It's way
we
more,
as
dude.
American citizens have abilities and rights, gun ownership and things like that, that the
I don't
Palestinian
give a
people
fuck,
under
dude.
Hamas does not.
No, the
Again,
Palestinians
our
have
ability-
hold on,
Palestinians
let-
have
hold on, really
outnumbered
let Wick
Hamas
finish,
nationwide.
hold
let
on.
Wick
Our
finish.
ability
Go ahead.
to affect change in our government is fundamentally different under Hamas the Palestinians have, and to act as if they have this like the same ability as an American would have in order to seek redress from their government is just faulty. Like, do they have a moral duty
Statistically.
to resist their government? You could even argue that.
Yeah, I'm a
But
little confused by the
problem
analogy, Wick,
is,
too,
at
because
the end of
like
the day,
he says,
people are-
well, Wick, he's
Hold
like,
on, hold on, let Wick
Okay,
land
go
his
ahead,
plane.
sorry.
He's been very gentle with everyone.
okay,
Go
fair
ahead,
enough.
Wick. Finish it.
I can be rough. Don't worry.
He
Okay.
can. he
No,
can.
Maybe.
here we go. But the fundamental issue at hand is that, again, if we are to change their behavior, I don't care about what is just or deserved. I care in a very pragmatic sense about what will work and what won't work. And it's
Mhm.
clear that your method is not working.
What do you mean? Our method hasn't been tried yet. Trump's plan is about, I don't know, 3 weeks in. But hold on, let's go back to what
And
you
already they're still
hold on,
killing each other, man.
Yeah, no. Now they're killing each other. They're not killing Jews anymore, right?
No, hold on.
Now you have
Israel
the
bombing them.
now you have the Dagmoosh or whatever the fuck it's called, right? Which is more Palestinians, other
Thank
terrorist
you, first name, last
factions
name.
who
Slaves
are
didn't
now
lead them to
going after
authoritarianism.
Hamas because they
True,
showed
dude.
weakness by capitulating and giving the hostages back. That's
Right, and
how
you're
it
making the
works
argument
over
that
there.
those people should try to revolt, and they have a
No, what I'm making
responsibility
the
to.
argument is if that's their reaction to a peace deal, they don't deserve a fucking country.
Yeah,
right?
hold on, Misfit. I can't see how you're not seeing that these are not the same groups of people. You
They are-
literally wait, hold on. You're literally describing the Hamas government executing people they see as collaborators with Israel or the enemy, and you're telling me that those people don't deserve self-determination, who have, I don't know if those people specifically that are being killed have done anything wrong, but are clearly not aligned with and don't support Hamas and are being
Yeah.
killed by them. And the argument that The only thing that they should do, their moral responsibility, is to revolt against Hamas when clearly that will get them killed. And if they don't do that, they don't deserve autonomy. Just doesn't really ring true to me. And it especially doesn't make sense to me when you use this America analogy, because we did go in Iraq and kill hundreds of thousands of civilians, and half the country supported it. They did not revolt. So like I don't.
Today,
Hold
we've
on.
been
Don't
bombing
buildings.
Venezuelan fishing boats. That's
Fishing?
What
Oh.
America's doing
What are they
today.
fishing for? Cocaine?
Full
You
of
don't
cocaine,
know that.
brother?
Give
Like,
me any proof.
It's already been
Give me
confirmed.
1
Literally,
ounce of evidence.
I will show you a
can
video
quick,
where the
quick, you
cocaine
can just
Hold on,
Google
hold
countries around there have confirmed that they got like coke out of the water from the boats they blow up. Several countries have now.
When
Like,
the
this is
DO
not like,
when
hold on, what do you said? Give you any
Hold
proof?
on.
There's proof. Just Google that.
when they
But hold on,
had-
Hold
moving
on,
on.
let Gibbs
Oh,
finish. He was
Oh, let me
going.
just jump in here. I'm sitting here. Like I see the super chats going right, and I don't know if they're exact accurate, but I know that the region has been like named a whole bunch of stuff, like Greater Judea. We've had the Levant, other different empires, and we mentioned Egypt, right? And Soy Bill like object is saying modern Egypt's not the same as whatever. Well, let's check this out. What country is considered to have the longest continuous history in the world? Oh, China. Would you say communist China is remotely the same as, I don't know, the Qin dynasty? Fuck no, it's not remotely the same at all. So it's still the same continuous country. They still have the same national identity. Egypt, same thing. They still have a national identity. Palestine's never had an identity. And you look at the earliest
JJ, and they also want to address any of
Palestinian
the
nationalism.
questions
It
I'm asking,
happens
which
under
I
the
think are
Ottoman
pretty
Empire,
reasonable.
with rich Palestinians basically being corrupt and going, let's buy a region. That's what happened, right? That's not like any sort of actual claim to the land. Now, when we're sitting here talking about what you're talking about, oh, Hamas, well, okay, you said there's 2 million people. I don't know if that's true. I know there's more than one. But let's just run with the 2 million number. There's the most fighters Hamas has at any given time that we've estimated. It's like what, 43 to 48,000? Yeah, right. Okay, you can get 2 million people with the body heat and kill all of Hamas, right? I don't want to hear they need the guns. And when you sit here talking about the guns, let's look at Texas. I'll use that as an example. I brought it up, Goliad and the Alamo. We used way less guns to be way bigger of a force and got the job fucking done.
Wait, what happened at the Alamo?
We lost, but we killed enough of them that we could beat them at San Jacinto.
Oh, we beat them a week later, dude.
And then, hold on, I'm not. Well,
Let's not act
I
like
got
the
one more.
guns
Hold
of
on. When you're
today are the
sitting,
same as the
when you're
guns
sitting
of-
here saying these things about the guns and all this shit, it's pretty clear to me they have no problem getting the guns. When he just mentioned the Dog Moosh being another group that's got guns and are fighting, and it's like, oh, okay, these guys are so bad. Well, hey, I guess they were creative. They're the rednecks of the Arab world. They took water plants and turned them into fucking missiles. Okay, cool. So it's clearly they don't have a problem figuring out a way to kill everybody. So hey, I don't think that's the reason. I think that what you're trying to say is you don't respect the Palestinians, and you think they have a big case of Poseidon, and you need a Daddy America to come save them. And guess what? I'm saying time for Daddy America to let the people over there kill each other. That's what I'm saying, and let them do it themselves and figure it out, because it's not our fucking problem no more.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. What with we, the word "we" that Wick keeps using, we, right? We,
Yes, the American people.
We, right? We need to do this. Okay, we never needed to do this. Okay, what we needed, what we needed to do was back up our ally by selling them weapons, which is what we did. Right? That's what we do with our ally, Israel. Right? Palestine is not an ally.
Do we have a duty to keep our allies safe?
What do we have a duty to keep our allies safe? No, we don't. We do not have it. We do not have a duty.
Allies be more safe.
We do not have a duty to keep anyone safe but America.
Not even our allies.
No, there is no duty.
Well, even if we like signed an agreement that said we have to, and it's literally an obligation under like.
Well, I mean, every government changes every 4 years. So if Bill Clinton says that we got to keep Ukraine safe, right, and then a new president comes in, we don't have to keep Ukraine safe, right? So it's something like that, right? Do we have?
That's not how that works.
Can one administration create a duty for the entire country to another nation that lasts a long time?
That's how it works. Because if it doesn't, then no country will ever work with you if they know that 4 years later you're not going to be able to uphold any agreements. Yeah,
and this is also why traditionally we've
hold on, but when did the United States
foreign policy that much? Our foreign policy leaders, experts, and such like that have tended to go through several administrations, right, in order to have this continuity of policy. That's generally been the case in American history.
But here's the deal, right? Earlier, you were talking about how the Dog Moosh is like, oh well, these people are clearly they're resisting, blah blah blah. Do you have any idea what happens during these regime changes or weakness that's shown in a regime when these other factions come out and start, like the Assad regime. You remember when Assad fucked off to Russia, and because a bunch of other terrorists were like fucking even worse, right? This is what happens throughout history in the Middle East, right? And look, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying that the vast majority of people in these Sharia practicing nations, in these Muslim nations, right? They don't look at things the same as you and me. They don't look at diplomacy as, hey, let's have a conversation. They look at it as, hey, let's kill everybody. And then we get to stand right there and we get to hoard the food. We get to take over the trucks. So when you see the Dagmush, right, going after Hamas because they made a peace deal that Donald Trump put together, that doesn't mean Dagmush good guy. That means Hamas 2.0 trying to make Hamas 1.0 no more Hamas, right? And then we would just be talking about the Dagmush.
Again, this is why a peace deal alone is insufficient. A peace deal has to be the start.
But hold on, Wick. You just were saying, okay, all right, Soy and you just argue we should support our allies. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just take this to its form.
Hold on. Do you disagree with that? Just on the starting point.
I will say that.
I
would say most of the time. Well, I would say most of the time, yes. I mean, there are situations where I might disagree. Okay, but like in situations.
But as a rule, as a general
general rule, sure. But then that's going to lead into my next point. Is if you remember, we just talked about Iraq. There was one group in Iraq that really was happy America came to town, and that was the Kurds. And they acted as our translators. They've sat here and acted like our agents in Syria. We backed them. But however, we left them to die whenever we pulled out. And
that is a shame on our country.
It's a shame. Hold on. Just let me hear me out. And I've sat here and you've argued strategically it would be better for the region to give the Palestinians a state. Well, I disagree. I think it would make more chaos, but that's fine. Let's just take your idea for what it's worth and say that's true. Okay, I don't hear you or anybody advocating that we give the Kurds their historical land, which they actually have a claim to, while they've been just as oppressed in greater numbers than the Palestinians ever have.
Wait,
they've been killed in much larger numbers.
Wait, Gibbs. Wait, I have to ask. Well, I have to ask before you move on. No, I have to ask this.
Hold on. Let Gibbs finish.
But I just think, well, he's saying something that's not true. I need to ask about it. Like, do Kurds not have their own like land in Iraq that is like they have their own airport and they have their own like kind of elections? Yeah, like.
Unlike that, they've had to fight tooth and nail, and they've gotten somewhat to their own extent. However, no, they still don't have full rights compared, and they've tried to break away several times, even recently. And it's not been allowed because guess why? It would destabilize the region with our other allies, Turkey, and all these other people, and even some of our enemies like Iran. And all of a sudden, we don't have a problem fucking the Kurds over, and y'all, the Dems, are totally silent about it. But hey, guess what? When it's convenient to hate Israel, y'all sure are quick to jump on the Palestinian side.
Well, no, Gibbs, the
idea Palestinians tonight is because that's the prompt. If the prompt was Kurdistan and the Kurds, we would be talking about the Kurds.
The fucking prompt. I have a fucking problem with you.
Palestinians.
And to be fair, the Democrats have criticized the pulling out and the abandoning of the Kurds for the last like 10 years. Well, not 10 years. It happened within 10 years.
Erdogan or whatever his name is in Turkey multiple times.
Erdogan, they did back Erdogan, but again, like if you were to bring all of these facts to me and say, hey, like, do you think that not letting the Kurds have their own state is going to cause more unrest? And like, I think I have a friend actually who lives there, and she was showing me like how they're about to go to war when the Iran stuff started. Yeah, I do think that maybe giving them a state could alleviate some of the pressure and make some of the civilian sentiment not so adamantly anti everyone else who's controlling their entire lives. Yeah, if that was the case. Again, I'm not super informed about Kurdistan, but this is, I guess this is a whataboutism where it's like, yeah, I would be consistent in the same case. I would want them to have a state. I do think that would help.
Overall stance is, so like,
is it?
I'm not the Democratic Party. I'm Wick.
Hold on, but you are the representatives for him tonight. So I mean, you
sure. Okay, well, and the conclusion to that would be obviously Admiral Gibbs that we would say the Democrats should support a Kurdistan state. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then why don't they? So if they're not doing it now, why
I don't know. I'm not informed about it.
Doing it for our ally, why should we take the claim seriously?
Let me hold on. Let me take this moment to just reset the panel. We were doing really awesome on the back and forths. Let's get back to that and less of the chiming in between each other's sentences. Gibbs, I'm going to kick it back to you and then take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just asking the last question here, like to y'all, really, like why, if you're going to say, you said y'all made the prompt and it's Palestine, right? Why would we take any claim from you, the Dems saying, hey, we want Palestine for any real reason, seriously, whenever y'all's party openly has supported basically the oppression of the Kurds with backing the Edgerton on all sorts of shit. Trump has not done that. Trump called them out on all sorts of stuff. And so when you're sitting here going, hey, we should back Palestine, and I'm going, hey, they're not even our ally, and you're sitting here saying we should support our allies, hey, we're not going to support the Kurds, seems pretty sus, bro.
If you are under the impression, just real quick, if you are under the impression that I support every single policy or every single decision that the Democratic leadership has made in the last 20 years, you are sorely mistaken. I have criticized my party, the Democratic Party, on several occasions, right? Recently, and in perpetuity to the past when it comes to certain styles of play that the Democrats have. I find myself to be a Democrat because of the positions I hold. I do not hold the positions I held because I'm a Democrat. There's a big difference there. So when we talk about, right, this idea of Kurdistan, I'd be happy to research it.
Spoilers, guys.
Let's move off.
But right now, I'm talking tonight about Palestine.
Okay. And wait, hold on real quick, because I did Google it, and like Chuck Schumer and other prominent Democrats have supported an independent Kurdistan, so I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, you just aren't.
Hold on. Wick, did you have anything else you were finishing in that moment?
Only
your own
this,
partner cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, only this, and I'll be very brief. Is that, again, I think that evidence points that the peace deals and all the half measures that we've taken with Palestine and Israel have not been good for Palestine, and it has not been good for Israel. It led to October 7th.
Yes, that's also a good point.
Right? And we need a different strategy and a different way of doing things.
Okay, can I jump in now? First of all, I'm gonna just completely unrelated side note. Listen, you fucking nerds in the chat, you can shut up. Because honestly, I'm gonna find your mom. I'm gonna take her to Red Lobster. We're gonna share some cheddar biscuits, and then I'm gonna give her sweet loving. All right. Next. Okay. So, Wick, what you're saying is that there's this, like, it's not working. Okay.
Yeah.
The peace deal has been in effect for a few weeks now, a couple weeks. It's working, right? They're not killing each other, right?
The ceasefire's been broken.
The ceasefire, hold on, let me finish, right? But has there been an active war where both sides are in the same zone since the peace deal was enacted? No.
That's right? Very specific criteria for whether or not they're killing each other.
Please let him finish.
There's no Israeli officers past the yellow zone, right, in that region, killing any Hamas, Palestinians, anybody, and there's no Palestinians past the yellow region killing any Israelis. That's not happening. When you say the ceasefire has been broken, you're referring to news headlines where a freaking bottle rocket came over the yellow line, and they talk about it like it's the worst thing ever.
Or Israel's bombing them. I mean, what do you mean?
Let him finish.
They're not bombing the region that was agreed to in the peace deal. They're bombing other regions because there's a war on three fronts. Now, what I'm saying is the outline, the framework of phase one of the peace deal is working in the framework of the peace deal, right? This is a very complex issue, and so far it's working. Secondly, right, long term, think about this, right? You're talking about it's not working, so try something new. The something new that was just implemented by Trump, and that's probably why you hate it, hasn't been actually tested yet. And you're already saying it's not working. That's like literally saying, all right, I just put a cake in the oven and it's not done yet, so the cake is obviously not going to get made, right? Let it fucking bake, all right? Like, leave it alone for a minute and wait. Now, here's why I think the peace deal will work, because Donald Trump is not having the United States of America and Israel police this thing, right? They're having the Abrahamic Accord following partners, other regions, right? Kind of just like, negotiate this. Like they're kind of proxies. So let's say, and I know that, we can all be negative and say, oh, that's not going to happen, but let's just say it does, right? Let's say this whole thing fucking works out. Let's say the other Arab nations, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and I want to say Saudi Arabia, right? Let's say all those nations come in there and they go, look, this is going well, right? Yeah, sure, you and the Dagmoosh are kicking the shit out of each other, but whatever, right? But everything's going well. Let's start to clean up Gaza. Let's start building in Gaza. Let's actually rebuild Gaza, right? And sure, the Palestinians don't get their own country, right? But it does keep them at bay. And then let's say the Abrahamic,
Land it.
let's say the Abrahamic
There are pills to
people.
help you finish
Hold
if
on.
you need, right?
Let me say the Abrahamic people start building property in that region. Now, anytime that there's a threat to that region, it's not Israel's land, it's not Palestine's land, it's the surrounding region. So they're going to have an incentive not to do it.
Soy, I wanted to hand it back to you since you were trying to get something in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I got kind of lost in the hypothetical. The idea that the ceasefire is working
the plan.
because the ceasefire is working because, yeah, Israel's blowing up parts of Gaza, but not the parts that they weren't supposed to. I mean, they're literally saying we'll return to the ceasefire after strikes. Like, you can look up this is happening. It's like, oh, it's just headlines. It's like, that's what they're
Hold
doing.
on.
They're violating the ceasefire. So
They're
if you're
not.
saying. If
Hold
you're
on.
saying that it's not working or it is working, yeah, I agree. This could potentially come to a place where there is less violence in the region. Obviously, that's a possibility. My understanding of the history of this place is that no, the people whose families have just been annihilated for the past couple of years and have been occupied for more than that are not going to suddenly be like, well, I'm totally fine with this because now some other country is determining how I can and cannot live my life. I'll forget about all the atrocities that have been done to me. I think this is just going to lead to more violence, and I think one of the only ways to get out of that is to let people have the sort of self-determination that I think comes with the statehood, and I just don't see that happening under the current your Twizzlers are cracking in the mic, by the way.
Yeah, I
Mister,
was gonna
think.
say
Or
I
maybe
wanted
that's
to wait
Gibbs.
till Soy finished, but yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like, again,
If you want to be taken seriously, stop using the word occupied, because I already explained to you how retarded that is.
what do you mean
But
by
look,
it's
look,
not occupied?
In
to be
this,
fair?
let's go with the plan. Let's go with this plan, right? That Trump has proposed, and let's
Abrahamic
say it
plan.
does work. And I hope it does. Like, honestly, I would.
And it's
I
not a
would give
hypothetical,
Trump-
it's just the proposed plan. I'm just
Sure.
telling you.
But I would give Trump all the credit in the world if he did bring priests to the region. Beautiful. I'd still not vote for him for other reasons, but I will give him kudos for that.
Fair.
However, okay, let's say it does work. Do Palestinians get a state then?
No, they don't
No?
get a state.
Do
Why do
Palestinians
they-
get to vote in their Israeli elections?
No, they get to vote in their
No.
own election.
In their own election, but
It's
they
like
don't
a
have a
state.
state.
It's like, hold on, region, right? So they get a region in Israel because they've been offered a state, like I told you in my opening, 11 fucking times, right? They don't get it at this point. No, I'm sorry, they don't.
They
Maybe
don't get
down
it
the
in
road, maybe
perpetuity forever
under
and
this-
ever, because
under
their
this peace plan
corrupt government and leadership
that
didn't
they
want
voted for.
to agree to the deals that were offered them.
Look, here's the deal, Wick, okay? If
Crazy.
you are offered something over and over and over again, and you keep slapping it out of the person's hand that's offering it to you, they'll stop offering it to you.
Well,
Under your
again, wait.
analogy, though, it isn't them specifically, because most of the people in Palestine are very, very young. A lot of these offers came to their
Well,
parents,
why is
or their
that?
grandparents, or their grandparents,
Okay.
right? They weren't the ones that had the opportunity to reject or accept them. So what you're actually doing is punishing them for the sins of their fathers.
I'm not doing
I find that
anything.
fundamentally immoral.
It's not saying
Well, hold
you. It's
on.
the proverbial you, and also
Two-
you still haven't addressed because you keep coming back to this. Like this is the one I do know about. The Oslo Accords did not say that they would create a Palestinian state, like explicitly. So like I
I
don't know
told
why
you
you keep
that.
saying that they do.
No.
Yeah, I think
told
Gibbs.
you there
Oh,
were
sorry. I
five-
was gonna say I thought Gibbs wanted to chime in there,
He
but
could-
I'll.
I would do want to chime in, but you could go ahead and say your
I
thing
said
over
there
here.
were. I said there were the five. I said there were the five big ones under the Oslo Accords. I said that there was no actual concessions in that one. I said they were rejected 5 times out of 11 deals, and out of 11 deals, 6 of them. Well, actually, technically 5 of them, because in that 11 is included the current one. All right, but five of them were rejected by the Arabs. 5 of them didn't come to any agreement, and 5 of them were just in talks, and the Oslo Accords were one of those. However, right, out of the 5 deals that were negotiated to the point where the only thing that had to happen was the Palestinians or the Arabs, depending on the time, was to say, yes, we will stop killing Jews, they would have had a country. And they don't have a country
Thanks, Trash
because
Dan. I hope
they
it
said
doesn't happen.
no. Dude, it's like if you keep giving somebody this opportunity to have your own country and you go, it's not good enough, right? Well, then eventually somebody's going to go, okay, no country for you then.
Right. Again,
I-
Misfit, I understand that you're saying there's certain, like, let's take the 1947, which is like very clearly this was just a rejection of what would have been a Palestinian state. And the
And they
idea, yeah, like the idea that, okay, so they didn't accept it for various reasons, one of them being that it's like, hey, you're giving up all this territory that was already ours. That might be a valid reason, it might not be. But then to say, well, for any reason that the government or whoever was elected at the time made a decision not to accept it, you don't deserve autonomy. You deserve to have people determine your resources and your life and whether or not you can travel, because otherwise, these people in power are never going to be happy, and maybe you won't be happy. Like, this doesn't really follow, and that's why we're saying, like, yeah, this is collective punishment of people that don't have self-determination and can't even decide whether
they do. They have self-determination in Jordan. They have self-determination in Egypt. They have
These are states.
self-determination in Syria. They have
Yeah.
self-determination in
But-
all these other places that they're actually
people-
from.
The people who
But Soy-
Syria, Jordan, and Egypt won't let in are not given self-determination by Israel.
Why they let them in? Okay, a couple questions. Okay, and this is important here, right? You said you said they're
Hold on, can
mainly
you
young.
acknowledge
Well,
that's true?
What
I
do you
will
mean?
acknowledge. Yeah. No, hold on. What is your question, King?
No, it's not a
They
question.
won't be let
it's a
in. Oh,
statement.
they
Can you
won't be let in.
acknowledge it's
Why
true?
aren't do we acknowledge they don't get let in? Yeah, I will acknowledge Egypt doesn't let them in. Yeah, and there's a reason for that, and that's what I'm about
No,
to go
not
into.
Egypt doesn't let the Palestinians that are currently not let in to Egypt, Jordan, Syria, all these other countries do not have currently self-determination. That Israel does not
Well,
let
okay,
them
why?
have
Hold
self-determination.
on. Why is that though?
No,
Why- this is-
Egypt's
hold on,
Egypt's
it's-
not letting them in.
no,
Syria's
yeah,
not
Egypt
letting them
Also,
in.
Hold on.
doesn't let them have self-determination. I agree.
Hold on.
But
But
can we
Wick,
acknowledge that that's
why?
the case
Okay,
for
but hold on.
Israel?
Let's go through a couple things y'all made your claims made. First, let's talk about they're all very young. God damn it, it's doing it again, right? Why are they all so young? Well, it's because they've all died. They've all fought and died after choosing their government, which is some evil terrorist organization. They've done it several times now, and they fought battles they knew they couldn't win. They fought bad leadership. This doesn't bode well for their future, right? And then you sit here and you go, hey, all right, why are they sitting here going now? They don't have a self-determination. Well, it's because they have ties in Egypt to the Muslim Brotherhood. And guess what? Egypt has been rounding up
see
the
you,
Muslim Brotherhood and killing all of them. All right. So when you're sitting here going, hey, maybe Egypt doesn't want to let more Muslim Brotherhood terrorists or associated terrorists come in. Of course, they're not going to let them do that. That would be stupid of Egypt's part, right?
The reason
Hold
why the
on.
Muslim
So
Brotherhood and
why
these
don't the
other
Jordans- why don't the
organizations
Jordanians-
can take
hold on, you take this
Palestinians
out of context.
and make them
Take
into
this out of
extremists is because
context, Rick.
Palestinians don't have a
But
state.
Rick,
The
but Rick,
stateless
why-
are very
why-
easy and
hold on,
susceptible
hold on,
to
Rick.
be
You
predated
keep
upon
saying this,
by
but
these
you're ignoring
organizations.
History. You're ignoring history. Why doesn't Jordan let him in? Because
Hold on,
Jordan
I'm
let
not
in
ignoring
millions of
history.
Well,
I'm
Jordan let in millions of them.
following
And what
history.
happened? They tried to overthrow the monarchy and created a civil war. They've done the same thing in Syria, which is what Assad was doing. He's cracked down on them. And guess what? We're seeing in Lebanon. Guess what? Right after they lost in Jordan, what did they do? They moved to Lebanon and they started another civil war there. Every single fucking time they've done this, right? And so you go, why aren't they letting them in? They don't have the right to self-determination. No, they do have the right to self-determination. They've had their little area that they somewhat control. Whether or not they think it's properly controlled enough to their liking is a whole different question. But every time they get a chance, what do? They input a terrorist group that's got insane values or are basically gangsters in power, and then they go and kill these people. And you go, oh, well, this time it'll be different. No, it won't,
Again.
because the only adults left are the leadership of these terrorists.
It won't be
they're
different
just
unless you
brainwashing these
do it
kids.
differently. It won't
Oh
be
my
differently.
God.
Hey,
It won't be
Wick.
different unless you do it differently. And one of the
Wick.
things we need to do differently is to promote a state that they have, because you are correct. They are getting these corrupt quasi-governmental organizations that run them, but this is from bad actors in
Wick.
Qatar, I should say, Qatar, Iran, other hotbeds, right? Hotbeds of terrorist activity that are funneling in resources to promote these things.
Wick.
And they are susceptible to it because, in part, they are a stateless people.
Wick, do you think that the people in Venezuela and Cuba are living a good life? Do you think that they are happy people that are free people? Do you think
In
that that's
Venezuela, probably not. They're
okay?
governed by
Correct.
Maduro, which is
Correct.
that guy.
Correct. Right.
is the argument
Hey-
that people can live in a state and the state might
No,
not
no, no.
be good,
Let me-
because
if you- if you
obviously
let me-
this is
if you
true.
let me-
Let him finish.
If you let me finish my argument, I can
Hmm.
tell you the argument instead of you asking about the argument before I finish the argument.
Sure.
So the people they have self-determination because they are a state and they elected a government that is oppressing them. Okay, this is the argument I'm making. You're asking whether or not the Palestinian people, who have shown a pattern of behavior of electing bad actors as their leaders deserve self-determination. And I'm making the comparison to Venezuela or Cuba,
Right.
Where
Misfit,
these
do you think
people,
that Venezuelans would be more likely to support Venezuelan terrorism if instead of their own state oppressing them or if whatever is happening is because of like who they elected, America was coming in, which we might do, and do a regime change and say, we're controlling all of your resources, we're controlling your day-to-day life, we're controlling your travel, and any and all forms of expression against that are the only like valid way they see to express opposition to that is violence against America. Yeah, that would be bad. And I would say at least let the Venezuelans, sit in their own like whatever mess they made, but don't have some other
you're
government.
creating a false dichotomy. Look,
Well, I'm making your analogy one to one. You're saying
no, you're not. You're changing the analogy, right? To make it something else. You're making it the situation in in some hypothetical world where Israel is intentionally oppressing a people group, right? Where they're not. They're trying to protect themselves.
Whoa. You don't think that Israel is intentionally? You can say it's justified, and there are conditions where
If Mexico was firing 5,000 fucking rockets into America,
Okay.
America would oppress Mexico.
Sure,
all right?
but
That's
what
I'm
you are
saying.
arguing here is that there is justified oppression,
Hopefully
not
more
that
than
there's
oppressed.
no oppression.
Sure, I can argue that the actions of Israel are oppressive in a self-defense. Like, and look, the person who tries to beat me up that gets the shit kicked out of them will say that guy that fucking beat me up is oppressing me.
would you starve his family to death
That's
too?
not true, right? Like, look, the only people that are starving Palestinians are the people ruling over Palestinians, and that's not Israel.
It's not the
right?
people controlling the amount of food that goes in and out of Palestine.
Well, hold on.
actually,
It's
a good
funny.
point,
It's
Joy,
funny.
because
It's
what
funny you
happened
say
was
that.
one
Hold
because
on,
of
you're
their
both
perspective.
going. You're both going.
Well,
Which one
no,
of
no,
you wants to
Misfit's
take
absolutely
it?
right. Misfit's
Gibbs can
absolutely
take it.
right. You brought up the tunnels earlier, and Soypill just goes, well, who's starving them? Well, that's interesting. Why did Hamas get put in power? It was literally because the PLO in Gaza, or later the PLA, they decided, hey, we're going to build these tunnels. They're smuggling tunnels. They were gangsters. They hoarded the food. They rode around acting like they were Capone. The people that were living there at the bottom level, they didn't get nothing. They were fucked. And guess what? They go, you know what? Maybe the religious terrorists are going to be better than fucking, I don't know, the Al Capone of the Middle East, right? So they put these guys in power. So they chose one evil fucker to an even more evil fucker, and they have the option to choose none of the above. Right? We've already talked about how all these little groups got guns from everywhere. They could have armed revolution and fought their way and got a nice thing. They could have pulled a Gandhi and maybe done some sit-ins and got Israel to give them all this other stuff. The way that it's amazing that Yasser Arafat got a peace prize.
Yeah, what if they did like a march
stuff.
of return to like the fence and then got sniped through their kneecaps like a bunch of times? What if they did that?
I mean, what if all the people there also cheered as they literally have videos of women being SA'd to death came back? Oh, I mean, what else? I mean, you're sitting here acting like there's not 6,000 years of bad blood, and it's just going to go away peacefully with this two-state solution. It's never going to happen.
I'm not saying
They're
that.
never going to be okay living next to each other.
The reason I brought up Venezuela, the reason I brought up the Maduro regime is because I'm trying to hammer it into your fucking heads, and it never works, right? Which is why I don't want to do these debates anymore about this particular topic, because you have this cognitive dissonance about Palestine where it's this group of fucking innocent people that don't fuck up their own quote region, right? That you think should be a country by making their own fucking decisions, right? The people in Venezuela made their own decisions.
I'm looking for the person you're arguing with right now. I don't see them.
Yeah,
I don't think either of us has made that point. I'm just
hold on.
I'm just looking for who they are.
No.
Do I got a mouse in my pocket or something?
Look, no, because what happens is when I say that a people, right, in a region, country, whatever, just a group of people, right, elected a leader or a leaders, right, or a regime or whatever, right, that is making their lives hard. You're making some fucking weird, like, just stretch of the imagination that, well, it's not actually the terrorists that are the problem. It's the Jews that are like 5 miles away that are trying to protect themselves from the fucking terrorists.
I have never said that Hamas
has said the word occupation
Iran,
like 50
and
fucking
even
times.
some of the extremist Palestinians aren't also part of the problem.
Dude,
but what
they
I am
are
saying
the fucking problem.
Hold on, Misfit. Let
I
Rick
am
go.
proposing is going to solve and alleviate much of all the problems surrounding it. I'm not here saying that Israel should be destroyed or that from the river to the sea, Palestine should be free.
I know you're not.
No, I am arguing that it is in America's interest, in the region's interest, for the Palestinian people to have self-governance in their own Again, self-determining state.
Expound
What
on
if,
that.
what if they're evil though? What if they're evil? Hold on, Wick. What if they're evil?
Okay, I don't
let's-
support
we
an
agree-
evil
Oh,
state.
wait,
Hold on.
wait, no, I know what you're just
Well, let
gonna
me use
get.
an
No, Gibbs.
example.
No, I think
Well,
I get what you're getting at. Look, do you think Jordan deserves a state?
No, I got a better one. Here's
No, it does. No, because look, Jordan elects leaders. Hezbollah is partly in power and is bombing Israel. Should Jordan have their statehood removed?
Yes.
Okay, see,
Oh,
that's
I
where
don't
I'm
know about
getting
that,
at. Is
but
like
but if we're
you.
gonna do
And
this-
I'm
we're
assuming
gonna
you
do
would say the same about anyone
Hold on.
else that is involved in
Hold on.
this.
If you're gonna
Lebanon
do
shouldn't have a state.
self-determination-
Hold on, let's reset one at a time, please.
Every single Sharia practicing country should have their statehood removed. I said it. Boom.
And replaced by what?
Replaced by a fucking democracy or a republic.
Okay, that's a state. You understand?
Sure. Let's not use Sharia.
You're
Let's
just
use a different
looking
state.
at
Hold on, Wick.
changing how their state is governed.
Well,
And
well,
fair,
I brought-
but they still
No,
have
no,
a
get rid of
fucking
it.
state.
Hold on, Wick. What
Make
if,
it all
what if this
Israel.
country is actually evil? Like, what if let's pick an actual evil empire from history? I don't know. Like maybe the Aztecs.
Like
or
Russia.
Like the
sacrifice-
Americans,
No,
man.
no, let's use
Hold
the
on,
Aztecs.
hold on,
They
let's
sat
back
here
in.
and sacrificed thousands and thousands, 1 3-day period, 88,000 people for one temple. Millions sacrificed over a long period of time, right? The Spanish come in there. There's
I
an
did mean Lebanon.
uprising
Thank
against
you.
them.
Sorry.
They team up with the Spanish. And I guess, you pick your poison. You pick the religious zealots from Spain over the Aztecs, and people have bitching about that on one way or the other. But Aztecs, I think we can agree, were an evil empire for by most extent, right? And so we're sitting here going, hey, well, at least they were self-determined. Like you sound like a jackass. Like, I mean, when we're sitting here going, oh, hey, good. I believe in Western values. And you're sitting here going, hey, you know what? It's better if we throw the gays off buildings. It's better if women suffer.
is-
It's better if all these
No
things.
one is-
Just because
no,
they're
we're not
No one is
self-determined.
saying this.
actually.
I'm gonna have to
That is
look
what
to
you're
see
saying.
who you're arguing with because
No.
it
No,
ain't.
no, well,
Well,
that's
I
what you're
see-
saying. Because
I
you're
No,
saying
so-
it's self-determined.
Okay, Gibbs,
There's
let me
no
let me
point.
let me let me make
Hold
an
on, hold
wait.
on,
I need to
hold
make
on.
an
I see
analogy
we're
for Gibbs
getting
that maybe he'll
down
understand.
I see we're getting down to kind of like an ought claim in that aspect. If you guys want to dive down that angle, I see it here. Just a thought. So I go back to you, please.
Sure. So, like, America has done horrible things over its entire history, and I don't think that means you can't love America and you can't be a patriot or any of that. And I'm not specifically talking about you, Misfit. It's literally anyone who says I love America does not mean you have to accept every awful thing that's ever happened. However, if Iraq somehow had the power post-Iraq war to come into our country and occupy our peoples and say, you only eat what we tell you to eat, we will not let you leave, and do everything that Israel is doing to Palestine, I would say that probably what's going to happen is you're going to get a huge American resistance that's trying to constantly blow up Iraq, especially if we were closer and somehow Americans had access to intercontinental ballistic missiles in their households, which some people might advocate for. Yeah, I think that's bad. I don't think it's justified. And I think that the inevitable thing that's going to end that violence and that resistance to that occupation is giving them a state and letting them make their own decisions, which inevitably might lead to bad things, like invading Iraq again. But that doesn't mean that the occupation is the way forward.
Are you all right? So what you're doing is you're refusing to acknowledge the pattern of behavior that I talked about earlier.
I'm
right?
not.
This is no. You are, because what I'm saying is if you look through the pattern of behavior of this, because let's face it, I can do whataboutism all day. I can bring up Nigeria, I can bring up Africa, I can bring up all of it, right? I can bring up every other Middle Eastern place where this shit just keeps
I think they both
happening,
are Christians first.
right?
Thank
But
you.
let's just focus on this place, right? I gave you 11 examples where there was negotiations or full-on actual peace deals that were proposed, right? So you have between 5 proposed peace deals and 6 negotiations. You have all 5 that were actually proposed rejected, and you have war after war after war started by one side. You have 1948, the Arab-Israeli war that was started by the Arab coalition, right? It wasn't the Israelis. You have 1967, started by Palestinian Authority. You have this over and over again. And what you're saying is these people that keep on fighting, they keep on starting the fight, they keep on killing, raping, murdering, they should get a state. And my question is, why?
Well, on
Because
top of
without
that,
a
just one more
state,
quick thing,
with that
Rick.
variable being in place where they don't have a state, under those conditions, under those variables, they've rejected peace, and peace has been impossible.
So if you just
change
reward the behavior,
Hold on, Rick,
change
but Rick,
what
this
is
is
going
still
on.
issue.
Let him finish.
Change
Let him
what we're
finish.
doing. The height of insanity, the definition of insanity, is to do the same thing over and over and over again.
your
and
solution is
expect
to
a
reward
different
them.
result.
Hold on.
What I'm asking you to do is consider that perhaps the context in which these deals are being offered without a state present is a contributing factor. In fact, a major contributing factor to why these deals are being rejected.
Wick,
And
there
if
was
we
a state
give
offered
them
all
a
5
state,
times.
if we
All
set
5
them a
times there
state,
was a state
They-
offered.
They've
I want to
They've
hand
had
it
a
over to
state offer.
Gibbs.
Yeah, they have had the state offered 5 times, like he said. He's gotten much more into that than I have. But on top of that, like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but we've talked about all this shit going down, and I'm going to be the dick. Get good scrub. That's why they don't have a state in the longest run. They can't win. They do heinous shit, and then they get their ass whipped. At least with the Aztecs, they did heinous shit, and they knew how to win. These guys,
Vikings.
they don't know how to win. They're losing. Why would we pick a loser to back them to get a state? And secondly, when they're doing evil
Because
shit
it
to get
saves
this
Israeli
state, there's no
lives.
reason. No, it doesn't, because
Yes,
it's just
it
going to
will
empower
in the
them
long
to
term.
fester and do this in the long. Why? What in history gives you that evidence? In history, we know one of the first enemies America has is the Barbary pirates and the Barbary states, and they sat there and they said, because Islam told us we could do this, and that was why, and that is fundamentally against Western values and against America. Why do you sit here and tell me that when we have a democracy that's friendly to us in the region, that if we give these people a state, when they've rejected it, and then when they have tried to get it, they've done it through heinous shit and lost? Like, why would we ever want to give these people a state? There's no logical sense to this. Like, explain it.
It's a good argument.
Okay, because when you have, again, people who are stateless, they are more likely to engage in these heinous behaviors because they have
Or get
nothing
absorbed.
to lose.
Why don't Texans?
everything
Why
to
don't
gain.
Texans engage
So when
in
you
heinous
offer
behavior?
them, again, I'm not saying
Wait,
that we should
wait,
just
wait.
tomorrow-
Don't let him move
Hold
on
on.
from that. He just brought up Texas, like he didn't just
No.
argue about how they fought a fucking war to
Yeah, they
have
did,
their
but we didn't do
independence. Isn't
heinous
that
shit.
the whole
but
point?
why-
I
hold
don't-
on, but no.
Hold on,
Why?
hold on. Hand it back to Wick. Wick was trying to finish the thought
Go
there,
ahead.
and
Sure.
then we can.
You
Then we
can
can
look. I'll let you. Soy. After this, you can pin him on the Texas thing. Okay. I just don't give a shit
I'm gonna
about
write
Texas.
it down.
So fuck Texas.
I'm gonna write it down right next to
for
Britney
real.
Spears.
But second of all, right? But second of all, okay, right? Like when we have
Crazy work.
it's like a people, right? And a group that is stateless, they are more susceptible to extremist actions. We know this is true. We've seen this over and over and over again throughout history. What I'm asking us to do, and again, I'm not saying to do it tomorrow. I'm not saying we snap our fingers, say there's a state, and we do nothing else. This is going to be a project of years to do.
Okay.
But overall, if we do it correctly, then we will have a at least better state than we have now.
So
And
you ready
look,
to get
I would
body?
even be fine with the argument. Look, and just real quick, if you don't want to give them a state and instead
It's not my
want to let
place.
them into Israel to have full voting rights in Israel, I
They
think that would work
fucking
too.
do.
But
they
they
do.
hold on. You
They
think
vote in
Palestinians
the
can vote
election,
in Israel?
dude. The Palestinians are on the Supreme Court. Arabs are on the Supreme Court.
people in
and
Yeah, the
Gaza
Palestinians that
are
are
able to
already
vote
in
in Israel's
Israel,
elections?
not
Yes, they have the
so-
opportunity to acknowledge that Israel is the fucking country they live in, and they can live in peace with Israelis. So occupation, genocide, all these fucking arguments, they don't work. Go ahead, Gibbs. You zoom.
Well, I didn't mean to do that, but I'll use that as a cue. I guess the thing is working for me here. But yeah, I mean, Wick, weren't you today doing an episode on nationalism
Yes.
being a danger to
It is.
individual liberty, right?
Jewish
And one of the
nationalism,
ideas-
Palestinian nationalism, all the
Sure.
nationalism.
So one of the
are
ideas
evil,
that
yeah.
you espoused during this thing, if I recall correctly, was that it's a pan-national idea. So it should be an ethnic group across like city lines, like across borders, right? So the Palestinians in Israel and then the Palestinians in Gaza would be a good example. They're in two different regions, but they share a cultural identity, a nation state, right? And that's kind
Hold
of
on,
would that be an
you
argument?
understand that in the hold on. You understand
Yeah,
that in
that's what you're
national
saying.
terms that they are not the same nation, right? Like so the
Sure.
Jewish nation is
I
again,
understand
because
that,
of
but
the
you
shared
would agree
language,
that if the
because of the
Palestinians all got
history,
together and wanted to form a national
nation,
identity based on their ethnic
nationalism
group,
would be against mixing these two, right? It would
Right,
be against
right.
mixing
Okay.
these two. So
That's my
having
point.
the Palestinian people with the Jewish people, right, would be anti-nationalist in nature.
Thank you so much, Rick, for my point. So my point was the Palestinians are purely trying to do this on a cultural identity, on an ethnic group. We want a Palestinian state for Palestinians. It's a cultural identity. Some of the ones that live in Israel, the Arabs that do, that are not assimilated, yeah, they still want their nationalist nation state, right? That's exactly what. However, just as Misfit Patriot here pointed out, the Israelis are a multi-ethnic nation. They are not a nationalist nation in the way that you're sitting here. Y'all can sit here and try to say those lines, but you
Hold on,
wouldn't have
Jewish
Arabs on the
nationalism?
Supreme Court. You wouldn't have Arabs on the Supreme Court if they weren't a multi-ethnic, non-nationalist state in the manner you're describing. Because I don't think, if I last checked, that the Jews and the Arabs were the same ethnic group, because they're not. And so if that's the case, that really destroys your argument over which side's the goodies and which side's the baddies. And once again, it's the Palestinians being the bad guys.
Hey, Jewish nationalism is a thing that exists in Israel. Do you
Sure.
agree or disagree?
No,
Sure. But
If
not
you
the
don't
country
think
itself.
Jewish
No.
nationalism
No.
exists
you
within
don't think
Israel.
it's not a
There's two
nationalist
states, a
society.
group
Jews
in
I
Israel
did
are
not ask if it was a
nationalists?
nationalist society.
Hold on. One at a time.
Nationalism.
The state itself
Nationalism
is
is
not Jewish nationalist, but there are
Death,
Jewish
thank you,
nationalists.
please, no.
all right.
Where Jewish
Does it-
nationalism
Is
right,
are
is
there
a thing that
Jewish
exists in Israel.
nationalists in Israel? Yeah,
Yes.
there's white
Ben
nationalists in
Gvir
America. Sure,
would be
yeah.
a Jewish nationalist, right?
I mean,
For
I-
no
I-
particular reason, I'm going to go to the restaurant right now. It's nothing to do with the current
Okay,
elevation
when you
of the
get back,
conversation.
we're going to talk about Texas because you fucked.
I
all
was
right?
gonna say I wanted to bring the Texas
we'll
back
get back to
into
that
it.
for sure.
All right, but no, okay. So I might have misheard you, Wick, and I apologize. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people that make the argument that that Israel is a nationalist country. It's not. It can't be, because you don't have a place called Palestine if you are a nationalist nation. You don't feed your enemies. You don't work with other enemies. It's more, nationalism is essentially synonymous with either isolationism or expansionism. Usually expansionism, where they're actually
Well,
trying to grow their
just
country and
A
their
real
their
quick
identity.
definition of nationalism, right, is that nationalists believe that every different ethnicity is its own nation, and every nation should be governed by its own sovereign
So-
state. That's
So Lick,
TLDR.
That
with
applies
that
to every
definition,
nation.
hold on, with that definition, would you argue that the idea, whenever Arabs can vote in Israel, or they have Arab Supreme Court justices that are sitting there, would you argue that that is going to sit there and say that they're all the same cultural identity to the level as a multi-ethnic state compared to, the Palestinians who want a Palestinian state for Palestine? Which one is the nationalist by your own definition movement?
Okay, so I am
gonna let you
saying
start.
that there are Palestinian nationalists, and that is bad. The people who want to kick out all the Jews and only want Palestine for Palestinians only, that is an evil ideology. I do not
And
support
what
that.
percentage of
I would not
Palestinians is
support
that?
a Palestinian state that looked like that. But this
Well,
assumption that you guys keep making that
That's
a
the majority
Palestinian
of the
state
Palestinians that
must
want that.
and will only be this evil thing is just not true. It's a lack of
What
imagination on
percentage
your
don't
part,
want that?
the lack of will and determination we can have, and we can advocate for, and we can support cosmopolitan, multinational Palestinian state. And that's what I do.
What percentage are you saying? And I mean, I'm sure you don't just have evidence for this, so I'm not expecting you to like pull this out of thin air. But give me a reasonable percentage. Do you think is not? I don't know, in support of a nationalist Palestinian state for the ethnic Palestinians, considering they voted in the PLO and the Hamas the most recently. And if you look at the Dagush or whatever,
Yeah,
what are their views?
One of the
do
reasons
you
that they're
think, which
drawn
one?
to these extremist organizations, and
So
I
what
would,
percentage would
I'll
not
just
want that,
grant you
is
that
what I'm
many
asking.
are. I'll just grant you that many
Say
are.
the majority, probably. Probably
I
the
don't
majority,
know about
right?
the
Wait,
majority.
are we framing this as a bad thing in comparison to Israel saying it should be a
Well,
Jewish state? I know that it is multi-ethnic. I know that Arabs
talking
do
about
live there. I
Texas.
know that they're Palestinians, but like,
No,
why is
well, I
this like
just-
the
Now I have
determining
to-
factor as to
No,
whether?
it's not about the. I
Um,
just want Wick to tell me though which one fits the more nationalist definition.
Okay,
And
they're
if
both
you say it's not
nationalists in
the-
different
They're both
ways.
nationalists.
But yes, the
Oh,
Jewish nation
Hold on,
is less nationalist because
Mike,
they
go ahead,
have
Wick.
other ethnicities and allow them to exist within there. However, there are still obstacles placed amongst those
There's a-
ethnicities that don't
There's a big
exist.
difference between national pride in a country being prevalent than a nationalist nation, right? Nationalism is a policy, right? It's a policy of the governing body, right? So Hitler was a nationalist. Hitler was espousing nationalism. Hitler created a nationalist movement. It was
Can we make a distinction? Like, it's ultra nationalism, right? Like saying I support my
No, it's
country.
just
That's what a
nationalism.
government should do, right? Ultra.
Well,
Do you think that ultra nationalism doesn't exist? Because that's kind
There's
of
a
like the distinguishing factor, right?
No. Let me explain. There's a difference between a nationalist and nationalism. Nationalism is the policy of a country, right? So, and you can say that if the leader of a country or a movement is a nationalist, they are creating a nationalist movement which have nationalists under them. What I'm trying to say is when you have national pride, if you have pride in your country, if you espouse your country is the greatest, right? That doesn't mean you're a nationalist. It just means national pride.
I mean, it does. Maybe if you don't want to get on the policy side, but sure. But like, what's a nationalist policy then? If you want to make that distinction,
well, national. So that's the funny thing, right? If you look it up, nationalism is the idea that you have a superiority over other countries and your country should be put first specifically at the expense of other nations. Patriotism.
Doesn't every country do that?
No.
To some extent, that's kind of the point, right?
See, what this country does, and what many other countries do, is they put America's interests, right, not at the expense of other nations, but through coordination, through foreign policy with other nations, right? So, for instance, right, having a relationship with Israel, right, an allyship, doesn't it kind of flies in the face of nationalism. Whereas you can create alliances, right, like Hitler did with freaking a bunch of other nations like Italy, Mussolini, et cetera, but he would have still put Italy below him, right? Whereas what America does is we're doing this rising tide raises all ships approach to foreign policy and economic advancement, where we work with other nations, not towards a goal of destroying other nations, but of raising every other nation up. It's a little bit complicated to try to differentiate between nationalism and just being national, like having national pride and like America first.
Patriotism, you mean?
No, patriotism.
and nationalism are
Patriotism is the vehement defense of one's nation and love of one's nation. Nationalism is the prioritization of a nation over other nations. That's the difference.
But name one country that doesn't prioritize itself over other nations?
Well,
America, when the Democrats are in charge, give all our money to other countries.
Well, what I'm saying is, right, like it's not about prioritization where it's like, okay, obviously we're going to put our mask on first. Nationalism specifically does their own prioritization at the expense. You're leaving that part out. At the expense of other nations.
That generally is how it manifests in many cases, but it's not necessarily so, right? You can have a kind of egalitarian type of nationalism which believes like, oh, the Germans, Germany for the Germans, France for the French, etc., and they shouldn't like compete with each other. They should be in a brotherhood. That's possible.
We can move past this, Wick, too.
Hold on. Let Wick finish.
It's almost beside the point here, right? Because you're correct in that historically, nationalism has tended to lead to the prioritization of your own nation over that of those others, and it's been predatory.
I just want to say that I'm proud of you guys' chat. I have way more chatters in Living Room than I have here, and I consider that a good thing.
I agree. But when it comes down to my advocacy tonight, it is not for a nationalism. It's not for an ethnic state where Palestine and only Palestinians have access to Palestine and things like that.
Well,
I am saying that there's a group of people who are currently stateless, that if we, America, helped support them and give them a state and help develop that state, it would be better for not only the Palestinian people, but for Israeli. And now we're back to Texas, and I'll
we're back to Texas. Okay,
because I don't give a shit about Texas.
No, because I'm gonna fuck your whole argument up. I'm going to listen. I'm going to fucking doggy style your argument right now. Okay, why is Texas?
Big words, little man.
Why is Texas part of the United States of America, and why are we not killing other people right now? Right? Because this is the argument that you're making. You're making the argument. You've made it several times tonight that the way to solve this problem is to give Palestine a state. Right, because they are stateless.
The step to solving
they are stateless, right? So in 1861, right, Texas seceded from the Union, and they were essentially like they were stateless. They were their own country, but they weren't really a recognized country. They were very
No,
similar.
no,
Hold on.
no. They weren't stateless.
You
They
let
had their
me.
own state. It was
Hold
You
on.
let me
different than what
fucking.
we
You
had.
let
Hold
me
on,
fucking.
Once
hold
again, we
on,
lost the
hold
battle
on.
in Texas.
Finish.
No
Well,
big deal.
Go ahead and finish, Miss.
No,
Wick.
you let me. No, so what Palestine is recognized by many other countries, and people say it's already a state. So Texas can be argued in the same way. However, what happened, right, with Texas? Texas eventually, right? We had a civil war in this country, and they joined the United States of America, right? So the comparison for Israel and Palestine right now, which I have made very many times in the past, is this is a civil war between a region in Israel, the same way Texas is a region in America that is rebelling against the state that they already have. And the solution does not have to be statehood. Maybe it just has to be a civil war where one side, Texas/Palestine, agrees, hey, you know what? We kind of fucked up. Maybe we'll just join Israel and stop being cunts.
Well, I don't know about all that, but that was just what the fuck.
The analogy
So,
worked.
I
Does
I
it?
guess.
I know.
I
So first
Hold
of
on,
all,
I think
no,
a better-
Texas
a
during
better
that period was
analogy
not
would be-
stateless.
I'm
This
not
is-
saying. Listen, don't think about it too hard. You'll blow your fucking brains out.
I am.
Did you want to add to that,
this.
Gibbs?
I do want to add to that. I don't know if I agree with the
You broke
exact
your
logic of
teammate.
how it got
You
there.
broke
Yeah,
him.
he broke me.
I broke my own fucking like. My teammate.
Ancestors are
My-
like screaming out to me from the grave.
Well,
to, like,
we also used to be
scream at
Mexico, so we're technically Mexicus.
But just
go ahead, Gibbs.
I think a better analogy, like if we're gonna use Texas, is Texas, has what, two major parties now, Democrats and Republicans, right? We
Sure.
used to have three, and the Texas Nationalist was the third biggest party, and they got absorbed by the Republicans, and the Republicans and the Texas official stance is like prepare for breakaway, right? That's why you see us doing all this stuff like our own grid. You have like our own bank reserves. We have the new. We're trying to get the new stock exchanges in Dallas. We're all trying to become like, if just in case we want to be able to do it, right? But I think that's the difference. We're sitting here preparing.
Unless the
and we're
energy
working
grid
within
fails and you
bounds
need
of
to
the
be
system,
bailed out by
as
America,
opposed to,
which
like,
happens all the time.
I don't know. Hey, let's build this desal plant in Corpus Christi, tear it down, and then start shooting missiles in the United States to get what we want. That's not what we're doing. And the Palestinians, though,
Why aren't you doing it, though?
Built, huh?
Why isn't Texas firing missiles into America?
Because we are law-abiding patriots, and we want to sit here and create
Because
a moral
we're
and
not
just society,
Palestinians.
unlike the Palestinians who sit
Oh,
here
sorry.
and
Is it something in
want
the
their own
Palestinian
people
genetic
empire.
code? Like I've
Well,
got
yeah,
I've got the
I
missile
genetic
itch
code.
today. I really got to
Like,
do
genetic
it.
It
code,
kind of is.
but it's
Hold on,
definitely
hold
within
on.
the culture in the region. Whenever you're sitting here going, oh, hey, they built water plants. Instead of using the water plants, let's tear these up and use them to launch
You don't
missiles
think
over
it's
there.
in Texas
when I sit
culture
here
to
and compare
revolt against the American government?
It kind of is.
Hold on. Listen, it could be. I'm just saying right now.
My
it's
point
not
is the
much
material
possible.
conditions of the average Texan citizen has nowhere even close to the material conditions of an average Palestinian citizen
that's because
today
we
with the
are
control
able
of the
to,
Well,
do
you
things
also-
with respect and under a reasonable understanding. We're not sitting here going like, hey, we just
You
got our
also-
asses kicked. Let's go fight them again.
Well, you
that's
have
not what we're
100.
doing.
You have
It's not-
100. You have 175 years of civilizing us, right? Where it's like, all right, yes, the deep South Confederates are way different than your average everyday Texan today. My point was not to make a perfect analogy. My point was to
They were
show you
different
guys.
then, too.
My point was to show you that if you offer a state to somebody who is rebelling against the country that they're in, it's not always the best idea. If we said, you know what, keep your slaves, and we had the country of Texas right now that still had slaves, would you think it would be
Well,
a
we
better or worse Texas? That's my
Be a
point.
worse
But
Texas.
again,
Hold on,
but what you're
hold on,
saying is like,
Dude,
yeah,
I
obviously.
got to do a history
Well,
lesson.
hold on. Because you
Go
said
ahead,
that like
Wade, go.
Texas isn't their own. Okay, go ahead.
Please.
I
You're
just-
creating
I-
these
okay,
weird
sorry.
binaries that don't actually exist.
No shit,
Again,
dickhead.
I'm
That's
not
why it's a
here
fucking
advocate
analogy.
that we
Hold on.
simply give any old state and let them do whatever the fuck they want.
What's Fetty?
No,
Fentanyl?
obviously not. If they created this slave empire state, I'd be like, okay, time to tear that form of government down. But what I'm arguing for tonight is that what we're being done towards Palestine, how Israel has treated Palestine, how America has treated Palestine, and refused to recognize Palestinian statehood is not working.
But
So
what-
if America, specifically worked with Israel and others in the region, Saudi Arabia, all those other Abrahamic Accord countries, right? Established peace, as Trump is trying to do, okay? And then built up the region, they would prepare it for statehood,
Well-
and that is something that we should want because it will make the region more stable.
Wick, what you're
And a
leaving out
stable
is what you're
Middle
leaving
East-
out. What you're leaving
Hold
out
on, hold
is
on, hold on,
how-
hold on. I
how
wanted to
Palestinians
hold
have
on,
treated
hold on.
Israel.
I wanted to give Soy, because Soy, it looked like you were trying to tap in too. So if
Sure. I mean,
if
real
Wick
quick, I'll
here
let him go. But
finished,
right, I'll be real fast. And the idea is, yes, the reason this is a bad analogy and not just a not one-to-one is that the material conditions of these Texan citizens are not such that they feel the need that their only outlet is to support violence and terroristic regimes. And when they did feel that way, they had a fucking war with America in the same way that Americans had a war with the British, and they did it again after getting statehood a few decades later.
How
And the
do you
point
not
is
see
not that
that-
these things are one-to-one. Obviously, I agree. It's very hard to make an analogy. Palestine is very unique. It's got a unique history. The Israeli-Palestinian
Sure.
conflict is not able to be mapped onto anything else. But the point is that if you continue to let these people, not let these people have their own self-determination, because they haven't. You talk about, well, they voted in Hamas. Oh, they did the PLO thing. These are all under the conditions of what started out as the British coming in and saying, get the fuck out of this land. We're cleansing you from it because we determined that it is not yours anymore. And yeah, you can argue whether or not that's justified. I don't give a shit about that specifically. The point is, these people don't have what they feel to be self-determination, and that's going to keep leading to violence and revolt, and it's not going to work if
But
you just
why-
say,
but
Israel,
why
do whatever
don't
you
they?
want.
That's what I'm saying. And this is why the analogy actually does work. What was the determining factor for the Civil War of America? Slavery, most likely. It was. I know it was a bunch of different things, but let's
States' rights. Let's be
slavery
real.
is
Come
It
on.
was states' rights, but the rights that they wanted were fucking slaves. All right, so right, Palestinians, they want their own state for their own Muslim Sharia practicing region, right? And what I'm saying is
Not necessarily.
Israel is not allowing that, right? Israel is not allowing them to just vote in Hamas, vote in terrorism, allow terrorists to do terrorist shit. And I get it's not a one-to-one comparison.
Wait,
That's why
Israel
it's a
actually
loose-
supported Hamas over the PLO.
Oh my god,
and
they
like,
gave them money to keep them at bay. But
well,
dude,
yeah, but the point is they saw them as a more viable alternative to the PLO to like justify
Sure,
what
and they
Israel is
fucked up.
doing. So yeah,
Look,
I
and
know.
they-
I'm not saying that
yeah.
you support that doing that, and I'm not doing some weird conspiracy like, oh, they want them there. The idea that Israel is not allowing them to become violent, Israel has created the conditions that have had all these things happening.
What
I'm
I'm-
not saying
what I'm-
Palestinians don't have,
what I'm trying to
the
say
fucking
is-
liability of they made this happen, but Israel didn't stop Hamas terrorism. They're
but Wick
fueling it.
Wick earlier said something that's very prevalent, right? Here's the deal. You say how Israel is treating the Palestinians, how America is treating the Palestinians, how the rest of the world is treating the Palestinians. What he left out was how the Palestinians are treating Israel. Okay? They're firing fucking thousands of rockets a year into Israel. They're trying to kill them every fucking week, right? They're trying to kill Jews. And when do you wake up and go, maybe the Jews have a point? Maybe they should fuck them up, right?
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm definitely okay with them going in and purging Hamas, killing every single one
It's
of
not
them.
easy
putting a
because they
bullet
have
in their
human
head.
shields.
I'm fine with that. But the problem I have is that if you do that, you need to give them a state, right? You need
Won't someone think of Israel?
Why?
because without that state, they're just going to have another Hamas in 2 to 5 years.
But if you give them a state, and how do you run it? You mean give them a government?
Okay.
You mean
that's
give them
going
a
to be
government?
A huge, right, kind of issue. I can't
Solve
give you
Israel
the
Palestine
exact
right fucking
specific
now, Wick.
borders
If you
that's
can't
gonna
do it, then
work.
you are abdicating the whole
Can
argument if you don't have a solution.
Hold on.
No,
let
but
me
you
just
know
jump
you
in
make
here.
a good
I-
point. You're trying to simplify this to give them a state. It's not that easy, dude.
Hold on,
I'm not
I got a
here
question.
to argue that it's easy. I'm arguing
Wick.
that it's going to take years of work. It's going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but that at the end, it's going to be better than the state we have now.
We don't have
Okay.
a state.
Let me
gives
just
to
State
jump
of
in
the
here.
region, not
Yeah,
a state
I
as in
do want to
whatever.
jump in here. Okay, let's just give a different hypothetical. Okay, let's
Oh,
just
no.
say the end goal is to give Palestine a state.
What if
okay?
there was Star
And
Wars and there was a Death
What if,
Star?
what,
and
what
there
if there was a
Millennium
spaghetti
Falcon?
monster behind the moon? Who knows? Whatever. All right, cool. Listen, so this is just in the realm of possibility, though. So we know how Egypt has handled the Muslim Brotherhood, right? They have handled them, let's go with harshly. And I know there are people that have been critical of how Israel has handled Hamas. They've said it's been a genocide. They've said it's been crazy and evil and terrible and all these things. And I'm like, okay, let's just say both those things are true. Let's just say we give Egypt, as part of this new Trump deal, control over Palestine. Do you think that it's going to be better or worse under Egyptian military rule while they eliminate Hamas to the last man than if Israel would do it? And there's a second part to this. So what do you think? It's going to be nicer for the Palestinians or worse for them? If Egypt is in control of rooting out Hamas?
For the Palestinian people or for Hamas?
For both. Yeah, I mean, you can give both.
For Hamas, it's probably going to be worse for Hamas if Egypt's getting control. For the Palestinian people, I'm not sure.
Yeah, again, Gibbs, it depends on what this looks like, right? Like, if you're saying do exactly what Israel has been doing for the past 20 years, but Egypt does it, yeah, it's probably not better. But if we're arguing, again, like my hypothetical, and I'm not saying this is like a perfect plan that I've drawn out, because obviously this is super complicated. You're right, it's not easy. It's not to just give them a state. But if we do something akin to like the Marshall Plan that we did for Japan and Germany, yeah, it's technically occupation in the same way to some extent. You do have some sort of foreign government that has some sort of control over certain things, but you do not restrict the people to the same extent that they've been restricted right now.
So here's my point what I'm making with this, right? So, okay, we know right now if the Trump plan goes through and Israel and all this all finally works out, the idea is to eventually let the Saudis, I believe, and the Egyptians, and maybe I think a coalition of somebody else, maybe the Jordanians, I don't know what the other one was, be the ones that run this, right? And they're going to go in there. Now, I don't know if you know what their human rights records are, but they're not too good, right? And so when you're saying, I don't know if it'll be better for the Palestinians, I can most assuredly listen, that's not saying much. But when I'm sitting here going, what's going to be better compared to Israel gets rid of Hamas or let these people get rid of Hamas? Oh, well, I got to say, I think it's probably going to be much better for the Palestinians if Israel just conducts it like it's part of its own country and gets rid of this group and then assimilates these people and gives them a fair say, like they've already done with all the other Arabs.
Beautiful. I'd be for that.
You're not okay with that. You want an independent state.
Hold on. No. Stop, Gibbs. That would
lead to more
great.
death for the Palestinians.
Israel doesn't want to do that.
Why do you say that?
What do you mean? They're putting settlements there. That's what they propose.
You think that Israel is proposing giving Gazans the same voting rights that the rest of Israel has?
That's what they've done with the Arabs in their country. Yeah, over time, sure.
Yeah, they've done that.
No, they don't. If you're calling that what you I think are describing is the one-state solution, which is make this part of Greater Israel, which they explicitly oppose because
nobody
they say
said Greater Israel. They said Israel.
Okay, of Israel, whatever. I just used the term greater. But the point is that they would not support this because they've made this argument. Actually, I'm sympathetic to this. Some people call this racist, but the idea that a bunch of people that you've been killing for decades now have the right to vote in your country. Yeah, it's like, hey, maybe if there's more of them than us, they might elect a government that would treat us similar ways. I understand why they wouldn't do that, but that's not what they're doing. They're not proposing giving these people rights in Israel.
Why do you always leave out the part where Palestinians are killing Israelis?
Because obviously we both know that's happening. I'm not saying that's not. Actually, it's because I'm anti-Semitic.
No, but you intentionally left it out. You're like, Israel's killing these people. All right, Palestinians are killing Israelis.
Yes, I understand that.
It kind of fucks up your argument when you fucking put it into context.
No,
right?
If anything, I was granting you. Well, I was arguing against the idea that they want to give these people voting rights in Israel, but I am saying that because of the violence committed by both
Jewish
sides.
Settlers in these other in the areas that are like controversial where they settle,
West Bank,
are they given? Are they given voting rights? We know they
are the Jews settling in the West Bank giving voting rights? What do you mean?
Yeah, it's something. Yeah. If the Jews settle in Palestinian territories, they can vote in Israeli elections. We know that, right? The settlers can. Okay.
Can they vote in
we know that.
Elections?
We know that. Oh, some of these
don't
groups,
have elections.
like the Druze, have been annexed by them. They have been given voting rights. We've seen other Arab groups get voting rights, and it's just that over time, as they assimilate to Israel, and Israel deems them part of the country, and guess what? Okay, cool, y'all are officially in, and just like we've done in the United States a bunch of times. Where we people assimilate in, they get voting rights over time, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see how this is any different. You're acting like, oh, just overnight, let's just give them all voting rights. Of course,
no, we're not saying that though.
Palestinian subjects living under occupation in the West Bank and
Gaza.
There's
no occupation. Stop saying it.
That's not what I said. I said the Jewish settlers in that area get those rights.
Well, yeah, they're still Israeli citizens.
Did the Israelis have?
So you gotta assimilate.
Did the Israelis have any? Did the Israelis vote?
Simple.
In the decision for Gaza to elect Hamas?
No.
Why?
Because they don't live in Palestine.
Oh, fucking great. I just made an argument for why Israel doesn't allow them to vote in their elections.
Okay, well,
but
that's
if
what I
your
was saying.
argument
I'm
is,
saying there's
hold on, if your
potentially valid
argument is
reasons
that
for
you
not letting
want
them do that.
Palestine or Gaza to
both
become
talking.
part of Israel, then you have to admit that they would have to, like, you'd have to give voting rights to the people.
Yeah, over time. Over time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
like
like,
Germans
you
weren't
Israel does
allowed
not
to
want
vote.
that, and
Germans were not allowed to
specifically
vote
is
in
against that.
Germans weren't allowed to vote in World War II, post World
No,
War
they're not
II
against
until
it.
like 1949, right? Like there was like a process to this. It wasn't give them voting rights
North-
overnight, but
North
after
Car-
a while, after letting them
Exactly.
establish their state again and saying, "Look, this is still your territory. This is not America. Yeah, we divided up regions into like control, but we didn't say, "Hey, this is Russia now," like the Russians did." And guess what? Those people fucking revolted for the next like decades because they weren't happy, because they were oppressed, because they weren't allowed to freely travel. And yet, when we gave them self-determination, we said, "Hey, you can elect your pro-democratic German government," and you can in 1949, those people didn't revolt against the West. Those people stopped doing nearly as many violence, and you didn't see terrorist groups like you did see in East Germany. And that's kind of what the point is, that once you give these people the ability to do these things, and I think Misfit Patriot, I agree with you. I don't think Israelis are likely to give these people voting rights in Israel if it becomes part of Israel, like you're saying. I think that they need to have their own state where they can have their own voting rights.
Well, North Carolina can't vote in Texas elections, right? Does that mean that North Carolina and Texans are at war? No, it just
Yeah,
means
but
that
if
they have
North
their own
Carolina
little-
was
Soy, your own
controlling,
example.
if North
What I'm saying-
Carolina was
Hold on, hold on.
controlling how much food gets into Texas and
That's not what's
whether or not they could
happening.
leave Texas, and
Just stop lying. Just stop
But
saying.
Soy, in
that-
your
Look,
own
Hold on.
example,
I'm not
Stop
lying.
saying-
At worst,
stop
I'm
saying- hold
just
on.
wrong. I
Stop
promise
sa-
you.
Stop saying.
No, no.
Stop saying a thing is happening that isn't happening. All right,
Hold on.
I can prove to you it's not happening, right?
Hold on, so-
Because there is fucking like a whole entire field of aid that Israel is giving Palestinians. It goes right through the Rafah border, right? There are pallets of them, and what
That's
happens
fair.
is when they
there were
give them that
terrorist groups
aid,
in West
Hamas
Germany.
gets on the top of the trucks with fucking rifles and they shoot Palestinians, right? So yeah, controlling whether or not the bombs come in, controlling whether or not the anything that can be used against Israelis during a war, during a conflict, that's kind of normal
Right,
behavior.
but again, Misfit, in Germany, the United States did this. They didn't let them have a military. They did control things that were coming in and out. They had borders, they had strict
Yeah.
guards, but it was not even close to the same extent that what Israel is doing right now in Gaza.
But
and you
why
can
are
say
they doing it? That's the
But you-
question.
hold on. In your own example, Soy. All right, in your own example, are Eastern European countries to this day as safe as countries on the western side of Europe? The answer is no, they're not. Why is that? Because they sat there and they did have these terrorists and all these things breed up. They've had all this chaos. You had the racial tension as soon as the power vacuum pulled away, and they started killing each other, just like they're doing over here in this region, right? We've seen this all over Kosovo. We've seen this in like Georgia. We've seen this all over Eastern Europe. But guess what? Hey, what you're arguing is you're basically saying, oh, we have an Eastern Europe situation here.
Uh-oh. Did
That
he
me or-
freeze?
no,
Nope,
it was
it's-
him.
it's
People
Gabe.
govern themselves.
Wait,
Oh, sorry,
Gabe, yeah, can you go back 10
Yeah,
seconds?
you missed a spot there. You
Yeah,
froze.
so what you're basically saying is we have an Eastern European situation here, not a Western European situation. So you go, hey, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do what Russia did. We're going to pull out and let these people govern themselves, give them their own state. Well, what has happened in Eastern Europe? These people try to kill each other
Wait,
a
that's not what
million
I'm
fucking
saying, though.
times. They're still not safe. Well, that is what you're saying.
No,
because you're
I'm
making
saying we should
comparison
have
that
it
we
be
didn't
like a
do this to
Western Europe
Western.
situation.
Yeah, but that's not. But
They-
that you're ignoring history, right? That for the last 150 or 100 years or so, they've been killing each other in droves, right? And it's not like it's definitely an Eastern European situation where Israel's only been able to keep the peace through might. And now you're
But
saying
they're not
let's
keeping the
remove
peace.
the
That's
might.
the point. That's our whole
They're
point.
doing
Is
it better
that
than it was before.
they're better? How we have had the most casualties ever? What are you talking about?
No, they've had well, now they've had the most casualties because they finally gone to war to clean them out. But before that, they've kept them in there and they've kept this terrorist group run a little organization country that or whatever it is. They've kept them at bay by surrounding them and not letting them escape
But
into the
obviously that
overall
was
thing. This is
Yeah, and
a
it
good
wasn't
un-
working. What do you? How are you
I
saying?
mean,
Yeah,
it
that
seems
was
like
a
it's
sustainable.
working. The ratio is crazy. It's like 1 to 1,000,000. Like, what are you talking about?
This debate sucks.
No, you're saying that everything that led to all of the horrible things we're seeing today was sustainable, and this was them doing the right
No,
thing.
I'm saying
We're
you're
arguing
saying
that
pull
this.
these people out. By pulling these people out, you're gonna make it even more unstable.
No, I'm not saying just leave and do nothing and let them do whatever the fuck they want.
Okay,
I'm
can we get back? All right, let's get back to the prompt. All right, look, here's the deal. What
That
is
is
the
part of the
argument?
prompt.
No. It's like, what is the actual fucking argument here? All right, we've already talked about should Palestine be a state? Okay, we've given our arguments why it shouldn't. You've given your arguments why it should. Now we're getting into a fucking litany of whataboutisms and hypotheticals. I'm tired of it. Tell me why, and we'll fucking wrap this up. I'm fucking tired.
Well, I know it's exhausting.
We do have about 10, 15 more minutes left. I would like to propose in there the idea that it is an ought claim, which could come down to a morality stance. That could be a direction that you guys could go if you so choose.
I'm not.
But
It's not about morality for me. I don't think it is for Wiki either. We're just saying this would be practically a better thing. Yeah.
Just give us a reasonable
I don't see-
actual
I guess that-
solution.
What evidence do you have to support that? Because I'm sitting here looking at all the evidence, and all the evidence indicates that they're going to go right back to killing each other the minute you give them a state. Like, so why do you think it's going to suddenly change things?
Like this idea, and this is something that you guys have been leaning on this whole debate, and I find it fallacious, and I'll tell you why. Right? This idea that just because something has been so, that it must always be so in perpetuity, and that nothing we can do, there's no action that we can take, there's no policy that we can make that will fix this and change the circumstances is going to work, I find just, again, unconvincing of an argument.
Well,
Surely I can't give you the golden bullet. I can't give you the exact specific borders, the exact specific proposal.
So you pick the
exact
prompt.
hold on, let me finish. The exact specific set of words that are necessary to make things work. But what I'm advocating for is that we fucking try. That
Okay,
we
But wait,
take
he's
a
brought up
stance
the evidence of the
and
rejections.
use a
of-
policy to promote, that America support
But-
the eventual formation of a Palestinian state.
I'm
I'm
jump
going
in.
to give it right to you. I'll just real quick. Look, Wick, you've said earlier, y'all said that you wanted something where they would give up the weapons and you would have other people rule, right? That was something you envisioned as a state or a transitionary period.
What are you
Misfit
talking about?
Patriot, earlier in the debate, you brought up part of it was like, oh, maybe we don't
I
let
brought
Hamas have
up
weapons.
the idea of
Okay,
demilitarization.
Soy
Okay.
brought up something.
And you
I don't know what- I don't know.
y'all have argued that and other countries come in and take over. Basically these people won't have the weapons, they demilitarize, right? Hamas and other organizations in Palestinian history, and Misfits brought this up several times, have rejected that on its head several times.
Yeah, but
right?
why?
That they will not, as part
Because
of
they're
it, they
fucking
will
cunts.
not demilitarize. So when you say, "Hey, why does it matter if we're just going to look? Oh, it's just going to keep happening." Well, you're not presenting a scenario that's any different than any of these other scenarios. And logic dictates that if you expect a different outcome, then when you keep doing the same thing, then you're fucking crazy. And so when I'm sitting here hearing this, you're saying, let's do the exact same thing.
No,
That's not worked
Hold
5
on,
times.
Gi-
Gives the
absolutely
problem
not
is
what
you
we're
keep
arguing.
alluding to the rejection from whatever deals, and you're saying, well, we offered state, they don't want state, and the problem is that you're not looking at the nuance of each and all of these deals and why certain peoples do not want to agree to certain parts of these deals. And that's
I'm gonna fucking jump through the screen right now. All right, let me figure this out. Okay, Wick, you propose this fucking prompt and you don't have an actual solution, right? That's what's pissing me off. You're like, well, we just gotta give them a state, okay? This is what's bothering me about your entire fucking argument. Your entire argument is, well, let's just try the thing that has happened in multiple other regions. We've done this, right? We've done this. We've literally
We've done this in Japan. Did Japan work? Did we?
You know
give
what worked? You know what
well,
worked?
no, because they made
No,
anime. It didn't.
Hold on.
it didn't
You know
work.
what worked
fair
with
enough.
Japan?
True.
I'll tell
True.
you what worked with
Okay,
Japan.
I'll take Yell on
When
that.
Japan touched our boats, we fucking bombed them. And Trump was just on TV talking about how Japan's fucking one of the greatest allies of America ever, right? So if you
Because
want to use
we
the
went in
Japan
there and
argument,
did
we should
nation
kill
building
them.
correctly.
We should kill the fuck out of them and then wait fucking 60 years. All right, so let's do this, right? You created a prompt. You're the one. You're to blame, right? You said Palestinians deserve a state, okay? And then
That's
you
not
did
what I
not.
said.
You
we
said,
should support.
America-
Soy said
Of a
deserve.
Palestinian
Soy
state.
did say deserve,
Okay.
but
Okay, Soy
but-
says a lot of things.
you said
I am not Soy.
America
unfortunately.
should support Palestine having a state.
Yeah,
Here's my argument for why we should not do that, right? On September 11th, 2001, there were no dancing Israelis, but there were a lot of dancing Palestinians. Okay, and if you tell me that was a long time ago, I will tell you to go fuck yourself. All right, like, because they haven't changed.
He's doing
That's
the lowest
the point we're making.
What do you
There
mean?
is a
The
pattern.
Palestinians didn't do 9/11, dude. What are
The
you talking
Palestinians
about?
didn't do 9/11, but they celebrated 9/11.
Yeah,
And
so did a bunch of people that have states and don't have
what we're
states.
showing you is right now. I have what 83 years of history. I have the Peel Commission in 1937. I have the UN Partition Plan in 1947. I have the post 1967 war proposals all the way through the 70s. I have the Camp David Accords. I have the Oslo Accords. I have the Camp David Summit. I have the Taba talks, and I have the roadmap for peace. That was 2003. That was right around the time they elected Hamas, right? The Annapolis Conference, 2007, the Kerry Parameters talks in 2013 and 14, and I have Trump's plan that just happened in 2020 with the Oslo Accords. Now, we also have the fucking brand new one that you motherfuckers say won't work, and it's only been going on for 3 weeks. So what I'm saying is there has been a pattern of behavior over 83 fucking years where there is one side that just goes, no, right? So at what point do you go, hey, maybe Wick is wrong. Maybe America shouldn't, right, actually support Palestine having a state, because maybe, just maybe, if you fucking rob me 3 times, I won't fucking let you in my house. Maybe if you screw me over, and maybe if my girlfriend cheats on me 1 time, right, I don't leave her alone with another guy. Maybe if she cheats on me 2 times, I break up with her. Right? Like, how about that? Like, can we just fucking use common sense here?
Again,
what are we even doing?
have to go into the specifics of all 11
No,
of
you
those
guys just
plans and
refuse
look
to recognize
at the
behavioral
reasons
patterns.
they fell apart. And because the way you're framing it as Palestinians won't accept any deal, when
Look,
clearly
I
there are
tried-
reasons that I may or may not agree with,
I
but
tried
you
11
can't just frame
times
it as
to
this
do a
like
thing,
simple.
which means I should just give up and never do anything else.
Yes, maybe
yeah,
we
that's what that
should.
means.
That's loser talk.
That's what that means.
That's loser talk.
Yes,
That's loser
yeah.
talk.
Look, hey, Wick.
All
if
right,
you're
she's
just
only
like-
cheated on me 11 times, boys.
This will be the
Take
time
my
where-
word.
I
Can I-
asked 11
can
girls
I-
out, and all 11 girls said no. I'm going to be an incel now. It's incel.
Well, can
what
I-
you're doing
can I
is
ask-
incel rhetoric.
oh, sorry.
You're acting like an incel.
50 no's and a yes.
Yeah,
it's still a
that's
yes.
what's happening.
Can I ask the question? Is
Sip harder, kids.
Palestine like resourceful
are
enough to create a state that would function and play well with others? Like, do they
You would
have
have
the
to support
capacity?
it in various different ways that would be expensive and time consuming, but it's
Oh,
possible.
expensive.
and
We
I
have
think
to
it's
pass
worth
the bill
doing.
before we know what's in it.
America's going to fund it now, guys. That's what he wants. America to
Hold
fund
on.
it.
I
You
think
asked
we
earlier
should.
what country
Yes.
doesn't look out for themselves.
I think
Apparently
we
it's
can
America when we
sequester
fund
a few
Palestine.
billion dollars that we give to Israel to help
Oh.
Israel not be attacked as much. It's probably
Look,
not that hard.
if we took the 40 billion that we're giving to
Insanity
Argentina
now.
and we put it in
Oh.
to building a Palestinian state,
Well, then what
I
happens
think
to
we could do it.
Argentina?
Hold on.
Well,
What?
then we just take it away from Argentina. What happens to Argentina?
It's not a zero-sum
Well,
game. We can
I
put
wonder,
more money
are you
out.
talking about the beef? Is that what we're
We
talking
can just
about
print
now?
more money. We can just give
we
Palestine.
literally
we can.
can.
Just give Palestine
We're
everything.
we're allowed to do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's no wonder why we're $36 trillion in debt, because people like you just keep on saying, you know what we should
Hey,
do? We should
Trump
just give
is
all
the
of our
biggest
shit away.
increaser of the debt,
Trump's the one
actually.
giving
So I don't know what you're talking
$40
about.
billion.
Hold on.
That's
Let's
not me.
reset. We've got just a few more minutes left. So if there's any final arguments you'd like to
let's
leave
do
on
some
the floor,
closings.
if not, we can absolutely move to closings. If anyone had one last.
Oh, yeah,
I
we're
think
going
I
to talk
made
about
my
Texas in
argument
a
pretty
second.
coherently,
tell you.
and I think that we've heard a lot of whataboutisms from the other side,
For
but we can do
both
get into that
sides,
later.
actually. Like, fucking not.
Yeah.
Why?
All right, well, let's go ahead and move into closing statements, gentlemen. Misfit, I will hand the floor to you to kick us off.
Good. Here's my closing argument. This whole fucking debate is retarded. It's the same as my opening argument, right? We have beaten this fucking horse to death, right? And there are so many people that want to keep it alive because they have, made a lot of views off of it. A lot of engagement has come from it. But here's the real deal. We shouldn't give a fuck about Palestine, all right, at all. Right. The reason why we should care about Israel is because they're a strategic ally. We get a lot from them, right? We get IT, we get medical, we get a strategic partner in the Middle East that fights our enemies for us. What the fuck do we get from Palestine? Nothing, right? Nothing, not even a little bit, right? Even Ukraine, I can make an argument for. We get mail order brides, right? But we don't get shit from Palestine. And you know what? America needs to be a little bit selfish every once in a while. We need to go, what do you do for me? Even Qatar, we have a military base there. You can't even put a military base in Gaza because it's a tiny little fucking strip, right? Israel is a country the size of New Jersey that's about 50% developed, right? Which means it's about half the size of New Jersey. And fucking Gaza is the size of Detroit. All right. And honestly, I can do without Detroit. So I don't care. I don't give a fuck about them. They're a bunch of fucking goat fucking inbred pieces of shit terrorists. Not all
There
of
it
them.
goes.
Most
Here
of
we
them.
go.
And you know how I know that? Because I watched the fucking footage from October 7th when it wasn't just Hamas that was going in and cutting people's heads off with garden tools. It was the fucking citizens. It was the citizens spitting on the fucking dead bodies of the women that were in the back of the trucks with their fucking hips broken because they were raped so many times. I don't care about these people at all. Not even a little bit. Right. And the fact that fucking Wick and fucking Soy Boy over here do, that doesn't fucking bother me. Right. Because they're retarded. So, bottom line, no, Palestine shouldn't be a state. Closing argument. Go
Well,
fuck
now that
yourself.
we've devolved into that, I just want to point out you've misspelled uncensored in your little banner there.
That's cool. I'm fucking dyslexic.
Oh, it is tiny. It's okay. Gibbs, your closing statement, please.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna use a portion of this to do a little Texas history. I know that Wick is excited to hear about it, so we're gonna do it. And because my ancestors are screaming out to me from the grave after my fellow Texan said some things, and I think he said it from the good of his heart. But we have to correct it.
I'm from
I come
Boston.
from the Gibbs. I come from the Gibbs family, right? Colonel Gibbs has a hotel in San Antonio where the cannons from the Alamo are held. I've been here. My family, my adopted family, been here since the Revolution. I take pride in my Texas history. And, you know, we talked about slavery earlier. Texas had 1/6 of the slaves at its peak that any of the other states had, right? Basically, it was the least number. Now, if you want to know why, it's because we're a ranching state. And I don't know if you can figure out what happens whenever you do free roam ranching. You have to lead people up from the bottom of the South Texas at the top, up to Dallas. But when that's 900 miles of open territory, and you put a slave on a horse, what do you think happens? They disappear. It's just not conducive to slavery. So we didn't have as much slavery here in Texas. So Texas, despite the leftist narrative, was
We had the least
state, but a very
slaves because
small
the
slave
slaves
state
were going to run
and
away
really we moved
on
away
the
from slavery in
horses.
general.
What are we
So
talking
that's not
about?
why Texas joined the Confederacy. We joined it because of our Texas national roots, and we were probably going to leave the Confederacy soon after the breakaway. Finally, now moving on. I don't know about all this other stuff, but if the United States wants to get these hands, they can come get these hands. But right now, things are pretty good. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Finally, back to what we're sitting here talking about, this topic at hand today. Listen, Palestine has proved to be untrustworthy in all regards. Every time we've offered them something, they've slapped it away. They've sat here, even when it's been just the actions. We go, hey, Israel says we're going to build water plants to help you. The complaint is they don't get fed, they don't get water. Well, guess what? They built 3 water plants. What was happened? The Palestinians tore them up, used them to launch rockets.
I'm sure the horses will come. Don't worry.
This has happened repeatedly. We can lose other numerous examples. They keep electing evil leaders, and they keep attacking the Israelis. There's no evidence to support this is going to change. And Soypill and Wick's argument is basically like, well, let's try the same thing a 12th time. You know, it's bound to work that time, even though the situation's gotten progressively worse. And we think that this time it'll work. And they offer no evidence to point out why is this time is any different. It's not any different, except maybe we can have some authoritarian states like Saudi Arabia and Egypt come in there and just wipe out massive numbers of people. And then we don't have to worry about claims on ethnic cleansing because there won't be anybody left because the other Arab countries kill them all. I mean, maybe then they can have a state. I guess that's what they're arguing. At least with what me and Misfit are arguing, they can join into Israel over time. They can assimilate, become full citizens like every other group that's done that in Israel. And I just don't see how their argument has any validity to it. And so in conclusion, they're wrong. We're right. Texas also is the best.
I didn't want Wick to be the only one that had a handle, so I went and got mine.
No. We know what happened last time you did that. Thank you. Soy Pill to you, please.
Sorry, I was just thinking about Texas slavery relativism.
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah.
I did
The horses, man. Speaking of horses, my chat's obviously requesting the horse video, Sarah. Look, the reason we're arguing for statehood is not, hey, let's let the Palestinians do whatever the fuck they want tomorrow. The idea is that when you have a group of people, wherever that is, whether it's America in 1776, whether it's any group that has ever formed a terrorist organization, almost inevitably is because of some sort of restriction, because their day-to-day lives are not allowing them the freedoms to express themselves, to have self-determination, to go where they want, to eat what they want. There's some sort of condition that is breeding this terrorism. And I think that Israel has been breeding this terrorism, not on purpose, obviously, although sometimes they did support Hamas to their own interest. They don't want people to fire rockets into their fucking country. States do this, non-states do this. The problem is that when you put these people in a position where they have no other way to communicate or express themselves other than, hey, let's fucking revolt because our lives are abjectly horrible, whether that is in part because of Hamas, it is, don't get me wrong. I think that can be alleviated with at least some sort of transitionary period into a statehood. Now, if it was true that Israel was going to let these people integrate into Israel, which I don't think is going to happen, I would be okay with that if that means that there's no state, but they get to have that sort of self-determination in Israel. Yeah, that's fine. They don't need a state if that was going to happen. I don't think anything close to that is ever going to happen, which is why I support some sort of either American or some sort of, oversight committee that is helping these people transition back into some sort of democratic thing, the same way we did in a Marshall Plan. I think that's totally feasible. And I think that if we look at every single thing where they rejected a peace deal and say that this is all just because Palestinians are unreasonable goat fucking inbreds or whatever the fuck you said, Misfit, it's completely ahistorical and you're not analyzing it the same way. Although I wish I was more informed on why some of these peace deals fell apart. I know for sure the Oslo one was because of terrorism that happened before, and they did accept it to an extent. But Israel is not some bastion of good faith where they're like, yep, here's your state, you get to do whatever you want. There are very many restrictions on these things. There are territorial claims. There are ways that Israel always comes out on top in these things, and it makes sense why some of these people reject it, whether or not you think it was a good deal. So I think that there needs to be some sort of ability for these people to have self-determination. It's not happening now. I don't see it happening anytime soon under the Trump admin. I think more violence is going to happen. I don't want that to happen. I think it's in America's best interest to have less people killed. I think statehood is the way you get to that. But anyway, thanks for having me.
Good argument.
Thank you, Soy Pill. And Wick, final words to you, please.
I'll be short. I'll be sweet. Okay. At the end of the day, it's about what will make the lives of the people in the region better and what will make the interests of America better. Misfit sees a field and it goes unplanted, unsowed, and he says, look, this isn't giving us anything. It's barren. Why should we do anything there? I am saying that we should plant some seeds there. We should actively till the field, cultivate the soil, and so that eventually, over time, it will grow us a good crop. Okay? I think it won't be easy and it won't be short, but giving Palestinians a path to statehood, right? Or I would even accept integration into the Israel proper would both be fine. But Israel doesn't want that. Israel has had 83 years to integrate Palestine into Israel proper. They have not done so for a variety of reasons that are some very good reasons. Palestinians have often killed Israelis. There is a problem there that has to be addressed. Hamas and other, again, terroristic governments that have run them and bad actors from foreign entities such as Qatar and Iran who have used Palestinians
As I'm moving soon, I
in order
practiced
to
not being loud.
strike
Hope I did a good
at
job.
Israel are a real problem. But that problem gets alleviated when you give Palestinians a state. And it's going to take time, blood,
Thank
and
you,
treasure,
World Blitz.
but it is something that Americans can do, and it
God's
should do
chosen
because it
donation.
will, overall, at the end of the day, once it is done, create a better world, not just for Palestinians, but for Israelis, for everyone in the region, and for America. Thank you, and good night.
Good
Perfect.
job.
Again, good night. Thank you, gentlemen. What a pleasure having you on for this. For the record, we're going to read your kind super chats and get through that. And then, of course, I have dropped the link into the YouTube live chat. So if you would like to come on to further discuss with the panel, you're more than welcome to hit that link now.
Yeah, wherever that Millie 999 is, you get in there. I want to fucking talk to you.
Hey, wait, I just to do the closing there. You, I guess you don't like the parable of the sower too much, huh?
Well, it depends on the
Yeah, it depends on the
part
message,
of
I
it.
guess.
which
Sarah,
part of it.
Sarah,
I just,
What's up?
I'm gonna hard out at 11, which is my time. So, but 35 minutes. I'm hard. out.
Okay, perfect. Well, I do have a panel sitting backstage, so let's move as quickly and concisely as we can through the super chats. If you have a response, please feel free to say something. And if you don't, just shut up and we'll move on. Evan Lord says, if you look historically, the region of Palestine has been primarily a region administered by the Egypt province under Islamic empires. And hello, Miss Sarah. Hello to you, Evan. Any thoughts to this?
Fact check true. Egypt has done a lot more persecution to the Palestinians than Israel has. Israel has tried to work with them because Israel cares about Israel and Israel doesn't want to fight. They're actually kind of, and I'm not saying this in like a negative way, especially as somebody who
I also like
supports
that
them.
Horth
You guys
song
are kind
best.
of
Thank you.
pussies, right? Like you guys don't want to fight.
I support tucking.
I think
too.
you should. I think that Egypt has the right idea. Build a giant fucking razor wall in between you and them and say, have fun. Like, that's what I would do, but they don't.
Fair enough. Tom Carpenter says, nice, classy look tonight. Don't know how long I'll be able to stay, but keep it up. Thank you, Tom. I see he was, yeah.
Can I mention on that last one real quick?
Oh, yeah.
I do just want to point out, you know, if you just look at that area throughout history, there's not many like places that there's never like Palestine. It's not ever a thing.
Yeah.
It's a late Ottoman Empire. You know, I don't know about it just primarily being under Egypt, but you know, we can look at like, you know, it was today by Greater Judea, under Rome. You know, we have the Levant. Like at some point, they're calling it that. Under different organizations, under different governments, we have like the Persians controlled it, the Babylonians controlled it. You know, and then the Jews definitely had different separate like kingdoms in that area, and Rome and all these areas, and they all had it, and none of them recognized Palestine as an area. In fact, even biblically, when you talk about us, you know, they're called Samaritans, but we don't hear anybody talk about Samaritan independence. You know, we could go further back if you want to really go further back. You go, oh, the Phoenicians, that like the little colony that came over to see peoples, a bit the Philistines. Sure, maybe.
I frankly,
why does it
look,
matter?
I frankly don't. I don't find this.
It doesn't.
I don't think this
There's no
is
historical
convincing,
claim.
or does it matter? The United States of America didn't exist for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, but we
I was
won.
gonna
The
say
difference
that.
is we won. That's the key thing. Is you're arguing for like a group that's never won this independence from any of the countries.
All right, so I think what we can do is we can separate two things, right? We can talk about modern history and the nation state of Israel and Palestine, and then we can go into historical, biblical,
they're tied together.
and theological arguments about whose land is it and whatever.
Penny
Let's just
Peddler,
go
thank
with
you for the $2.
modern,
Shakespeare
right?
mentions
The way
Palestine
you
by
create
name.
a
I did not
state,
know
like I
that.
said earlier, one of three ways: conquer, buy, or diplomacy. If you didn't do those three things, one of those three things, you don't have a country. So what we are arguing now is the very first ever state of Palestine, which is what some people want and some people don't. Right? So they have one of three ways to do it. They can conquer it. They can conquer Israel, create Palestine. I don't think they're going to win. Right? They can do another thing. They can buy it. Right? Israel could sell it. Don't think that's going to happen either. Right? Or diplomacy. Their way of doing diplomacy is to start a war, then hide behind their people and hope that the international community just goes, hey, leave them alone and give them a state. And I don't think that's a good way to do statehood.
They
I
kind
think
of
it sets a
did
precedent.
though. That's why the
No, but
international community is supporting a state.
But
and
that's what I'm saying.
Leave them
That's what
alone.
I'm saying. If it works, I don't think it's a good precedent to set.
Well, they only have to do it once.
Well, no, because if they do it, other states will do it. Other people will do it. They'll be like, all I have to do is kill a bunch of Jews, hide behind my own people,
This is
give it a few years, and then I get my own country.
Germany. Hey, it worked for Germany.
Let's go ahead and move on because I know we are on limited time with some of you. Evan Lords also says under the Roman and Eastern Roman Empire, the region of Palestine was administered by the province of Syria. It has always been significant.
example.
Misfit win.
Okay. Yes. Again, just because things have been different in the past doesn't mean they have to always be the same as they were in the past.
You don't like
and
Urbo.
in perpetuity in the future. We can imagine
Well, wait,
a better world.
I guess you didn't answer this earlier. Then you don't believe in Urbo then, and it's okay for Russia to take over Ukraine.
Hold on. What are you talking about?
Well, international rules-based order. Well, if you want a new state established that goes against international rules-based order, which wants to keep all the states the same, then you're against ERBO, which is something I've heard you defend in regards to like Ukraine and other states that are in
Hold on, I
conflict.
don't think that Russia is justified in taking Ukraine. No.
Yeah, but
So,
you
okay,
think
then
that
you-
But that
Palestine
doesn't mean that I support that in every instance that there is ever imaginable justification for one country to be established that doesn't currently exist.
But you're
These are
being
two separate
selective.
So
statements.
you don't believe in ERBO.
Okay,
So
not
you either do believe in it or you don't.
no,
It's pretty
that's
simple.
not true. I can support it in certain cases and not support it in other cases, depending on what the rules are and how they go about it.
The
I do not
antithesis
think
of-
that we should
of
freeze
what ERBO is,
time,
though.
right? No, hold on. I don't think we should freeze time right now and solidify the borders, and no borders can ever change. No
Wick.
countries can ever change in any way. I that's a silly thing.
Wick,
to
let me
think,
ask you a question.
right?
All
And
right,
let
so,
me
Wick,
finish my statement, and then you can ask my question. But let me finish my thought here.
go ahead.
Mhm.
My whole point is we can imagine a better world, and the only question I have is what we imagine and what we advocate for better than what we have now.
Wick,
And I think that having a
Hold on.
Palestinian state, again, over time, not
Bluesby,
tomorrow,
I
would
don't
be a
know if
better
Stand Your
state
Ground would
of
be at all analogous here,
world
and I
than
know
we
he
have
won't.
today.
He
Wick,
won't
if-
listen.
So you don't believe in ERBO. Okay, that's what because
Wick,
that's
if-
the antithesis to what ERBO is.
if the current lines that have been drawn that Russia has taken over from Ukraine, right, were agreed upon by the international community, that because Russia created this conflict and created this chaos, I think it's a good idea if we just give them that land and make Ukraine smaller. Would you agree with that?
If part of the statehood agreement for Palestine was, hey,
I didn't
on
say
October,
Palestine, I said
listen,
Russia.
I know, but listen, if Palestine, when they did October 7th, actually won and took over a bunch of Israel, and then the international community said, not only will you give you a state, we'll let you keep the land you stole in this war. Yeah, I think that'd be ridiculous, but that's not what's happening. So
Oh, okay, so but what I'm saying is, if you agree with that, you agree with the principle that if they take a different strategy of starting a war, coming back, and getting sympathy from the international community until they get a statehood, it's not the same thing. It's not a one-to-one
the problem
comparison,
is
but it's
that you're
very fucking
saying that
similar.
they started a war, which is
did.
technically true insofar as they started the greater conflict on October 7th.
No,
but the
they
problem
started
is,
a war. Like,
yeah,
let's not fucking-
exactly.
let's not
Sure,
split
the war.
hairs,
What?
dude.
Well, no, but the point is that like we're arguing that the conditions that led to stuff like that is the Israeli,
Well,
you know.
what if Putin argues the conditions of Ukraine?
Yeah, he
aligning
could say
with
that, but
NATO?
he'd be wrong insofar as
maybe
his
the
justification.
Palestinians
But
are
I think
wrong.
the Palestinians aren't wrong. Well, I'm not even saying the Palestinians are the ones arguing this. Obviously, they feel justified in
this
what
is
they're
what I'm
doing.
saying, in a
I'm saying it's
subjective
pretty
way.
evident that stuff like this is inevitable, even if it's not good. When
It's
you have the way Israel is,
interpretation.
what?
It's interpretation of why war. You're arguing that Palestine started a war, correct?
I would say that Russia doing what the Russia's doing now would be more justified, not justified, but
That's
more
your opinion.
understandable if Ukraine was
listen.
doing what Israel is doing to Palestine
Let's
as
get
to
let's
Russia.
get rid of
Yeah.
let's get rid of subjective and let's
Finish
go
your
to
thoughts, and then
let's
we're
go-
moving on.
no more subjective, objective truth, right? Objective truth.
Okay.
Russia invaded Ukraine. Objective truth. Yes.
Yes.
Right? Palestine started a war. Objective truth. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Those two things are true.
Okay.
Right? If the outcome is you get either more land or your own country, right? The goal of starting the war is succeeded, right? Yes. So I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison. I'm saying if this happens and Palestine gets their own state, then they won. They started
No,
a war and
because
they got their own
Hamas's
state.
purpose and hold on, Hamas's purpose in starting that war wasn't to get their own state; it was to kill Jews.
I
We
actually,
understand that,
for
right?
the
It
first
wasn't to
time,
get
we
to.
agree.
They don't give a shit. Let's be clear. Hamas doesn't give a shit about Palestinians.
I
They
get.
don't give a
We agree.
fuck,
Okay, let's move
okay?
on because
They just wanted to
Okay.
wipe Israel off the map.
I agree with you.
That's
That's what they
Finally.
wanted to
We-
do.
Uh,
Wick-
So it's a
Wick-
Evan
different
Lord,
situation.
Evan Lord says the region was going to be its own province under an Arabian province, western coast of the Arabian Peninsula, but wars with Persia stopped that plan.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about the historical things. I don't think that we want to dive any more into this. Just right
Okay.
now.
Kokomo sends out 5 Mater memberships. Congratulations to lucky lottery winners. Tom says, so what you're saying is every time they say, give me more, and when they break peace, it's just, oops, I did it again because they're toxic. That's how they
Britney
play
Spears!
out.
The reference.
Britney Spears.
See, I
I'm
didn't know I
gonna-
had to come prepared knowing about Britney Spears to the.
Yo,
to
I
the
am gonna
festival.
find that clip of
not
me saying
something
Britney
that,
Spears, and that's going viral.
I think if
Oh,
Israel
yes.
saw the video of Britney Spears dancing with knives and then blew up her house, I would disagree with that decision.
Okay. Evan Lord says
Fair.
the Romans, and we're back to the historical stuff, so I'll at least read them, and then you guys can pin it because Evan is hanging backstage. The Romans and
History,
Greeks called it Palestine
with
because
Hilbert-
of the
Hilbert.
Philistine Greek
Keep
colony
commenting. I
that
need
was
more educated
established
people
before the
to
Hebrews established their
supplement
The
my
Aegean
arguments here because
Peninsula.
I have a
And
pretty easy human rights
Hadrian
argument,
renamed
but
the
I'm woefully
region
under
officially after
knowledgeable
putting
on
down the Great
Israel-Palestine
Jewish
history.
Revolt. Due to that revolt, all the client rulers lost their autonomy privilege.
Fair enough.
Tom saying left day one. Let's pause for a land acknowledgement. Left next day. Israel has no claim to the land that was theirs for centuries until the 2nd century.
You know,
Which
that's-
is
See, Tom, I gotta say, you can't call me out on that one because I think both of those things are stupid. So
You know what? Hey, can we actually? I actually want to get your thoughts on this, Wick and Soy. Do you think that there is any validity to the argument of the people that lived there like the Native American argument, right? Like it's their land because you
No.
can trace it historically, theologically, and archaeologically back to the Jews.
I don't really give
So-
much track to that kind of
So you
argument.
just-
like land
alright.
acknowledgements, indigenous things. It's
yeah.
not a thing
I
that I
think
think
once
is
it's in the
Perfectly
past
fine.
enough, like it becomes completely untenable to try to
We'll move on.
rectify and redraw borders. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to know.
Interesting.
We'll move on. Okay.
Misfits starting to get tipsy. Tom says, "Come on, you losers! Gonna let me do this by myself?" Yes, and congratulations, chat. You did hit the goal. Let's keep it going. Hit the second one.
Tomato,
Tom,
I
also,
started to get tipsy 45 minutes ago.
oh my god.
Are
Well,
you-
now you're actually starting to slur.
Wait, yeah, I was
You're
gonna. Speaking of slurs, were the Arabian slurs, was that before or after the alcohol, or was that just something that normally happens?
No, that happens sober.
Okay, that's what I figured.
No, tomatoes had me sober before. I've done sober.
Mm.
I'm the same
It's
person.
gonna be one of those nights, huh?
So, oh my god. Tom says, "Looks like it's going to be on till the world ends. They just keep saying baby one more time. The question is it trouble for me or do I run away?" That's a lot of song dropping there.
That's way more Britney Spears than I think is healthy.
When
I
is,
wonder
is fucking Britney gonna release a
probably-
song called "Free Palestine" or something? So I can
Probably
super
like Googled.
Am I the only one that liked her knife dancing videos? I thought they were cool. I was like,
Well,
I would also dance.
thought
with
it
knives
was-
in the kitchen.
No,
I
I,
thought
I
it was
jerked off of those.
interesting.
We're good.
Well, all right.
Oh my
Now you have
god.
Okay.
Brick says, "Why should I pay for peace in another man's house, Israel/Palestine, when there isn't peace in my own house, America?" SCOTUS says government has no duty to protect citizens. Overturn Terry v. Ohio.
Confederate flag in
OTBO.
profile picture. Opinion discarded.
So,
Sorry,
wait,
not your
in what-
territory. Go away, traitor.
All
That
Deport
is
him.
the
Deport
battle,
this
that is
man.
the
They're
battle
not
flag
peace
of
in
Northern
America.
Virginia. All right, that is not
Like
the
we
Confederate
we have heightened let's just be clear about this. We have heightened rhetoric and heightened tensions in America, right? But to say that we don't have peace in America is a silly thing to say. We generally are a pretty peaceful nation.
Side note, that's the Robert E. Lee Confederate flag where he stood by free slaves and fought for their freedom.
Robert E. Lee fought
Fair
for
freedom.
slaves' freedom.
Yeah, no, you don't know that?
I didn't. How did you
He-
do that?
He fought with freedmen for what they believed was their right to autonomy in the South.
Was it after the Civil War?
No, it was during the Civil War.
Robert
it
E.
up.
Lee
Look
fought
up the
for-
battle. Look at the Battle of Northern Virginia. The battle flag of Northern Virginia is the thing that you keep calling the Confederate flag. It's not.
Okay.
After this, look it up.
I'll look it up right now.
Mis-
We have time.
Misfits getting cantankerous. Tom says material condition arguments only hold up if you pretend history didn't happen. He also says, "I think I've heard similar arguments. Just do exactly what we want and we'll stop looting, burning cars and buildings, blocking people from getting
That's a
to
good
work
point.
in hospitals because democracy."
How much does this dude
Yeah.
donate to talk?
I
I
like
mean,
Tom.
listen, he needs to
Tom-
keep
Tom
donating.
First
joined-
and last name. We
Tom
did not free
actually-
slaves. This is a lie. You know, I
Hold
figured,
on.
but I want to
Throw
Google it
another
first.
10 in the chat.
Yeah, I know it's. I
Tom-
know it's a
Tom
historical
joined
Hilbert,
the
but I
panel
want to. I
actually
want to
the
look
other
at
night,
it.
and it
I want to
was
look it up.
quite.
He's making a lot of sense this time, guy.
I like him.
Anson sends a big 10 just to say fuck the Crucible. He did that on purpose just to make me say it.
Andrew
Can I
Andrew
just say-
Wilson is a faggot.
Can I just say how big
Missed
of
Ooh.
it.
We're not allowed to
I
say that on
forgot.
stream.
I
Don't
forgot
get
we're on-
drunk.
I forgot. My bad.
Well, luckily
no
I was
more
talking over him, so they
Tito's.
couldn't
That was
hear
only
him.
one.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
I think-
hopefully that. Yeah, my
hopefully-
bad.
But
Yeah,
just-
I realized it after.
But just real quick, and I won't use any slurs. Yeah, Andrew Wilson, Rob Knorr are the biggest snowflakes that I've ever seen. To imagine getting so mad that you spurg out because someone laughed at you because you were debating poorly, right? Frankly, what a bunch of cowards and pussies. That's all I
Well,
gotta
he
say.
said pussy.
Yeah, but that's
Pussy's
not
okay.
Allowable
You
Couldn't have
slur.
done it. You
Pussy.
had to wait till you had to do it when I walk away, didn't you? God damn.
Yes.
Speaking of pussies,
God damn. No, Rick is right.
I will
like
go to
like
I will go to
vaginas.
war. I will go
And
to
some people
war
get
with
things
Andrew
sand
Wilson
out of
over
vaginas.
Sarah.
It's my kind of opinion.
Aw.
And trust me, he don't want that smoke. I've already beat him in a debate. He won one. We've had 3. He won 1.
I'll set that debate up. Oh my god.
We'll actually
Uh,
have a debate about whether or
A
not he
debate?
was right about
debate on who
Sarah.
won the debate. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh Lord, you guys, I'm gonna blush. Stop it. Kokomo says the Big Ten just to say smile. Yes, you all made me smile by hitting the goal. Thank you so kindly. One more, and we're bringing up our panel. Tom says if you put your ears to the ground and listen carefully, you can hear a horse approaching.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
yeehaws I got left.
If you put a
Did-did-did.
seashell to your ear, you can hear Andrew Wilson being a gay.
My
Being
god.
a gay. He really tried on
A-gay.
that one. Real quick, I did look it up, Misfit. I mean, like, I'm not sure where you're finding that he fought. I'm sure
So-
they had some freedmen, but he was fighting for the Confederacy. So the
He was
idea
fighting
that
for
this,
the no. So
like,
in-
what were they fighting for? You know, like to
look up
maintain slavery.
Look up his letters were that he abhorred slavery and that he was
Well,
against slavery, and he fought next to freed men, but they
against
had
slavery.
And he was fighting to preserve it. So like he didn't
No,
really
well,
have a
so
very
that's
strong
not- that's the
conviction to
okay,
stop
hold on.
stop fighting for the
Hold on.
Confederacy.
He actually
dude.
did
like,
free. Hold on. He did free his slaves, and before the
He
war,
freed his
he
slaves.
was
oh,
against-
that's how
he was
magnanimous
against it.
of him.
However, he did say he was like, no, I'm gonna fight for my region. You know, so he was
That's
tied
what
to it.
that's
And he-
what
I
and
hate to
be
do it,
fair
but
to
I
what
gotta
Floyd
preserve
Bill's saying,
slavery, guys.
No,
I don't
yeah,
love
to
it,
be
but
fair
you know,
to
my
Floyd
nation
Bill's
calls. You know,
his region
like
did back the slavery. Like it's not like he was like, yeah, all the people gonna be free down here. It was like, no, I'm gonna save my state.
Are you ready
I
to meet
support
your
the freedom of states
panel?
to decide
It
whether or
was-
not
it
people
was,
should be slaves. Okay.
It was Robert E. Lee was very it was nuanced, right? Where he was like I personally don't like slavery. I'm going to fight for my state, my
Listen,
my
I
land."
love Germany. I don't know about this whole Jew thing, but look, I'm gonna fight for
But-
the Wehrmacht.
I'm gonna
Okay.
fight for the I mean, yeah, I kind of, you know.
All
Sometimes
right, let's
Hitler
get our
went a little
panel.
too far in a few places, but I love my nation regardless. Okay.
Gentlemen,
This
are you
is-
ready?
this is
The
gonna be
panel's
wonderful,
waiting
dude.
patiently
not
backstage.
saying
Oh
I
my
like
god,
the dude.
who else is drinking? Is everybody drinking? Why am I the only one that doesn't have?
I'm getting hammered.
I don't know, that's my
Oh my
question.
god.
Problem.
Are you gonna I'm gonna have to call you again. Are you alive? All right, let's bring our panel up, gentlemen. Here we go.
Oh god. Let me mute this for you guys again. Well, that was fun. I think I'm able to have a fun debate performance without shouting and crashing out because I'm just expecting them to be a little bad faith and silly. Again, this was a favor to Sarah. You know, we love and appreciate her, but yeah, Hilbert, exactly. Fought next to freedmen to keep millions in chains. It's like, okay, like, what are they flying the Confederate flag to show how cool Robert E. Lee was for fighting or freeing his slaves? Like, no, they fucking weren't. Yeah. Well, I hope I don't get a channel strike for this one. I'm gonna have to unlist it. Yeah, I don't know how long you guys want me to stay here. Maybe half an hour, and then I'll talk to you guys. That's more fun, you know? Oslo Accords was bad faith. Yeah, that's the thing, is like if you look into the Oslo Accords, like how much of it was not really something that a lot of Palestinians would think is acceptable. I don't know.
All right. Let me reset. I think Misfits over there getting cantankerous. I love it. Just so you know, if you're watching over on YouTube, Tomato Side, the gauntlet is
Oh God,
officially
Tyler's here.
open, and I will be sending you over
God.
there in approximately
Tyler.
2 minutes. I will drop the direct link, so you can just head over now, or you can catch the raid. All right, Clay, you were hanging backstage first in line. If you'd like to go ahead and ask your question or throw in a thought.
Sure.
Ooh,
Yeah,
let's
it's
turn your
great
mic
to see you
down.
guys.
Hold on.
Oh,
That's loud.
Please.
That was
Yeah,
very loud.
you're very
I got you on my side.
overpowering.
Now
you.
start
check,
going.
check.
You're
You're
good.
good now.
All right. So for me, it's pretty simple. My tax dollars are for my people. This is a foreign nation. It seems like every time we get involved with foreign nations, as of recent, um, it just doesn't go well. The people in those foreign nations either despise us or eventually just stab us in the back.
Clay, do you think we should fund Snap?
Do I think we should fund Snap? I believe we should support our own people.
Okay. So you support
you-
like certain welfare programs then?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
Do
consistent.
you think
I
that
respect that.
do you think that we get that? What do you think America gets from its relationship with Israel?
$1.1 billion on average over 10 years.
That's it, really?
Yeah, well, per year.
But we get a lot of technology. We get a lot of advancements. Like, so obviously us being involved in foreign countries does give America benefits. Not all the time, but
Hold
you
on.
can imagine situations where
This
it
is a
does,
straw
correct?
man. This is straw man.
No,
My
it's-
tax dollars going to defend a foreign nation in civil wars. Essentially, this is a civil war. You're
Hold on,
talking
Clay,
about
Clay,
Palestine as a state.
Clay, do you agree? Okay, so they're in the F-35 program, right? They have developed a version of the F-35. They developed a new version of the F-16. We've seen them use this in real world. We've tailored some of our aircraft now based off their real world experience. We have joint missile defense programs with them. They're building like better here now. Their Golden Dome is going to be based partially on the Iron Dome. You're saying we don't want our tax dollars to defend another country. These are all benefits that we're getting because we've seen these technologies in action. That's like an incalculable amount of money that like we've saved in the long run. So when you say we're not getting anything, we're absolutely getting something out of this.
Can I jump in really quick, Clay? Would you say that if we were in a relationship with another country
Do
that
it,
was in a
Muad
civil
Weeb.
war and we were to show
It's
a
a great name, by the
benefit,
way.
would you agree that that was a good thing?
Yes.
Muad
that would
Okay,
be
that's
fine.
kind of
I
what
see
we're
it.
arguing
I think
here.
that's what we're arguing. I think that
Yeah,
if
if
you do the
if it's
research, yeah,
if it's
we do.
strictly business, that's fine. But
Perfect.
I'm not intent to go defend somebody else's ideals. So the First Amendment is of the greatest value to me because we all get to believe what we want to believe. And so when we're talking about foreign nations, we're actually talking about people who don't believe that very thing. We're actually, especially when we're talking about Israel and Palestine, we're talking about nations that literally go to war over their own beliefs.
Yeah,
Do you
but
believe that?
Clay,
do you believe
me
that-
and you probably don't believe even close to like 50% of the same stuff, but I'm still going to
But we
support
don't go
your
to
right
war.
to.
Yeah, we don't go to war.
Well,
Right.
yeah, but
Like,
I'm saying that
we
I would
solved our
support the
differences.
government, supporting you in the same way that I would support the government getting kickbacks and benefits from supporting other countries.
Yeah,
Like
we
America
solved our
very rarely
differences.
gives out aid to
Yeah.
any country without some sort of expectation of something in return. That's why
Why
we have
should
any
our
of those
aid-
programs.
Hold on.
Why
Go ahead.
why should our aid be firearms and missiles to a foreign nation to fight their own people?
That's not what it is. What? All right, Clay, are you a Christian?
Most people would identify me as a Christian. I don't say
Okay.
that, but yes.
So, if you want to look at it from a purely monetary standpoint, we have a relationship with Israel because we are the benefactor. We're actually the benefactor in most of our relationships with any other foreign, policy. There's very few, like Canada. We are not the benefactor of our relationship with Canada. Canada basically we
Those
fund
silly
Canada.
Canadians.
Right,
Okay.
but with Israel, we actually have, like I said, we have IT, we have medical, we have a military intelligence, we have a 1.1 billion
I welcome that, Muad Weeb.
average
Get in there.
per year over the past 10 years surplus for our foreign aid to direct spending and other
Hilbert, you're Christian?
benefits. So that right there is your logical argument. Your
no,
theological
you're just repeating what he
argument
said.
would be that we support Israel because of the land that they are sitting on, which is the land that Jesus walked on. So I think that there is a dual reason to support Israel, and one without the other doesn't make sense. And if you don't have either, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, don't you
So if
support
you-
in the death cult mentality that when the rapture comes, the Jews have to be in Israel? Because otherwise,
I'm
like,
not
what's the point?
I'm not an
no,
eschatologist.
no.
I don't believe in the rapture per se.
Yeah, no,
Like so,
you're
I don't.
barking up the wrong tree on that
yeah.
one.
And
No,
allow
so
me to interrupt, Clay, right before you go. I am officially shutting down on the tomato side, and we are moving over to the gauntlet. I've dropped the link into the
Oh,
live
and you're
chat.
Christian.
Either
Interesting.
go ahead and directly click over, or you can catch the raid. Otherwise, we'll see you there.
But to wrap it up, because I'm going to take a piss
Can I-
real quick. To
can I
wrap it
ask-
up, Clay, hold on one real quick. Clay, if you were to believe that we had not only a monetary
Hey, you got
and
those links, nice.
a foreign policy benefit from our relationship with Israel, and I think that I can make the argument that we have some sort of religious duty as a Christian nation to support them, wouldn't that be a benefit that we would actually have an allyship with them?
no. So essentially,
No.
I would only support life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So you wouldn't
If-
support another country even if Jesus walked on that land?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
good. So you're not a Christian. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna take a piss.
I told you that I don't identify as a Christian. The way that what happens is
retarded,
a lot of
He
people
says he
a
serves
lot
his
of
God
people-
alone. Whatever religion he belongs to, he's definitely the only one. So
Here's the deal, and I'll just be brief with this, right? We get things from foreign involvement. My life, mine, and yours, is richer because we have foreign entanglements. Does that mean all foreign entanglements are good? No. Does that mean all of our foreign ventures are
how much
good?
you want to bet Clay
No.
has a boss?
But the fact that
bet he
we
serves
are
his
able,
boss.
if we want to be America first, right, which I do,
Maybe he's a waiter.
America first means doing what's best for me and mine, and what's best for me and mine is having foreign relationships and strong allies in Japan, in NATO, in Israel, and in other parts of the world.
Now, how are you going to get that whenever you're funding a civil war?
What like this civil war you keep talking about? Are you referring to Israel Palestine?
Yeah, I mean that's essential. It's
It's
one
not a civil-
land.
it's-
It's one
it's not a
land
civil
where
war.
it
What
is
we're
one
doing-
piece of. It's one region where two factions have claimed territory.
Do you
That's a
think
civil
Ukraine
war.
Russia is a civil war?
That is yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
not
it's
what a
two
nation state
factions.
is.
That's not what a
No,
civil
Two
a
war is.
nation,
factions.
by
It is,
definition,
100%.
Clay, a nation state by definition has borders and distinct cultures. And so, I think that by itself is a reason why Palestine and Gaza should be a state, and the U.S. should fight for it, because we've seen in the United States, we want people to believe in Western capitalism. We want
we
them
don't.
to believe in this sort of Catholic
we don't.
notion of
Why do-
social
why do we want that?
justice.
Why do we want that? Why
Do
do
you-
I care what's going on in your house?
Why? Because
Hold
that
on,
is
Craig. I think I'm actually sympathetic to your argument. I can tell you why.
the
you
bulk
want
of.
this. I'm sorry.
Well,
I
you
should
should-
jump down. Go ahead.
You,
Dan.
sh-
Hand
you
out the
shouldn't.
mic.
Oh, I think his. Oh, yeah, there you go. Duck's back.
All right.
Is the argument why should we be?
If my
like, why
neighbor
should
is
we
shooting
care?
off bottle
Well,
rockets
but while he
and
figures
things
out
on
his thing,
fire,
I-
of course I'm going to care what they're doing.
Well, so
right?
so
And
Clay,
gonna-
I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, Clay. Right? Like I've argued. I even said during the panel, I thought America's being too fucking soft, giving away all its goddamn money. Why is my taxpayer dollars going to Timbuktu? It shouldn't be going to Timbuktu. We got problems here that need to be fixed.
Yeah, we need
right?
to subsidize our beef farmers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. No, listen, we don't need to talk about beef. You get me on
No, in all
but
seriousness.
listen, I'm
about
just saying,
policing.
like, I am sympathetic to what you're saying. However,
Gives
right?
us beef
we also,
farmer.
I'm
by
not
the
an
way.
isolationist, right? It sounds well good to be an isolationist until you realize shit starts happening places that you don't want to happen, and then by the time you get involved, it's too late. And
Debate it. He should
I don't
debate
want
World
this
War
later.
II.
power over there. Yeah,
We
World War
love
II is a
Duck.
good example. World War I, all this other bullshit all over the world. We let shit fester, and it's bad. And sometimes it sucks for these people. They got to get destabilized for our best interest. And I guess in this case, Israel, they're letting us test all our weapon system. We're getting a direct benefit while our enemies are getting weaker. Israel basically, with
Guys,
one
go
strike of
subscribe to
ours
Hilbert.
and the
Let's
rest
get
of the
into
strikes theirs,
500K.
took out a perennial power like Iran, if you believe in multipolarity, a perennial point of power. One of them is in the Mideast. Iran's one of those, an ancient empire kind of thing. We took them out. They're not a military threat. They've been a problem for the last 20 years. Israel did this for 99% of us. If you're saying we're not getting a benefit and we're not benefiting as Americans from that, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And I think it's a cost-effective thing.
That's not what I'm saying.
Money over
Clay,
here.
That's not what I'm saying.
Clay, do you think that we should have a? Do you think
I
that we
agree
should-
with you. I don't want somebody to spit frivolously on other countries.
Clay, do you think that we should have any type of relationship or partnership with China?
We can. I don't
Oh,
believe
so
it's a
just
should.
not
It's not
Israel.
a should question. Right. No, it's not a should question, right? So essentially I look at it from the standpoint of business, right? So
Yeah.
the real value of that region is the trade route.
If
okay?
I was to tell you, if I was to
let's
tell you
get
that
all-
we have a
Blues
net
bees in
negative
the
with China,
chat.
but a net positive with Israel, would you say that one is
yeah,
better than the other?
that doesn't bother me at all. I don't
No.
care how much money we spend. I don't care how much money we
So
collect.
you just don't care if shit makes sense.
No, I do. I care because I care about the lives of the people here in America, and that's
So
it.
What
Right?
about
So if we
100,000
send our
people that
boys-
die every year
if
from
we s-
fentanyl? Like
if
you
we
care
send
about
our
that?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great
non-farm,
I don't
I
see
have
how
no
he
idea what the fuck
couldn't.
he's talking
why
about.
why do we send our boys over to foreign nation
Hmm.
and then we have problems right here in America?
But the people that die from fentanyl, right? 100,000 a year on average, which
Are
is
caused
low
by
number.
Israel?
That's a good point. We should send
No,
javelin
that's caused-
missiles.
that's caused by China.
No,
That's
Misfits
caused by
right.
China.
Misfits right. We should send javelin missiles to fentanyl addicts.
No, what we
There
should
we go.
what we should do is we should actually
Use
focus.
that.
We should actually focus on tackling the real foreign relationship that is actually a problem for America, instead of the foreign relationship that is a benefit to America.
Well,
Because
Dweeb,
there
there
no
is a
benefit
queue, I
to
believe.
having China, right? Which takes advantage of us on tariffs, takes advantage of us on they buy up farmland over here. There's so many.
How do you
things that
propose
China-
we get oligarchs to agree to stop accepting things
No.
from them?
What I'm saying is it's a complicated issue. What I'm saying is the Israel issue is a very simple issue. It's a country the size of New Jersey. Our foreign policy
Yeah,
over
you
there
can talk
can
whenever.
be settled with a fucking meeting, especially when they're amenable to Donald Trump. But with China, we have to deal with Xi Jinping. We have to deal with all the fucking bullshit, right? So I just want to know why Clay doesn't have the same energy for China as he does for Israel.
And before you, sorry, let me allow me to read the. Tom says, "Let's not pretend all the Union soldiers were anti-slavery," and I think that was in regards to your comment, Misfit.
Yeah, no, like I said, Robert E. Lee was a very complex person where he was against slavery. He had he freed all of his slaves right before the Emancipation Proclamation. He fought with freed slaves, but then you had Union members that were actually pro-slavery. They were just on the team. So there was it's complex.
There was draft riots because
Kentucky
people
was
didn't
a-
want to fight in
Kentucky
the
was
war.
Kentucky was a split state, and they flew the same flag.
Can we just admit that, like, no matter how much he was anti-slavery, he clearly didn't hold this conviction strong enough to not fight for the country that was
Well,
trying
you're
to
making-
preserve
you're-
slavery?
You're trying
He
to
was defending his homeland.
simplify it. You're trying to.
No, I think it's pretty
simplify it
simple.
down
There's no
to-
need to
If
simplify
you
it. I
said
mean, what did he
if
fucking
you said
fight
that I
for,
was
risk his life for?
yeah,
He
if I
wanted-
was
he was fighting for
anti-American at my
Northern
core,
Virginia. He was
but I
fighting
fought for
Northern
America.
Virginia's independence, and he did not personally align with all of the. Like, you got to understand, the Civil War was not just about slavery.
But it was
about
the
states'
biggest
rights
thing,
for a
right?
bunch of
That's
different
not
reasons.
enough to make you switch up.
Let me
what you're
transition
doing.
just a nudge because average Israel enjoyer wants to chime in, and then he's going to head out. So I want to give him the moment so that he can make it brief. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not important. I don't mean to take precedence. I just want to make some room in the
You
panel.
are important.
Clay, to take a quick crack at your question, the reason we do it is cheap goods. U.S. hegemony has created the most peaceful state that we've ever had, the most peaceful world we've ever had. It gives us consumer confidence. That's why we see all this trading all over the world, so cheaper products from all over the world get to come to the United States. Thus, we have cheaper goods for the United States, and if one of those countries gets into an entanglement, we need to defend them. So my actual question is for Gibbs and Misfit Patriot. You guys are on the anti-team. I think we probably line up on about 50% of my politics. I'm kind of in the center, slightly to the right by some definitions and left by others. So I want to argue with you. With your long-term stance of one state, you're saying eventually assimilate the Palestinians in. But if we look at Jordan, where there's like 3.4 million Palestinians, they don't want any
Know
more.
what I'm saying?
That's I heard that earlier, so
I'll say it. No, yeah, but that's fine. But even with the
Maybe
3
Gibbs said it.
3 or 4 million, right? Yeah, they lost the
Hold
little
on.
civil war.
Let me set it
Right.
up. They don't want the rest of the Palestinians, though, is what I'm saying.
No,
Jordan
they
doesn't
don't
want
want
them.
the rest.
Egypt
No.
doesn't want them. They have all these problems with the Muslim Brotherhood. They got kicked on an island. They treat them as second-class citizens. So my question is, why isn't Trump's Magaza plan, where not only does it solve Clay's problem of United States investment, but it also solves the problem of Israel having to oversee the region by ceding it off to a third party, which is the Arab nations, that are much more
I
strict
just
on
want to say
Palestinians. and
hello
keep them
to
in
all
line
two
much
of
better
you
than the
watching on
Israelis
Twitch. I
do.
appreciate
Why
your
is
Twitch
that not your
support.
guys' ideal stance?
That is what Trump's plan is, and he's like Trump's plan is to have the mediators of this deal to be the surrounding
Yeah.
nations.
Why is that not your stance? Is my question.
That is my stance.
Oh, so that would be a two-state solution, though. Eventually,
No,
Palestine
no,
would be-
it wouldn't. No, there's no two-state solution.
That's not
The
my sense.
surrounding nations are going to be pro-Israel.
No,
No, the surrounding nations
are going to.
in perpetuity
Go
for
ahead.
the rest of time.
Right now, 4 of those surrounding nations are talking about joining the Israel
That's not my
Accords, or
stance.
the Abraham Accords. That being said, the Trump plan is to create a separate entity that is going to be Gaza. Gaza is going to be overseen by a technocrat board for X amount of time until they're able to sustain themselves. Then they're going to be able to eventually have their own state under Trump's plan.
Well,
Sure.
that's not necessarily what there's no guarantee of a two-state in Trump's plan. It's more like it's like a proposed, like, hey, maybe if you don't fuck around.
I differ from this. So my answer is degrees of goodness, right? All right. So in one area, my optimum scenario is
Holy,
US
this
just
panel
conquers
is a
the entire
raging
world.
tomato
That'd be the
panel.
best.
Almost
You know, good for
everyone that
America,
joins and
good
is
for
in
the
the
American
audience
empire,
is
everybody's
incredibly
there,
right
That'd be
wing.
optimal.
Sometimes
number
left wingers
two in
jump
this
in.
scenario,
It's very rare.
We'll just let Israel handle it. They're a little attack dog. They're a little boy over there. They hang out with us. They hang in our club. Palestinians hang out with the other kids' club. And those clubs, they don't like us. So,
It's been hell for Israel, though. It's been awful for Israel.
Well,
Israel is completely attacked
yeah,
by
but
the UN, which is a
hold on.
corrupt
This is the
organization.
point. Hold on. This is the point that I made earlier, right? But I asked our opponents, hey, who do you think is going to be more, genocidal in the ways that y'all are describing? Israel, or like I don't know, Saudi Arabia and Egypt, who are okay with human rights violations? Clearly, they have no problems.
Do you think
Who
Israel
you think's gonna
isn't?
call- No, I think Israel's tried to
They
do this
haven't
justly. I
at
think
all.
they've fought with their hands behind their back, knowing the whole world's watching them. I think they've tried to be as not good as they have. Sure, there've been some bad apples, just like there are in every fucking war ever. But like overall, I think they've tried more than most of these countries. And if you think Egypt and Saudi Arabia are going to try like Israel's tried, you're wrong. There's no evidence that. We know they like killing people. So, yeah, I don't see that being better. So then my third best option is, okay, we do this Trump plan. But that's still better than the total option of, hey, let's just let Hamas
I think
have
Tyler
its own
just said
terrorist state.
Israel's not committed a single
I
human
think we're-
rights
I think we're
I
violation.
think you're starting to sound more like Captain Morgan.
We're still in the phase.
well, that's a good one.
We're still in phase 1, and
Yeah.
phase,
I know, listen,
phase
I know
one,
that
like,
at advanced point it's hard for you to follow. It goes A, B, C, D. That's
They
called
still
basic
have-
logic.
so let's
They still have 20 of the bodies. They still haven't accepted a ceasefire.
well,
They
hold
still
on. Let's
haven't
break this
accepted a
down. Let's break this down in reality. All right, like phase 1 is not going to be perfect. Phase 2 is not going to be perfect, and phase 3 is going to be determinative of phase 2 and 1, and phase 2 is going to be determinative of phase 1. So it's like you're asking us to like opine on some like linear like thing that's clearly going to be very complicated. What
That's
I'm
fair.
saying is if you were to say that all the dominoes fall into place, what's being proposed right now is not a two-state solution. It's a coalition of Arab states under the Abrahamic Accords that are going to invest in property on the Gaza Strip so that when Gaza tries to fuck around with Israel, they're going to have investments that are going to be under threat, and they are going to be more incentivized to stop Palestine from
Okay,
doing that.
I get that. So let's say the plan does go forth. They get the Hamas to either leave or disarm and pledge fealty to Israel or whoever they need to. They bring this Arab technocrat coalition in. The IDF backs off, and they eventually get their own state. Essentially, what you're proposing here is a two-state solution with your argument if everything goes right, which is a big.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not opposed to a two-state solution, but I'm only okay with that.
You're
If
opposed to
What?
two-state
I'm
I just wanted to give you guys. Hey! I just want to give you guys.
Are we? You know, I don't like declaring victory, Sarah, but
I just
Oh my
walked
God.
in here
Let me
and
finish.
won the prompt. I just want to
No,
say I walked in
hand
here
it
and won the
He is
prompt.
not speaking
no,
for
you
me.
fucking
I'm just
didn't.
saying.
No, you didn't, because you didn't let me finish my fucking sentence.
I'm fucking around.
You don't let me finish my sentence. All right. Am I okay? Am I okay with my junkie brother right now borrowing $40 from me? No. After 10 years of him showing that he's been sober and showing me a chip every fucking year, and I know he's going to meetings, can he then borrow $40? Yes.
what about 4 years?
Am I
That was my question.
okay? Am I okay with a two-state solution down the road? Hypothetically, maybe. I don't know, maybe. But no, that's not
welcome.
So what opportunity have they shown that?
If they show a
had to
pattern
show?
of behavior. So we just said they showed a pattern of behavior over the past 83 years of murdering Jews, right? So no.
Under what
you don't get a
circumstances?
state.
Definitely not
Right?
tomorrow.
If
Yeah,
they
next
show,
year.
if
Oh,
they
Like,
show
yeah,
a pattern,
we gave Germany a state after
Hold
4 years after the Holocaust. It took them a
That's
little
all I
while,
got.
but we
yeah,
got
and
them on
they're not
board.
murdering Jews anymore. So maybe
Yeah.
is all I'm
Hi,
saying.
Tyler.
Okay.
Did you want to say any final thoughts before you leave?
Pentuple and I started a podcast once a week. It's pretty fucking funny. Check
I'm
it
not
out.
watching it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Wait,
but
Tyler,
come on-
did you say that
come on-
Israel has not committed a single human rights violation?
I thought you said war crimes. The Biden administration in 2024 did an investigation into the allegations from Amnesty International and found zero proof of any war crimes committed by Israel. Misfit, you should come on a Gibbs panel every now and then because I'm sick of being the only Israel defender.
I'm not doing that.
It's fun. We have a good time.
Oh, Gibbs is a fun time.
I think I'm a fun
I'll
time.
go
I
on
don't
there
even
with
want to.
you.
I don't even want to be here. I'm actually like I'm 4 minutes
All
away.
right. Have a good night.
Misfit.
Sarah, you're the
Great.
only reason I'm fucking
No
here. So
fun.
you better shut up.
Hey, Sarah's the reason I'm here too. We all love Sarah, don't we, folks?
True.
Aw, you guys
Wait.
do love
No, I'm here for Wick too. I forgot about Wick.
I don't give a shit about Wick.
And
I'm
then
here for Sarah.
everyone was sick. Everyone trying to put this panel together was like, yes, I'm in. Oh, wait, I'm sick. Yes, I'm in, but I am sick. Let me confirm. Oh, I'm sick. I don't know
Well,
if
I was sick on Friday, so you got lucky.
Oh, well, I did get lucky. I'm a lucky girl.
Or
all right.
hungover. I don't
Oh,
remember.
baby.
It's probably hungover for you. Tom says Clay was the first called Christian on the Gauntlet. From there, he went out to the whole world, and therein he did forthwith promote his philosophy of the reverse hat.
What in the fuck does that mean? I
Because
I
Clay
don't
did
wanna know.
not Clay
Oh.
did not acknowledge necessarily being a Christian. He said he's kind of like off in his own beaten path.
All right, I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
Sarah. I'm going to stay on the panel until I finish this drink.
Oh
So-
Jesus, that'll be like 3 seconds, and then you're gonna
No.
fall on the floor.
No, I don't fall on floors. You know me. All right, until I start calling everybody cunts.
Oh my God, look at that!
One
Well, that's
shot
He
of
doesn't
vodka.
fall on the
2,
floor. He
3,
bounces back
4,
up.
5.
All right, look,
I have severe concerns.
that's how high it is. There's no ice.
Well, what's the other beverage you put in there? What's the mixer?
Liquid death sweet tea.
Jesus
Liquid
Christ!
death. Don't you know
Yeah.
that a Satanist blesses every one of those cans and they
I
lied
do.
about
I
their
do.
plastic?
So Tim Pool just blocked me because, and I was on his show. He blocked me because I went after Tim Pool because he was trying to cancel Liquid Death, and I was like, "Hey, I don't even care about Liquid Death. I thought it was douchey, overpriced water." But what Tim Pool is doing is kind of fucked up to Liquid Death because Liquid Death, they're trolling you with that whole like Satan fucking shit, and Tim Pool's taking it literally, but he's not really. He's just trying to cancel them. So, long story, but you go to my page, you'll find it.
Mm.
I like railroaded my own relationship with
Jump
one of
in,
the
Muad
biggest
Dweeb.
platforms because of principle. Like it was.
Hey, I
was
respect
like-
that.
You just kind of, I noticed you just kind of don't care. You're just like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, either take it or leave it.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
You
make
can
a
call, you
lot
can
of
call
I
Tim
make a lot of
retarded on
money.
his channel, and he'll
I make
still
a
invite
lot
you
of
back.
money building bathrooms. I don't need to do this at all.
That's fair. But you still keep, I feel like every time I see you, your platforms just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So something's working.
Yeah, because I don't give a fuck.
That's
Well,
right.
You want to link the letter, Duojet?
That's
Well, what's the
alright.
letter called?
All right,
Fair enough.
Wick, I have a question for you. Why the fuck is your beard so long? What the hell are you doing?
He's-
Not cutting it. If you
Yeah,
don't
I
cut
get
it,
The
that.
beard of a
it
wise
grows.
man.
He's
Yeah.
going into his
If you
Lord
have
of the
enough
Rings era.
testosterone, okay.
You look like
it'll
Santa.
grow.
You look like Santa if he was giving presents to kids out of the back of a van.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Evan, I wanted to give you the opportunity to jump in with a question.
Oh yeah. For Soy Pill and Wick TV, I think it's pretty obvious that Israel is going to stay here. They have they have the military force, they have the political capital, they have a lot of influence to where
Okay.
basically all that being said,
Yeah, well, none of us are advocating for the destruction of Israel. So
no, what I'm saying is if you look at the opinion polls of Israel, most of them do not want to live alongside a Palestinian state, and part of them are feeling very uneasy with the prospect of having Palestinians inside their nation. So, them removing a population displacement is very likely. But a silver lining is if there's no Palestinian state, there a lot more archaeology can open up around the region. Specifically, a lot of like the ancient and classical settlements, like with the actual Philistines, the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, and other groups. And the main reason they aren't doing that now is because a lot of the Palestinians are very paranoid, thinking that it's just the Israelis digging underneath the Al-Aqsa Mosque and just planting
I found
dynamite
it,
so
Duo.
they
I'm gonna read it.
destroy it. So, looking at like the sake of human civilization,
Yeah, wait,
or
what's the
the
question?
question is, do you value the human rights and the human dignity over the culture of human history?
Yes.
Why?
I guess so.
I value the living more than the dead. That's true.
But what if they become the dead? Then
I don't want them to become the dead.
the
I
thing
would
is
rather them
that
not become the dead.
there's
I think what you're trying to, Evan, if you don't mind, I think
go
what he's
ahead.
trying to say is that there's a 3,000-year-old holy war going on in that land, and I don't think anybody is going to expect either side to change. So if it's kind of like putting red ants and black ants into a jar and shaking it, if you continue to do that, and the ideology of the Palestinians kind of is contradictory to the Israelis. So do you
What
care more about
shakes
the
the
do you
jar
care more
more?
about do you care more about that, because it's not going to ever
I
change?
think both
I
religions are
project-
equally dumb.
What shakes the jar more? Constant agitation from both sides or independence of both states?
Well, we're getting into a
If they both have autonomy, is what I'm saying. They would be in
Right.
separate jars at that point.
well, so Egypt is doing that with that razor wall that they have right now, right? So
God, first name,
I
last
know
name.
that
Now
those
I
are
know what
both
you look
red
like.
ants,
What's
but
up,
like
dude?
what Egypt has done is they've gone, fuck you, Palestinians. You guys are too fucking radical. We're going to separate you from our jar. And it works. It actually works really well. What Israel does is we're going to put up a little fence. It's like a chain link fence. Don't knock it down and try to kill us. And then they do. And Israel's like, why'd you do that? So I don't know. I don't know the answer.
It might have to do with the oppression of their people.
How
Just a guess.
do you oppress?
You instill curfews. You forbid people from going into certain areas.
Okay.
You take their land. You occupy it.
Is oppression firing over 13,000 rockets in 1 year
Yeah, both
at
sides have
another
bad
nation?
actors. That's true.
No, stop the both sides shit. One side did this. One side shot 13,000
not
rockets.
Did you know that
Israel
radical
has never had
abolitionist John
any-
Brown killed a bunch of people?
Hold on.
Do you,
no,
do you
stop.
know that
Just
Palestine
real quick.
shot
Do you not think that
13,000
Israel has
fucking
any
rockets?
culpability in how
Look
these
at
things turned out at
whataboutism.
all?
Take it whataboutism, fold it up into
But
a nice
Wick,
little
but
fucking
Wick,
ball.
it's hold on, it's different levels, Wick. When you say that, this is why I keep bringing up the water plants. So we can use other examples, like some of the power plants. They got torn down. There's like a few other infrastructure projects. they worked
I
on.
agree that Hamas shares the most blame in this. 100%.
Okay, so-
Okay,
But
we
to act
agree
as if
then.
Israel has done nothing wrong in the 83 years
I'm not saying
is
that.
just
No,
a
I don't think anybody's saying that. I think that what happens is, right, we get into this argument of, and I don't like this argument, but who started it, right? And it is a valid
not
fucking
arguing that.
argument.
I'm not even
No.
arguing that. I want to say, like, so Wick, because one of y'all, and I think you've actually both alluded, starving and like they're
Yeah,
starving,
Shiv, I'm a
right?
gyno.
Well, if you build water and power plants and then the government of that region tears them down, at what point are you not culpable anymore? I built you the thing you need out of the goodness of my heart. I didn't have to do it, but I did it. And then now y'all tore it down and used it for rockets. At what point is it not our bad? Like, anymore,
And hold your thought for a moment. Tom says you can hit the like even if you don't have a job or struggle with logic like Soy Pill. Poor Soy Pill.
This is my job. I'm getting paid to
and-
be
Why
here,
are you
buddy.
singling out Soy Pill? You know
I'm
I'm on
probably
Soy
the
Pill
hat.
soon, right?
It's probably the hat.
Why did you just
Probably
why
the
are you
hat.
putting your hate
You
to
guys
Soy
have a
Pill?
problem with the hat?
maybe.
And I'd like to
You,
let
wait, you guys don't think it
Evan-
makes me look cool?
Also, props to
Evan-
Soy Pill. He wears the hat out.
Mhm.
That is special.
You wear that
Evan, you'd
outside?
like to
Oh, not all day, but when I'm in character.
Everywhere.
in
Everywhere.
character.
All the
Evan would
time.
like to make his exit. Evan, would you like to give your final thoughts to the panel, please?
All right. Well, I think that in life you gotta have to accept some things are going to happen. Like if someone is stronger than you and there's nothing you can do to kind of like resist them from doing minor annoyances, then you kind of have to
Oh.
deal with it. And when you look
I
at
thought he was
like
about to talk about rape,
when you look at
dude.
geopolitics, a country like Poland or Chechnya or the Czech Republic or other places, they have to go and tiptoe around bigger powers because they can't do anything against them. So when you look at a
Corn Man, there's a bunch
situation
of
where the
soy
Israelis
pill
have
beans,
overwhelming
soy
force,
beans
they have
in the
like they have
panel.
military
First name, last name,
superiority, they
Bluesky,
have
so
more
how could I
money,
be the
more
smartest if they
resources.
watch me?
You kind of have to accept that it's just going to be the way it is, and even if all the nations go against them, and they do push the Israelis out temporarily, the United States and Western Europe will go and reinstate that country again.
Yeah.
So when looking at it like that, I feel like it's better to go and just go along with it and then try to go and subtly
Just let
influence
it
a
happen.
policy.
That's what they
No, you know what?
Like
Evan,
with what
Evan brings
Trump
up a
is
good
doing.
point, though. Evan brings up a good point. Imagine if Canada doesn't like America. They hate us, right? They're like, America.
Actually,
I'll
I
have
saw
you know
the
that there's
polling kind of
Canadians that
fluctuates based on
love
who's
America.
president.
Yeah, but you know what? What the
I
fuck are
can
they gonna?
attest.
What the fuck are they gonna do? You know, you want to fucking start some shit? Go ahead, go ahead. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. He's got a point where it's like, okay, Palestine, fucking whatever. They might not like their situation, but that's their situation, and unfortunately, they
She
have to
wasn't
deal
flaming
with it.
me, Shiv. She
And
was
they
reading a
have
super.
to. They are the ones that have to make concessions. Israel doesn't have to make concessions. Israel could fucking wipe them out. They have nukes.
No,
they
they
wanted
actually they couldn't because they would face an international backlash that would
No,
literally
but they
cause them to get
could,
invaded.
and then they would face an international backlash.
Yeah, well, I
They-
could go jump off a bridge, but I won't because I'll die. And the same
Yeah,
reason
but
Israel
look,
won't
here's the
wipe
deal.
Palestine off the map with a nuke, even though they
Soy.
might want to. Some of the people in government.
Soy pill, right? Soy
Yes,
pill.
they absolutely would.
I could, right, knock you out, right? Like I could,
I don't know,
wouldn't.
man. I'm
Could you?
nimble.
I
I'm nimble,
wouldn't,
bro.
But I could.
This is what you wanted, you freaks.
This message is
Fucking
sponsored
happy
in part
trash.
by.
I wasn't even being aggressive. I was just.
You
Tweak the
weren't,
dome.
but it was sponsored by Tom, and I know Soy Pills viewers like to see the
Yeah,
lovely
they were
lady
craving
on
it
the
since
horse.
last
I
time.
wasn't even
Yeah,
trying to. I wasn't even trying to be
You
aggressive.
were. You were.
Tweak the dome.
100%
I could.
were.
All right, I could beat up a 5-year-old, right? Like instead of trying to be. No, but I could win that
Well,
fight
that's a good
100%.
comparison.
What would happen if you beat up a 5-year-old though?
Some
What would happen to you?
Would someone
some
come
people
in
get
and
mad at me,
stop you?
Yeah, what would
mean-
happen to you?
But if I
To
could
be
beat up,
fair-
but if I could beat up their dad and their uncle and their fucking uncle.
What if you
uncle,
killed
I-
like 50,000 5-year-olds?
What I'm
Oh
saying
my
is, if
God.
you can do it, right, the other person really doesn't have a choice. They kind of have to accept the fact that they are the weaker
Yes.
person.
If you had a 5-year-old and you beat him up, the 5-year-old would have to accept it. But there would
Yes.
be consequences for
Why?
you from other actors
What if I
for
just
your
could?
action. You understand that,
Well,
correct?
what if
What if
the
I-
5-year-old
What if the
5-year-old formed some sort of like
Perfect
movement
world,
of
you
their
could assault a
sisters?
child and it would be okay.
But this is why I
but
wanted to
we
use
don't
the
live in
soy
a
pill.
perfect world.
This is why I wanted to use the soy pill
Oh.
analogy.
You can use soy pill
Bluesby-
anytime. I don't mind.
Bluesby wants to make his exit, so and I think Tom
Yes, ma'am.
purchased him time to talk.
I got a heart out in about 10 minutes too. Just
Okay,
FYI.
that's fair.
Yeah,
Yep.
13 minutes for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to lock up. I got to keep Admiral Gibbs from all this stuff. I got to lock the door.
It's a problem.
So-
You know, I'm known for kicking indoors and taking whiskey.
Oh my God,
You
Bluesby
know,
I
watches
gotta
me at
wrap this
convenience
up. I gotta
store
set
work.
the
I'm
alarm.
so honored.
But this was fun. I'll definitely be joining next time.
Thank you, Bluesby.
See y'all later.
It's good to hear
Thank
from
you,
you.
Bluesby. And first name, last name, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. I believe you had some thoughts to add in.
Nope,
Oh, you're
guess not.
muted
You're
on
You know what?
muted.
That's
You're muted on your end.
beautiful.
He was waiting so patiently for
Yeah,
something.
much like
know.
Jesus, I do come for
Don't
like
kick
a thief in
him.
the night and steal
It's
liquor.
something on your end. It's not the button on our end. It's something on your audio on your end.
But while we're waiting, can we do a land acknowledgement for all of the nations in the map behind him?
Oh, dun, dun, dun. Missed it. How much of that handle have you had just today?
Good
Oh,
to see
not
you,
much.
Bluesby.
Probably
Listen, don't ask questions you don't want to answer, all right?
Wait, while
I
we're
100%
waiting, I had a
want the
question
answer.
for Misfit.
probably from the V
well,
on vodka.
This isn't really a question, but I just
I
found this.
wasn't like threatening you, by the way.
No,
earlier.
I know.
Oh,
It's
I
fine,
was
it's
gonna
fine,
laugh
it's
so
fine.
hard if that wicked like pulled out a bleach can right there. And it was
Like if we hung out, I would be very
Sometimes
nice.
I
to
wish.
you.
I'm
I
sure
had
we'd
some-
have a good time. No, I just found this quote from Robert E. Lee, because he wrote a letter to his wife about
Yes.
slavery, which is true. He said it is a moral and political
It's a
evil,
moral and
but he
political
notes that it's a greater evil to the white man than to the black race, and that the
Yes.
painful discipline that they are undergoing is necessary for their instruction as a race,
Sure.
and I will prepare and lead them to better things. So,
No,
you know,
know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't really like Robert E. Lee's
Soy,
views on
soy.
black people,
Soy.
even though he was not
my
for
mic working
slavery.
now?
Listen, if you read that in 2025 context, it sounds super racist, right? But
Yeah,
think about
like it
for
was
the
worse when
time-
John Wayne said, "I think we should educate black people to the point of being able to vote,"
John
or
Wayne
whatever
threw a
he
little
said.
kid into a river because he was
Uh,
like, "Stop being a
First,
bitch."
first name, last name. Are we mic'd up now?
I think so.
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
How's that?
we can
Okay,
hear.
I'm on the shitty $10 Target earbuds now.
Hey, better
There
than
you
most
go.
of the
Working
people
better
on-
than
on
the
these
other one.
panels,
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but whatever. So I was actually here to read that exact letter. That's
Oh, sick. Okay, sorry I
because-
stole that,
Exactly.
but I'm sure you have something else to contribute. So
Soy
go ahead.
Pill stole
So-
his thunder.
This notion that like Robert E. Lee was like some secret abolitionist or that he was like actually anti-slavery. No, that's not true. This man, I mean, as he wrote in the letter, he explicitly stated that slavery was like this hurdle that black people had to deal with and like go through for their instruction as a race.
Can you
This
read
was
it?
something-
Can you read it? Can you read that part though, please?
Let me find it.
The party just read? That's
No, the
The
part that.
black-
Well, he's paraphrasing.
The blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa, morally,
Jesus.
socially, and physically.
Correct.
The painful discipline they are undergoing is necessary for their instruction as a race,
Correct.
and I hope will prepare and lead them to better things. How long their
Hold on.
subjugation
Can you
may
repeat
be
that? Can-
necessary is known and ordered by a wise and merciful providence.
Yes. Yes.
I want to
Horrible.
point. Can I point out too that it is my flag that triggered these folks? And by the way, black people fly that flag in the South.
Hey,
100%
black people can
they
be
do.
just as stupid as you, Clay. I'm not
No,
racist.
dude.
and
No,
think they're
he's right.
enlightened,
He's
okay?
right, dude.
Okay, so you're calling
people
black
fly-
people stupid.
Black people
Wow,
that fly the
cool.
Confederate
Black
flag are
people are
stupid. Yes,
stupid.
I am saying.
Great.
that.
Hold on.
Black
Some
people
black
fly
people
So
are
then that
stupid.
tells me you don't
Hold
understand the
on.
context
Anyone
of
who
the
flies
flag.
No, I understand the
Hold on.
context. I just think they're
Hold
stupid.
on.
You can call me stupid all
You're
you
all
want. but
talking.
that just makes you
Nobody can
stupid.
hear any of
Oh,
you.
okay.
You're all talking.
No, you.
Projection.
No, you.
It's
First,
projection.
No, you.
first name,
No,
last
you're
name.
projecting.
Finish it up.
So pretty
Hey,
much
look at your fucking hat.
Shh, stop.
Dude, it's always
Cell phone.
I
this
like
hat
his
works
hat.
every time, dude. It's perfect.
I like
I
his
do
hat.
like his hat. I do like his hat.
I
Go
can
ahead.
see that. But
First
I
name,
will tell
last
you this.
name. Hold on, Clay.
that-
Go ahead. First name, last name. Back to the topic.
So what I'm getting at is pretty much this notion that like we can look at Robert E. Lee as someone who was like, oh no, he actually didn't like slavery. No, he acknowledged that like slaves didn't like being slaves because anyone with eyes and a brain back then could look at the people who were being owned as human chattel and
He
go,
called it an
"Yeah, they
inherent evil.
probably-
He called it.
Yeah, he called it an evil, and then
necessary
he fought
evil.
a war to protect and expand it.
next,
and also
next
wrote in
to
his
free-
letters
next to free
that the-
slaves.
No,
What?
Hold on.
So
No,
the
Robert
notion
E-
that Lee freed slaves is actually a misconception. It comes
no,
from
it's not.
No,
he
can I-
inherited slaves when
He
he
freed-
married his wife.
Yes,
And-
his wife.
In the will of his wife's father, it said these slaves have to be freed by this date. And
Yeah.
he fought in the courts to not
And it
free
was.
them
And it was.
because he wanted
Hold
to
on.
make a bunch of money, and then he lost, and
Hold
he
on.
had to free them.
Robert E.
By the
Lee.
way,
Robert E. Lee
I'm
freed. Robert E. Lee freed all of his slaves before the Emancipation Proclamation. Look, I'm not saying that
Well,
Robert E. Lee.
hold on.
In, hold on. Robert E.
His
Lee
first
in
name, last name
2025.
just told you he was obligated to.
Yeah,
Because
Did you
they
know the
were
Germans
inherited.
stopped killing Jews in
Well,
1945?
this is like-
Okay, can we give them
hold
credit
on.
for that?
I mean,
Kind of
look,
them.
Look,
Does anyone
hold
give
on.
them credit for that?
Hold on,
I'm not
there's a
calling him a
better-
good guy.
This
Don't we
is like
give
the same
Hitler
argument with
credit
like
for ending
I'm
the
not
war?
like, yo,
right?
Robert
Like,
Lee
with
Caesar
the
died
legend.
more than 3 years ago.
What
You
is
know,
time?
and, like,
So,
that's-
so you know the hat that Soy Pill is wearing comes from a TV show that, if you look at it, has plenty of racism in it.
hold on.
Yes.
Boy Pill, how are you going to answer for this accusation?
Well,
that
now-
your hat comes
You know,
from
Matt
honestly,
Albert,
it's not
right?
nearly as
Yeah.
bad as my
Of
Totenkopf
racial
tattoo. Okay, so
bigotry.
let's.
Can I address first name, last name? Look, yes, you are correct that in 2025, Robert E. Lee is a huge piece of shit. All right, like that's inarguable. What I'm saying is, if you contextualize it for his time, he met his wife, who I think did not like slavery, and maybe he did.
Won't someone
right?
rid me of these pesky
maybe
slaves?
maybe
I've inherited?
he liked it. Maybe he liked it. Maybe his wife didn't, and maybe he fell in love and was like, you know what, honey, you're right. They are people, right? And then he freed them. He freed them about 6 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. All of them. And his letters say, I think it's evil. I also think that, you know, they need us. And it's very hard to think like in terms of a person from like that time and how they viewed other people. So I'm not saying
but there
that
were people,
like Robert
in fact,
A.
a whole
Lee.
swath of people, Misfit, that didn't think that, and they were like, actually, slavery's bad, and I won't fight to the death to end it.
So
and I think those people were good people.
You're leaving out the fact that the North had a whole bunch of fucking racist people.
I think those people were bad people
slavery.
then and today.
Right? There,
part of the genius of Abraham Lincoln was he tricked a bunch of racist people.
You think that the fucking North? You think that the North was Antifa or some shit?
I didn't
They
say
weren't.
that.
They
I
were
just said there were a
also-
bunch of abolitionists back then, and they
Hold
were
on,
all good people.
I do want to interject here.
13,
Go
Go ahead. Hold up. You're all talking.
So, while I will agree that for most of the South, the predominant reason was slavery and secondarily states' rights, right? I do think, okay, and I'm not going to use Lee as an example because when you said this, I knew this is where this path was going, and I just kind of try to put it on. But there are examples in the Civil War, especially, right? I don't think it's as easy as cutting hairs and saying this guy's evil because he fought for the Confederacy and they supported slavery, right? Okay, cool. If you're defending your home and you don't even have slaves, and all you know is this guy Sherman, for example, is coming and burning every farm from now here to wherever, I think it's reasonable to like knowing that could be an outcome as a leadership position. And there are examples of this for both sides that switch sides and fought for the opposite side, even despite being in one side, like being more regionally in another location. I think it's reasonable to understand there is some sort of loyalty to your region and your hometown, despite the fact they might be upholding some evil, especially when you look at someplace like Texas.
Gibbs, if
who has
the
some
Red
national
Army
identity.
burned down your village, would you fight for the Wehrmacht?
Why do you fly the American flag, Soy Pill? They've done a lot of atrocities.
Stop. Go ahead, Gibbs. Answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, just to finish it, this is why when I like look at it, and I brought the Texas and I know it's like apologia for the slavery thing, was how y'all described it earlier. But this is why I brought it. Slavery was already on its way out in Texas. It just was not a productive venture. I'm not saying this is some moral high ground of Texans. Like I'm not saying they were better than other states, but here in Texas, it was more of a states' right national identity issue than it was saying like I don't know Georgia, where Sherman had to burn the South, right? And so when we're sitting here going, no state could fight for its regional identity, and they're fighting this evil thing, I think it's not a fair assessment of like a complicated issue. Yeah, I agree. It was probably not good they're fighting for slavery as a whole, but like these states are hundreds and hundreds of miles apart. You think the Virginia reason is the same as the Texas reason, or like the Kentucky reason? No, obviously not.
Well,
I would have simply not fought for slavery. I don't know why that's so.
You all went at once. Wick, are you trying to exit?
Yeah, I got it, Jeff.
Go ahead. Go ahead and close out.
Thanks for having me on. You're great. You're gonna get way back. You're gonna be better than ever. You cut a lot of baggage loose. A lot of people holding you down, some chains around your ankles. Glad to see you fly. Thank you for inviting me. Continue to do so. If you guys like what I have to say, you can check me out at Wick TV. We got shows all the time on all sorts of different subjects. I love you all.
I'll see you later. Free candy, Van Santa. All right. So out of the 13 original colonies, right, 11 of them were trying to oppose slavery. I think it was Georgia, and I think it might have been Virginia. It might have been another one, but there were two colonies that were not for slavery, and the Civil War took place way after the establishment of America. So this idea that the Civil War was fought over slavery exclusively is just not historically accurate. It was fought over states' rights, and it was fought over the states that were predominantly pro-slavery, right?
So
So when I say that Robert E. Lee, and when I say that, you know, these other people, they were fucking horrible people that were like, yeah, I want my slaves, but they were also at the same time for their
Sorry,
time
folks, I'm looking
they
up
were
the
like
history of slavery
progressive.
in Texas.
That's all I'm saying. They were just progressive for their time.
Well, Robert E.
Well,
Lee
there-
wasn't
there's a
progressive for
lot-
his time,
there's a
to be
lot-
clear.
Yes, he
still-
was.
No,
No,
the
no,
people
he
that
was-
were fighting against slavery, not every Union soldier, but the
Dude,
people saying slavery should be abolished were the progressives. He was moderate insofar he wasn't saying, hey, these people should be enslaved their entire life, but he's saying slavery is a necessary evil to educate blacks to the point of
Fair-
education,
it's
which
a
is
fair-
not progressive for the time. It's pretty
It's
fucked
fair-
up, actually. So
it's
no.
fair
that
to
was
say-
like a
it's fair to
fairly
say he was
Hold
Southern
up. Go
conservative
ahead
take.
first, Dame. You're gonna have to
So
say it again.
Sorry. So there's a lot to unpack. I think firstly, the kind of going back to what Gibbs was saying, this notion that like people back then were these uneducated like pawns that like didn't understand what was happening in the world around them, I think is a pretty big disservice to people in history being cognizant of the world that they live in. Yes, education was not as good as it is now, but if you went to like these rural farming towns in the South, it wasn't like they didn't know that like, oh, there's like a civil war happening. And it's probably
I didn't say that.
No, I know. What I'm getting at is you kind of create this conception that like, you know, you have like this poor bumpkin farmer in the South who doesn't own any slaves and is just hanging out in his farm. And then, oh my God, Sherman shows
Who
up. I
owned
guess
all
I
the
gotta
slaves? Hold on. Who owned all the slaves? It was the major plantation holders, right? Like
Well, it was.
something like an
the
eighth to a
beef
tenth of it.
farmers.
No, fake news. But listen, it was definitely the large plantation owners, and they were over here owning massive amounts of them. And you would have the average person in the South. Only 1/3 of people in the South as a whole owned a slave, right? So, and most of the people that own the slaves, top heavy. So, when I'm not saying they're country bumpkins, but whenever you have a guy, Sherman, for example, in his march to the South, he openly stated we're going to engage in total war and burn. It's pretty clear if, hey, my homestead's in that path, I'm not dumb. I'd better shoot the guy that's going to burn down my house. Like, I don't know why you're going to tell me that's not the case. In fact, I would go against your argument saying I'm saying they're stupid. In fact, I'm saying they're highly intelligent, going, this is my side, and I don't necessarily want to be on this side, but that's the side we's on. Better start shooting, or I'm going to start losing. I feel like that's a pretty educated response.
And that's
Do
my
you
that's
disagree?
that's my argument for Robert E. Lee, where I'm like, hey, I'm
That's not
not.
my argument for Robert E. Lee,
No,
but-
but I'm saying I know you're not saying that. That's my argument. He was fighting for Northern Virginia and his land, and he had a loyalty to the land, and he espoused like ideals that were anti-slavery. And I'm not saying that he was a good guy if you contextualize him in 2025. Of course, he's a piece of shit if you contextualize him in 2025.
Was he a good guy back then?
I think
No,
it's better.
I mean,
say-
I wouldn't say like in the 1700s. I don't think that we would look at him from the same lens. I can't answer that question.
Yeah, but back then, do you think
18
all
yeah.
the slaves would be like, hey, this guy's fighting to preserve our slavehood?
Well, I think that he had freed men that were fighting beside him on the battlefield of Northern Virginia, and those freed men made a choice to fight next
Like we
to
said,
him.
there can be
So
dumb
this-
black people. I think
And
we
also
can all
this
agree.
notion-
That's pretty racist.
That there, you think black people can't be dumb?
No, I'm just saying I think it's racist that you.
It's
said
racist
that
to say
they're-
that black
I
people
believe-
can be dumb, just like any
I
other
believe
person.
I believe people can be dumb, but when
Okay,
you say
can a black
you're
guy be
dumb,
dumb?
that tells me that you're racist because
Did
you
I-
can't
wait,
decipher between the.
Do you think a
can't
black guy
decipher
can
the-
be dumb? Do
There's-
you know of a
there's
single black guy that you
difference.
think is stupid?
Hello,
Just one.
Hello?
Just name
Hi,
one.
Hi, Soy Bill.
Hi.
There's
What's
only
up?
one. It's
There's a
Obama.
difference between
Why did you?
there's a difference between two people, one who believes that black and white people exist,
Yep.
and then there's me who believe that just people exist.
You don't believe black
You
people
are the-
exist?
No, they're just people.
They're not black though.
No, they're actually like a tan brown color. Like, what are you talking about?
What am I talking? What am I talking
Yeah,
about?
So you're racist.
I'm
bruh.
racist because
You're
I
one
am
of those
acknowledging the
progressive
existence of
dumbasses.
black people.
You're a progressive dumbass.
I'm a progressive racist for
yes,
saying
you're
black
a
people
progressive dumbass.
exist.
You want to teach people that we got to treat the black people
So-
all also well because
hold on, I
you know
didn't say
they've had
anything about
such a
that.
hard time.
I didn't
right,
say
and
that.
they're just dumb.
Well, I
and we
didn't.
gotta
I
treat
didn't
them
say
a
black
little
people are
better.
just dumb. I
But
said
it
black
is the-
people
it
can
is
be
your
dumb,
position.
just like anyone else can.
Yeah.
Clay, if I
No,
was
no,
pointing
no.
at a group of
Yeah,
people,
that's
hold on,
exactly what you
I'm pointing
said.
at a group of people.
Exactly.
I'm pointing at a group of
Dumbass.
people, and you don't know their names
Yeah.
for some reason, but it's
Yeah. You
Obama,
don't
it's
recognize them as
Trump,
human beings.
and it's Biden,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't know their names. And I said, can you go get Obama? And
human
you're like,
beings.
who's that? I
they're
say the
both
black
human
one. You're
beings.
like, I don't know who that is. Is that what you say? Or would you be
Yeah,
like,
they're
oh, the
human
black
beings,
guy. I
not
know what that
black.
means.
They're not white.
They're not black?
Although the light's shining on my face, I'm not actually white.
You're not white?
You do understand that, right?
You're
Are
not
you white?
I'm
Are
white.
you white?
I'm a quarter
You're
Latino,
white.
but I'm
Okay.
also white.
Exactly.
I'm also Jewish.
Exactly.
Which some people don't think is
you
white.
separate yourself out of the human beings.
No, I'm
And that's
also a
cool.
human
You can do
being.
that.
You can be two
What you
things at
believe.
once.
You get
Yes,
to believe
I
anything,
believe
bro.
race
You
exists
get to
insofar
believe-
as people
Yeah,
classify
exactly.
people
You're
as black or
probably an
white.
evolutionist too, probably, huh? You're
I also
probably
believe,
in
yes, I
evolution.
also believe
Fair
evolution
warning to
exists.
both of you.
Yes.
You're talking over each other, so we can't hear what either of you are saying. But I'm sure it's great.
Do you believe in evolution? You don't believe in evolution?
Why would I believe in evolution?
The historical record of it, all of the scientific experiments that
When
prove
did
it.
evolution come about? The theory.
When did it come about? I mean, I guess it
Yeah,
kind
when
of started
did the
with
theory?
Darwin, late 1800s, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So people believe that we were from God before that. Why shouldn't I believe in God?
Are you saying that because people had a different belief before that it's more valid?
I'm saying that the historical record supports my belief more than it does yours.
Yeah, we were largely uneducated about how the world works until very recently.
Wait
in
a
the
minute.
grand scheme
Hold
of
on.
things.
Wasn't it the guy below you, right beside me, who was saying that the belief that these people were just dumb farmers just historically isn't true? Were
Dumb
they
farmers in
farmers?
context of the Civil War and what slavery
Oh,
was. Not.
so
I'm sure
as
they
we
didn't
move
believe in evolution
along-
either.
So as we move along, we become better educated, right? In philosophy and religion
Yeah.
and belief systems and the way we should act, right? So
Mhm.
not owning slaves. So when we're talking about the American flag, right? And I say, why do you fly the American flag when so many atrocities
I don't fly
were
the American
committed
flag,
under?
actually.
Oh, okay. So you're not American. You
No,
you
I
don't
am. I
believe
just don't
in,
fly it.
Yeah. So you don't believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
No, I do. I just don't fly the flag.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, you don't have to. It's your right.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you know what? People have fought and died in many, many wars, including the Civil War.
Mhm.
My family fought on both sides so that you could have that right.
Your
Did you know
wait,
that?
the family that fought for the Confederacy fought for that right? I thought they fought
Yeah,
to
my
keep
family
people
fought on
enslaved.
both sides.
I think you're
Yeah,
missing
that's
the
how it works.
liberty part of the
I
liberty
come
in
from a
fighting.
long line of Americans.
Oh, I believe it.
Not only did they fight in that war, they fought in the Revolutionary War, but they
Mhm.
also fought in both world wars.
Mhm.
Now, you
On both sides in
have
those
that
two?
right. Say thank you.
To who? To the Confederate family
To the
members
people
that
who
fought
fought
against
and
the
died.
Union that
The
were
heroes
trying
are
to free
dead.
the slaves.
You're no hero right now.
I didn't say I was a hero.
You know that, right?
I
You're not a
know.
hero.
I'm super not a hero, man.
Yeah, you're not.
I'm a hero for taking place in these debates when no one else will. I'll say that. Sarah thinks I'm a hero. Right,
You're
Sarah?
a hero for
He
wearing
is
that
my
hat.
he is my
He's a
hero. Soy always I will give him that. When I say, hey, I've got one, they requested you or whatever the case may be. He
That made my
says-
night. I gotta
he-
say that made my night.
What?
That was maybe the greatest thing I've seen tonight. I am very happy that just happened.
Well, what makes me happy is when people complete the goal to keep the show rolling. Tom, adding into that, says if you were in a Confederate
Oh wait,
state,
here I am.
yeah, if you were in a Confederate
back.
state, you fought for the South. If you were in a Union state, you fought for the North. Simple as that for nearly all cases.
Got it.
You know, while that whole
Okay.
one-on-one debate was going on, I just kept on saying "this is gay" like over and over again in the background.
Careful, careful,
So,
careful.
I'm,
You're still off screen.
I enjoyed it quite a bit personally. I don't know what you're talking about.
He just likes watching.
I will
Dude,
throw
I-
a lot of.
it's like a little
Gives
bit
in the
more
cuck
energy.
chair.
enjoy-
The gay
I
cuck
enjoyed
chair.
it.
All right, well,
I
I'm
enjoyed
gonna
it,
get out.
Boyko.
I'm gonna get
I
out of
enjoyed
here. But
Would you like to
guys-
give your final thoughts, Misfit?
Yeah, you're all gay. Yeah. Yeah, every one of you, including Sarah.
See, I tell my chat they're all
especially
gay, but I say that as a compliment, not as a pejorative.
I thought that was a compliment. No, look, backwards hat. All right, I'm gonna go.
I'm sorry, I gotta
I'm gonna go from
come
top-
back in a few minutes. I just got a call.
Yeah.
Okay, zombie.
Good. All right, I'm gonna go from top left across. All right. So weird blue hat. You're gay. Weird helicopter hat. You're gay. Sarah, I love you.
Aww.
Sarah, you're gay.
Admiral Gibbs, I can't get mad at you. You were my partner tonight.
Your heart's in the right spot. We'll
Well,
get you all the way.
to be
Texas, soon
fair,
enough.
that's gay.
Also, you're gay. Levy, you're gay because you don't have a profile picture. Zombie, you're gay. Non-fun, gay. First name, last name, not gay. And me, I'm straight as shit.
Wait, why is he not gay?
I don't know. Who gives a fuck? I'll see you later.
Damn.
I think the words might have been inverse here now. First name, last name just got rizzed. How you doing?
I'm gonna text him. He's gonna fall on the floor. Watch it. Watch. I'm gonna text him later. Like, did you get up off the floor yet? All right. Tom Carpenter again is the official. I'm just putting your name in the description. Official sponsor of the show. It says had an ancestor, fought in the war, reported dead, made it back home a couple years later. Wife had remarried.
Okay.
That's some tough titties, bro.
Damn.
Rough, dude.
That sucks,
So
bro.
he just wrote this, like, literally the story that's in the song, Dixie. Like, that's the story.
Orin Brothers, that movie with Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah.
And he gets cucked by Jake Gyllenhaal.
That was a sad movie, man.
That's a rough movie, yeah.
I will throw in to Tom's previous comment about, if it was just the majority if you fought where you were from. Yes and no. It depended, obviously, where you were from, what you were doing. But an actual very interesting phenomenon during the Civil War was that when Union soldiers went to the South and actually met formerly enslaved people and actually saw the state that enslaved people had been living in, a lot of them in their letters had become radicalized and became pretty fervent abolitionists before not really giving a fuck about slavery or any of that before the war. They get down to the South, they're meeting like these columns of like formerly enslaved people, and they're going, oh my God, like this shit is wild.
Did none of them say, like, when they met them, though, like, thank God for slavery, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to understand you. You'd be speaking African.
Yeah, we do have 5 billion letters from the U.S. colored troops going, oh my God, I'm so happy that like we were enslaved because we were so educated now.
But
yeah,
I don't believe anybody's really making an argument that slavery is good. I don't know where you guys are going with
He
this.
literally said slavery is a necessary evil to educate blacks. Robert E. Lee.
No, not he. Lee.
Okay,
Lee
so
did.
Misfit's gone.
Okay.
No, I said Lee, not he.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Misfit's gone.
Oh, I know. I was talking about Tom's comment, not Misfit.
This one?
You're arguing
Or
against the
this
ghost.
one?
I'm not talk. I'm not even arguing. I'm pointing out a thing.
Oh, he already said
Okay.
this one, Tom. We read this one.
No, I think that's what he was
Okay.
referring
Oh,
to.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so Clay, why don't you believe in evolution?
I do want to hear about that a little bit.
Why don't I?
Yeah.
Do you think the Galapagos Islands are not a thing? They just
Sure,
don't
it's
exist.
a thing. So just
Okay.
because I see differences in animals, all of a sudden I got to believe that one came from another?
What about so like
Well,
do
you
know about,
realize
like,
what was observed on the Galapagos Islands was animals changing over time, was specialization or whatever.
How long did it take for that change?
not very long,
not
especially
long.
on the
for animals
Galapagos
like
Islands, it
flies,
wasn't very long because it was.
You say it wasn't very long specifically.
like a few years.
I don't remember. It
But
was
like,
within the
but
human
like,
lifespan.
but Clay,
So,
Clay,
so Darwin sat there.
Hold
You
on.
got-
But Clay, just hear me out. What if I could do it to you in a couple months? Like, say I had flies, for example, and I bred flies out of trait. Like, we're gonna keep rearing them up, and we specify for certain animals. You have to believe in evolution if you're a rancher, because guess what? Santa Gertrudis cattle don't exist unless we evolve them from other cattle. Like, so you're telling me that something I do every day doesn't exist. Like explain to me how what I do doesn't happen.
The parts are there, and this is all I can tell you, that the parts are there. They're in the genes, right? So it's the genetics, right? It's there.
Right,
But
what if
the
I breed
cross
mutations?
the cross
Like red-haired
species
cattle.
part, the cross species part does not happen, never has, never will.
What do you
We
think
have literally
a
done, like,
species
we have
is?
literally
What do you
bred
mean, like,
rabbits that can no
cross-
longer breed with other species of rabbits
we-
because
we
they
have-
have
we-
become different
yeah.
species.
Or the
There's
liger?
cows-
Have you heard of the
Species-
liger
There's
before?
bovine that can't do that.
Hold on.
Cross species.
They're literally different species. What we're saying, like I can breed
No, you're
cattle.
not.
Right? Yes, I can breed cattle right now. They're not compatible with other.
What type of cattle?
breeds of
What type
cattle.
of cattle?
Like you can't breed a Saint Gertrudis with say like a Highland, a Shetland Highland, right? There's no
I'm
stock cat
talking
happen.
about the actual. What are you talking about? Cows?
That is
They're
what
a
cattle
different.
is.
That's
yes.
what a species. A species is something that can
Okay.
breed within
Can
its
you breed
own.
Can you
For the-
breed a cow with an elephant and get something?
No,
no
because
one
they're
is
different
arguing
species.
that.
That's a different Jeep, bro.
Cross
Speaking of
species
getting
does not happen.
something, you have 7 minutes to finish that goal, or this show signs off and goes night-night. It's up to you, chat.
Clay, if you can't
Back-
get laid, does that mean you and women are different species?
Bro, I have no problems. So you might want to back that shit way the fuck back.
Can you wait to tell us about all your sexual conquests? I wanna hear.
I don't think so, bruh. Nah.
Oh,
We're trying to
why
dig,
do-
bro, and it's not gonna happen.
Did you meet
Question
him on
for
Did
the-
you meet him on the ice wall by chance?
Go ahead, Levi.
Question for the people that believe in the theory of evolution. What's the, I guess, the beginning? Like, what's the story? Like, how does the world start, and then how do we get to
Primordial
humans
soup.
and
And then
I'm
it,
gonna say
and then
God-
it-
God
and then
made
you don't
it
even
evolved.
have to. By the way, if you don't believe in abiogenesis, you don't have to believe in abiogenesis to believe in evolution. If you want
Yeah,
to say
God
God
could
created
make
the first
evolution.
life and then it evolved from there, you can say that. But
Exactly.
Completely
But-
compatible
but I'm saying,
positions.
so I'm saying, so God created one form of life, and then from that one specific thing
Well, hold on.
came
That's
out
not true.
everything.
That's, well,
like,
if you believe
right.
in the Bible, right?
That's
If you
what I'm
believe in the
asking you. I'm
Bible-
asking you.
Well, so
explain
yeah,
to
I'll
me the
argue this
whole-
from a Christian standpoint, right? You can do this a couple ways. You can argue it all came from one thing, right? And God created life in general, or you can argue the argument that God creates things with age because He's all powerful. So He's going to create Earth. It might be 4.5 billion years old age, but He could say, "Oh, it's only 10,000 years old." This is what the 10,000-year-old Christians believe, right? They're going to argue that, "Oh, He created it with age intact. He created a bunch of different species." Just like if you're a Christian, right? You talk about Adam and Eve. Well, when Cain gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, why is he afraid? He's afraid of the other people that live in the land of Nod. Well, okay, what other people? God's only talked about Adam and Eve. So it's clear that God can create people on different areas if God's all powerful. So yeah, there's no problem if you're a Christian believing
I hate
set
religion so
things
much.
with an
It's so
age
boring.
or set things
Sorry,
with
Hilbert,
a
I know
bunch of
you're
different
Christian.
animals, or he created it from one animal. You can believe this in all sorts of different ways to create this, and they all stem back with evolution because we can see that literally in cattle breeding. I can see it in breeding like different kinds of corn. We literally don't have the same corn right now. It's not cross compatible with the maize that we grew originally. Like, there's just no way you can't tell me that we can't create new species. Where I literally
I'm
see
not
it for work every day.
When someone says they don't believe in evolution, I don't think they mean that they don't believe that you can get certain things that you can't get certain things from crossbreeding certain things. Like you can't get Bapple from I don't
What
know.
about like lemons and oranges and shit?
Right.
Like,
I think
created
people
totally
that
new
don't
fruits
believe
didn't exist in
I think
nature.
people that don't believe in the theory of evolution, they don't believe in the creation from evolution.
Right, they accept the
It's
science of genetics, but they can't comprehend that over time
listen
you
to
could
what
be
Clay's
be
argument
something
was.
completely different because they're fucking retarded. Like that's
Clay
the point.
argued you can't breed a cow with a giraffe or an elephant, right? Okay, cool. But let's look at plants. We've literally created. What is it? Is it the mandarin orange? We've created mandarin oranges. We've created lemons and limes based off breeding two different things that were two
Right,
different
but they're not-
fruits,
but-
and we
but
grafted
they're
them
not
on,
so
and they
different.
weren't in their nature.
They are different.
Hold on, they are.
They
drastically
can't breed with
different.
each other
They're
anymore.
totally
That's the
different
point.
species. They're totally different species that can't breed with each other, and they have characteristics of both. And some
Right, but if you realize that all the examples
Werewolf,
you're
that's
bringing
really
me
funny.
are all within certain parameters. You can't.
Levy,
you can't
we could
do-
literally, if we wanted to, and
No, I
waste a
can't
bunch of
make a
money. No,
plant
no,
into a
wait,
fucking
Gibbs.
cow.
Gibbs, if we
Hold
wanted
on,
to,
hold
if
on,
we wanted to
hold on.
waste
Go
a bunch of government money, we could take a bunch of fucking donkeys and we could breed them selectively until they literally turn into what giraffes are. We could do that if we wanted to. It would be fucking
So you're
stupid,
telling me,
but we could
so you're
literally
telling
do
me
this.
That the only
Or
way that
crabs.
the only way to have creation
That was
from
the
evolution
dumbest shit I ever
is if
heard
it's
in my life.
intentional.
But it's true.
No, it's not. The whole point is
No.
this random mutation over millions of years.
But
Well,
Levi,
you can look
then-
at how-
You said the
So you're telling
government
me it
can
can't-
breed donkeys
can it
into a
be-
giraffe, bro.
Yes,
That's
that's
literally
literally,
happening.
it's
Bro,
literally
Axis
possible.
deer
Yes.
in Texas are
Okay.
doing this. Axis deer in Texas have been moved here from an area they weren't originally, and now they're starting to resemble more like giraffes than they are originally the deer species, like that they come from. So yes, this is absolutely something you can do.
Donkeys
Like,
gonna
I don't-
become the giraffes. It's the new donkey
I mean, just
giraffe.
because you don't understand
Okay,
genetics,
is
you
it
can make these
something-
like jokes,
but-
but
Gentlemen,
like
is it-
you
gentlemen,
just look
gentlemen,
dumb doing it.
gentlemen.
Is
I
it
know,
something
I
that
know.
you,
Go ahead.
is it something
It's
that
your
you can
donkey.
do without sorry, is it something that happens by itself, or are all of those things that we have proofs of, that we have mandarin oranges and all these things that we
It can happen independently
You don't
because
think we
enough
don't have-
mutations can happen where the species can no longer breed and they resemble something else, and
Right.
over the
All
course
of-
of time,
all
they
of the-
become
Look up,
completely
literally look up,
unrecognizable.
examples that you're bringing
Hold on,
me
just real quick.
are
You can
all-
you can
Yeah,
look
because
up
on
the
a
Big
short-term
Bird.
basis,
Look
we
up
have to
the
force it.
Hold on. Go ahead.
You can
Nine,
look up
fine.
the Sure, you can look up the Big Bird lineage. Literally on the Galapagos Islands, there were researchers after Darwin. This was like in the, like I believe it was in like the 2000s. They were like looking at a bunch of birds, and they literally observed, because of some special circumstances and some incest, speciation happening. There was a new species of bird created on those islands.
But
it's called
not-
the
Right.
Trust
Big
me,
Bird
bro.
lineage.
Where were they? Where?
Just trust
where
it.
was they?
It happened because
One
he said
second.
it.
Look
Were
up
these
the
birds?
the Big Bird lineage.
Why do you believe your
Were
car will
these?
start?
Are
dude?
they?
Like,
Was the lineage more birds? Different types of birds? Or
A
is the
new
lineage
species of bird.
a new species of birds? Right. It's all within a certain what's it called? You know,
Species.
whatever species, I guess.
No, it's not within a certain
Used because
species.
It's not. It's not a certain species. Whatever. The point is that all the examples.
Let him finish. Let him, Clay. Let
All the
him
exam-
finish, please. Go ahead, Levi.
Thank you. So all of the examples that you're bringing of showing how evolution works and how we could see things evolve, except for the big bird thing, which I haven't
What about crabs?
got a
We can do
chance.
with crabs.
Haven't gotten a chance to look at. A lot of those things, probably 99% of the things that you've showed me, are all things that with human intervention,
No,
we've
crabs
shown
no,
how
evolved
these
independently something like 11
how
or
these
36
things have
times.
evolved.
Levy,
and
what is the
transformed.
difference? What is the
Hold on.
no?
Can
we need to
let
ask him.
Levi
No,
at
we
least
can't because
finish?
he's being fucking stupid,
Yes,
Sarah.
I hear you. I hear you. But at least let them finish the thought, and then you can say,
He doesn't.
Levi, you're being
under-
fucking
Yeah, but
stupid,
he
and
doesn't-
then
like,
you
we can
correct.
just cut to the chase. Levy, why do you think a mouse is different from an elephant?
because they have different. I don't know. They're just different.
Yeah, but what's different about them?
It has different organs. It has different. I'm saying the
don't have
buildup of a mouse is very different than a buildup of an elephant.
Build up. Yeah, but why? Like, what is
Why? 'Cause
different? Like,
God
what is
created it
fundamentally? Okay. All right.
No, okay. So you explain to me why.
So,
both mammalian,
do you
right?
understand that given enough breeding, we could force this to happen? You understand that we could literally turn elephants into mice. We could say we will select for smaller and smaller elephants, and we will select for hairier and hairy elephants. And over the course of enough times, enough breeding, given a long enough time, we can just these things will become different, and they won't be able to breed with each other. They'll be different species. Right? That's what a species is. They can breed with the same thing. Like, eventually, if you have enough changes, it will look completely different. Do you understand that can happen?
Yes.
Okay.
But you're 1 second. You're not answering my question of those things are like you said. If we have these two
Right.
things specifically, we have to find the smaller elephant.
Right,
smaller
right.
elephant,
So,
smaller
okay, so you
elephant,
acknowledge
and
we can do this on purpose,
human
right?
interventions, right?
Okay,
Human
so
intervention.
why can't this happen through random mutation?
Because that's not logical. It doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? Why not?
Because you're telling me that you have to find specifically one tiny elephant.
Yeah, we could force it, right,
breed
right.
it with We
Okay.
as
Well,
human
okay.
beings
Right.
have to
Sure.
intervene
Okay. Well, no,
with
no, no, no. Okay.
nature.
No, you got it. You got it,
That's-
Levi. You
that's
got
what
it.
I'm
No, no,
trying-
you
that's
got it,
my
Levi.
argument.
No, you. Okay. So you understand. Okay. So what if? This is crazy? What if there was only fruit that was like 100 meters up in the tree, and so all the long-necked donkeys were able to reach it? Like, they're slightly able to stretch, but the short-necked ones really couldn't, and they just all died. So these like longer and longer necks started to develop because their kids had longer necks, and over the course of a while, suddenly these donkeys almost look like a completely different thing, almost like a giraffe even. And then
What
those are
about-
the ones that survive. Is that
Why are there
possible?
still donkeys?
Because there's donkeys in
God.
areas where there is fruit, and there's giraffes in areas where the fruit was only too high for them to reach it, right? There's deviations in different parts because there's millions and millions and millions of these types of creatures.
So now let's do the elephant to the mouse thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with the elephant is
explain
simply
to me
Hold on. The
how,
problem with the elephant
based
is
on
simply
nature,
population
based on
size.
random mutations, you can
Well,
have.
okay, well, no, that's a no. He's
Hold on,
asking a
hold
valid question. He's asking a valid question. Okay, so yes, if you looked and at the deviations that would occur in like elephants, yeah, they probably actually wouldn't evolve into mice. In fact, I'm pretty sure the common ancestor between elephants and mice is like way fucking back into like mammalian species. You're not gonna get elephants evolving to mice because when you do have these random mutations, it's not like something so drastic as 40,000 times magnitude size difference, but you do have common ancestors between, I don't know, like whatever the precursor for a horse and an elephant were, or the precursor for any other four-legged mammalian and that were. And some of them, you know, rodents, that's why there's rodents as a classification. That's why there's larger, I forgot what the elephants, like tertiaries or whatever it's called, like, and that's why there's birds. All these classifications come from this whole tree of evolution of random mutations, where if you look and it's like, okay, well, these birds are a different species, they can't crossbreed, but they're slightly different because we can track those short little mutations. If you go back far enough that you can do all the links in between, and you're like, oh, and that's when they looked the same. And that's why monkeys is like, yeah, we didn't evolve from current day monkeys. Monkeys and us shared a common ancestor. We deviated a bunch in different ways, and we now have the big brains and the more opposable thumbs and the tools, and that's why we're so different.
So
but
who's
like,
got the
we
bigger
didn't
brain, the
evolve.
white people or the black people?
What? I don't know.
I
Hold on,
think
hold on.
we're the same species,
Let me
actually.
allow me to read the super chat, then I'll hand it back to you, Gibbs. Tom Carpenter says, "Not saying evolution isn't true, but breeding out ability is not proof for it." Anyone have a thought to add to that?
The fact that we can force random mutations and make them not random is proof that random mutations can cause enough deviation for something to become a different species. That's all that is.
And again, you guys can look up examples of this happening. I mentioned the Big Bird lineage because it's a story where it happened very quickly, and it's a very funny story because it involves a lot of birds.
That's too smart of an
dying,
example
and then
because
a
they
lot
think bird is like a classification, and if it's a bird, it's not a
they
bald
think
eagle.
birds are species. Yeah.
Speaking of bird, you guys failed to meet the goal, which is fine, but I put one hit it or quit it. Just one hit it or quit it goal up. You have less than 15 minutes to do it, or I'm happy to say goodnight to everyone, as is everyone else. It's up to you, chat. Sorry, I interrupted. Go back. Go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? You're saying this. Let me use a better example. I think it's gonna like maybe kind of debunk your species problem. Is do y'all know what carcinization is? It's basically we have crabs. They evolved 5 separate times, right?
Only you have crabs.
Yeah, that's a good one. But we have. Anyway, no, we have crabs evolving 5 separate times, right? And they own shrimp currently, lobsters. They're currently related to like scorpions on land, right? Scorpions and lobsters can't breed. However, they're both invertebrates, right? Oh, cool. So like, how can we have such drastic things as a scorpion and a lobster be the same grouping, but they're being totally different environments, totally different things, and somehow they both evolve independently into crabs, and we have the fossil records of this. We've seen it happening in real time currently. We see animals turning into crabs right now to this day. And like, you're arguing this doesn't happen. If you're telling me that an ant or a lobster is the same thing, the same species, you're just wrong, and you just sound dumb. But when we know that something that's like a cockroach can turn into a shrimp, boy, let me tell you what, that seems like interspecies change to me.
Which one would you eat, though?
Both.
I'm not arguing that it doesn't happen. I'm not arguing it doesn't happen. What I'm arguing is that saying that that happens means that conveniently I can go back millions and millions and millions and billions and billions and trillions and gazillions and quintillions of years ago and show how we all have the same common thing and we all come from the same little pool of whatever you said. So
yeah, but if I have a cockroach and it turns into a crab over the next 100 years, right? And you're telling me that's not enough of a species deviation change for you to go.
I can't even watch Alex O'Connor initial because I'm just like, I don't care about the validity of any of these arguments.
It's happened 5 times independently.
But he's great. I do like his arguments. I can't tolerate this subject.
Turn into crabs.
You're saying a cockroach turning into a
crab?
So
if we had a cockroach right now, turn into a fucking crab.
No, I'm asking you if it has.
For those of you just joining us, this is an Israel-Palestine debate where we're now talking about whether or not evolution is true.
Yes, I did.
But yeah, what I'm asking you is, if we see this happening in real time, like a bug turning into a crab, would you agree that that's a species enough difference for you to say evolution is happening?
Show me it happen.
All right, cool.
Did it happen?
It's happened a lot of times. It's like a major scientific thing.
Is it the Big Bird thing? I haven't seen. I'm saying I haven't. Okay, you guys are making me look dumb. I haven't looked into this thing. I'm just.
No, you're doing a pretty
good
job.
You guys brought up
yourself,
evolution,
buddy.
and I'm just bringing you a question, a good, interesting thing to think about as to why someone might not believe that the creation of the world is from evolution.
Levi, can I try to build a bridge? Like a genuine bridge.
Are you saying a bridge is just evolve between people?
Yeah. Can I try to evolve a bridge from a sidewalk? So, I will say I'm not a evolutionary biology guy. I'm a history guy. So like this is out of my wheelhouse. There's a lot about evolution I don't understand. And there's a lot that I frankly don't get. And I think, you know, your initial question where you were kind of talking about original cause, if I'm not mistaken, that was like your first thing, right? Where you were talking about like, if we go all the way back, like what about the original cause of all life, pretty much?
Yeah, it was that some people that don't believe in evolution, when they say that, they don't mean that they don't believe in the possibility for genetic mutations. They just don't believe in the origin.
Yeah, I think honestly, and I this is gonna sound like a cop out, but trust me, like I mean this genuinely. I think it's okay in the field of science to be like, we don't know, we haven't figured that out yet. Like obviously we have hypotheses about abiogenesis. And again, this is out of my wheelhouse.
When she
Maybe
can't
it's
meet the
been
goal,
settled,
she
I don't
brings
know.
in Ryan.
But like, I think it's okay for scientists to be like, listen, we haven't fully figured out the exact mechanisms, the exact, you know, ways that abiogenesis could have occurred, but it is still the most likely possibility that we have, which is why we're running off of it probably being true. If that,
No, I am okay with that. No, I'm absolutely 100% saying that if you want to say, I believe this is the way it happened, I'm cool with that. Because I can only do that, right? That's great. That's perfect. I don't know is a great answer.
like, I don't mean that as like a cop out. I don't mean that as like, oh, you have to do this. I mean, this is genuinely like, there are things that we just haven't figured out yet. That's why like, one of the big holy grails of space exploration is finding life on like something like Jupiter's moon Europa, because that would be evidence of abiogenesis.
Tom is the official sponsor of the evening,
Jesus
and
Christ.
and the last stream and the stream before
I had
that,
to bring
he
up the
says
cat,
keep
guys.
the
I'm
show
moving soon.
fucking
It's not my cat,
rolling
so I
on.
won't
Thank
be
you
able to
so
see her
kindly,
anymore.
Tom. Red is my favorite color up on this screen, and so you're getting the happy tomato blushing all about. He says, proof evolution isn't always positive. I'm helping you guys keep this up.
I can affirm that. I mean, this guy, there's positive and negative things about evolution. Like this guy came from like wolves, but look how fucking useless and helpless he is. But like
Genuinely
it's
a good
positive.
example of like evolution over time.
Yeah.
That we
It's
read
not,
positive that he's
because that
adorable.
that is
Also,
human
like,
intervention.
it's negative. Hang on,
Hold on,
can I
you're all
finish?
going. You're all going.
Can I
I
finish?
wanna say
Ryan,
the
finish
Europa
it.
thing.
Right? Hold on, Ryan, finish your thought.
Please. So it's positive that he's adorable, and I mean, come on, look at him. But like, it's negative because like, if he was outside for like an hour, he'd probably die like instantly. Like he's such a moron. He has no idea what he would do. Like he's completely helpless. So it's
Don't like all
positive and
dogs have
negative.
Munchausen's or something? Is that how that works?
I think so. That might be.
I just want to say on the Europa thing real quick. You know, abiogenesis could be one solution for if there's life on Europa, but it could also be like panspermia. You know what I'm saying? Where it traveled through like rocks or some shit, landed there.
I will say
they
that's
just
why I
evolved.
explicitly said Europa, because the general consensus is that Europa is way too far away and in Jupiter. I used to be a astronomy person, but I suck at math, so I wasn't able to do
just
that.
realized Muad Dweeb
But like
is first and
Europa
last name.
being in
YouTube
Jupiter's
Oh, it got hit by a
rings
comet.
and whatnot. Yeah, it makes it much much less likely, is the TLDR, for like panspermia to be the explanation for Europa versus something like Mars, which is why like even if life is found on Mars, there's like a huge asterisk until we figure out if it's like just Earth life or vice versa. But yeah, no, that's why I explicitly said Europa, because Europa being in Jupiter's gravity well and also just being a fuck ton of astronomical units away from Earth makes it much less likely.
Well, it wouldn't
that
necessarily
This
be
guy
from
thinks
us. What if
space
you?
is
What I'm
real.
saying? What if it's like came from like the building blocks that were like already in the solar system? Like say, I don't know, something from interstellar case came in and it landed, and then the ice sheets of Europa grew over. Just like Earth is like could be from some like same thing. I don't see that there's any less likely if it's ancient.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, listen, I personally think abiogenesis and the
Thank you, Death.
interstellar stuff,
I will get
like
it.
comets and shit, like seeding stuff with life, is probably the most likely explanation.
I
But
need to
will-
interrupt. Non-Fun has something to say about Israel, and that's the whole point of the debate.
I was gonna say we are very off track.
It's
Oh,
okay.
oh my- oh, someone in
I
your-
mean, we went. To be fair, we went from Israel and Palestine to Robert E. Lee to slavery, and then now we're on evolution. I like it when panels do this. I like when we
We evolve.
maneuver.
We evolve.
We
Yeah, we
evolved our
evolved.
positions.
But yes, non-fun. I know you
I
have.
mean,
something to
you
add
know,
in.
I like talking about that stuff too. I don't mind the panel shifting, but shout out to the person in Soy Chat apparently really wants me to speak. I was gonna ask Misfit this too, but I think Gibbs actually mentioned it first. I was just gonna say, I think when you say like, I think the case for Kurdistan, although like I'm not 100% opposed to Kurdistan existing, is probably a lot harder because, and probably, you mentioned Euro too. It's probably going to break more international law stuff as well, because one, Kurdistan would be taking away territory from sovereign states, many of which are already unstable. Syria and Iraq are already rather unstable. Saying that we're going to take away territory from them is pretty bad. You know, Palestine is just letting the Palestinians govern territory that Israel doesn't even fully claim as theirs. Like, Israel does not claim that the West Bank is theirs. They haven't annexed it. They do occupy Area C, but even areas A and B are to some extent already governed by Palestinians. And obviously Gaza is well, prior to October 7th, governed by Palestinians, or Hamas. And, you know, that, like, it's not, I don't think that's comparable to Kurdistan.
Well, the reason why that came up is because I was told in this debate that, we need to support our allies. And, you know, autonomous Kurdistan in Iraq was probably our biggest ally during the Iraq war, right? You know, and then we left them out to dry, the first Iraq war. And then they got gassed and shit because of it. You know, and in the second Iraq war, we still left them out to dry. We have the Kurdish allies of ours in Syria. They got left out to dry when Turkey got mad. You know, yeah, sure, we could easily give them the Iraqi region. We could easily give them probably the Syrian region, but Turkey would be mad. And, you know, here's the thing, the Dems have supported funding Turkey with USAID. I know that Edgerton is really anti the Kurds. Soypill might sit here and try to give me Schumer said that they want Kurdistan to exist, but they didn't act like it whenever they were funding, Edgerton and power over there. And they supported Turkey all the way around with other military deals and all sorts of other shit. So yeah, when you're sitting here saying, we need to help our allies and we leave the Kurds out to dry, who I think actually have a historical claim, unlike the Palestinians, because they actually have had a state before in history, which is where they get their names. And you talk about the autonomous region in Iraq, we've seen they can govern themselves peacefully, unlike what we've seen, in Palestine. I think it kind of loses a lot of validity when you're going, we got to support our allies. I don't think that there's any benefit to that argument at all. If you're
well, it's also one of those things where it would, supporting a Kurd state right now, like, stop violence to some extent or relieve tensions, and that's kind of the whole point.
Yes.
No, if we were to say, all right, Kurdistan, take all of this land from Iraq and Iran, because there's like multiple lands that are like overlapping in Syria, and it's like, yep, this is Kurdistan now. Would that make things better or worse?
Well, if we didn't give them Iran, we could give them the portion of Syria, we give them the portion of Iraq, and the portion that's in Turkey could move into part of Syria.
You understand?
That's what they've advocated for, and guess what? No, Turkey said no. We don't want a Kurdish state on our border, and then they've crushed them.
Right, and I think that if
taking territory away from those sovereign states that are already unstable is a lot more. It's going to raise tensions a lot more than giving Palestinians territory that even Israel doesn't claim as theirs.
If I may, I apologize, Gibbs. Levi wants to exit. If we can give him the floor to make his closing thoughts.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, and I wanted to come on to discuss the Israel thing, but we ended up talking about evolution, which is nice. Thank you all for listening, and appreciate it. The civil discussions.
Are you Israeli, Levi? Because of your name?
I am Jewish.
Okay, but you're not in Israel.
No,
Okay.
American, Los Angeles.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank
Shalom.
you, Levi. I appreciate you joining, and we'd love to have you back anytime.
If you have another Israel conversation where we're not talking about evolution, I'll be happy to.
I know, yeah. Well, see, but that's the thing. We could have an evolution debate and switch over to Israel. So it's always.
We'll do some human intervention.
We've done it.
Intervention. All right.
Yes. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. And Alexander sends in the Big Ten to say the water bear. I don't know if that's water bear is in ARG or water bearer.
Alexander Wren.
I'm thinking it's the bear that lives
Alexander
in the water.
Wren. You're a my chatter.
Polar bear.
You're on Patreon. What are you doing?
Evolution.
Yeah,
all
what are
right,
you talking
Gibbs, I'll
about?
hand it back to you.
Yeah, so when we were talking about Syria, listen, Syria is a chaotic state right now. Their leader is pretty questionable at best. If he's actually, someone we want to back, he's got some pretty funky ties. We're really going to dive into his history. We've seen them already commit a bunch of atrocities. I don't see how it would hurt us to give our allies, the Free Syrian Alliance and the Kurds, basically their portion of Syria.
Because we might start another war between
with who?
Iran, Iraq, Kurdistan, and Syria.
We don't give them
on
Iran's
three
portion. Hold
fronts.
on. We just hold on. We don't give them Iran's portion. We just let the Syrian portion and the Iraqi portion be autonomous.
The Iraqis and the
Whatever.
Iranians might form their coalition, the same one they did when Iran was bombing Israel, and blow up Kurdistan if they lose that territory as part of a, allyship. So like this is the whole point. Like, look, hey, I'll just say this: if there was a good reason to believe that Israel thought if you give statehood to Palestine, we're gonna like start a nuclear war or something ridiculously insane like that, like I'd be like, yeah, I guess we can't do this, even though I think it's deserved because it's going to escalate tensions to the point of like a huge untenable war. Like, but I don't think
so
that's
you're making
the case.
the same argument Israel is making. They're saying, listen, y'all keep putting terrorists in power and they keep attacking us. And you're going, hey, you know what? Let's try this again.
I think
but when
that we
when I
could
bring up the
establish a
Kurds,
statehood
you're
while
like,
appeasing Israel.
Oh no, let's not even give the Syrian Kurds, who are our allies.
I think we have more leeway with Israel than we have
Iraqi
with
Kurds, who are our
Iraq and
allies.
Iran.
We have more leeway with Israel than Iraq? We own Iraq, bro. What are you talking about? They can't do shit without us saying how high. But what are you like? Literally,
Really?
we bombed Iran. We bombed Iran's top general in Iraq, and you know what they told them? How you like the way that dick tastes? They didn't do fucking shit. They did nothing. They wrote us a strongly worded letter, bro. That's what they did.
Didn't they plan potentially an attempted assassination of Donald Trump
Yeah,
last year?
And what happened? No, Iran did, not Iraq.
Okay.
And so, what do you think Iran? What's Iraq going to do? They did nothing. They sat there and they took the dick like a good little bitch. That's what happened. I don't understand how you just sit here and go, "Oh, what if Iran teases Iraq?" That's not going to happen. We own them. They're our client state now.
Do we own Turkey as well? Like
I mean,
they invaded,
theoretically
or...
we should. They might invade Syria, but like, here's the point: they're committing
Kurdistan?
genocide against. But hold on, they're killing already the Kurds in genocide. You're fine with the genocide of the Kurds in Turkey? Oh, okay. So then why would we want to give them their own state? You're okay with giving the Palestinian state for a perceived genocide, but the Kurds are actually going through one actively.
Wait, I never said I don't support a Kurdish state. I said potentially this could escalate if you are taking away territory from other states, and I support an end to the genocide, one, and two, I support their independence and autonomy, but we need to find a way to do that isn't removing land from other people or maybe putting them in a different place. Like if Israel, huh?
We're giving the Kurds the land they already control. It'll be autonomous Iraq and the portion of Syria that they control.
Yeah, I know, but it's a complicated
topic. Those are things that other states claim.
Yeah, but other states like a terrorist regime in Syria who's not really recognized by the rest of the world yet. Oh,
and
Iraq, but you at least acknowledge, like Israel does not claim most of the West Bank as its own territory, right? They did annex some of East Jerusalem. That's it.
Yeah, not yet.
Well, I agree. It is concerning that Israel might want to annex parts of the West Bank and potentially some of Gaza as well. We'll see what ends up happening there. But that's territory currently they don't recognize as there. For Syria, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, all recognize.
They hold it for like strategic benefit of themselves against I don't know.
So Israel occupies Area C, but they have not annexed Area C. Israel occupies. Israel has some security presence in Area B as well. They're not in Area A at all.
They control a lot of these areas, like outside that too.
Yeah, but it's an occupation, right? It's not a. They don't claim that territory. They have an annexed
occupation. Yeah, right.
I have a question. It's kind of
it is in the West Bank is an occupation.
I have a question that's kind of a different angle. I don't know if you guys have talked about this very much. I unfortunately didn't catch the debate or the open panel really until the evolution part, or the most recent evolution part. But it got me thinking about the kind of religious angle to all of this. Have you guys talked very much about why Western evangelicals have
first name last name? I'm looking at them too
now. What needs to happen over in Israel with regards to Gaza and everything? Like there's.
Yeah, I'm actually raising the red heifers to sell to the Jews so they can start the apocalypse or whatever.
Well, seriously, I mean, this is seriously, this is what a lot of evangelicals in America believe. It sounds like you're quipping.
I think that's right.
About it,
the
but
Jews
it's
are
a genuine belief held by millions of Americans.
Also, what kind of fucking Wario shit is that there are Jews and then there's the Muslims in the north?
Evangelical Christians in America actually do believe that.
That's really
I don't
funny.
believe anybody on this panel actually believes that. I believe actually me and Gibbs are probably the only two that would fall into that category, if at all. And we don't. You don't believe that, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I guess I'm not really asking whether or not you believe it.
I can play the devil's advocate, and I can try to speak.
Well, hang on. Just real quick before you do, I'm not asking whether or not you believe in this. I'm asking how do you think this factors in as a to the political discourse surrounding this event?
I got you.
I mean, it seems like a pretty relevant piece of the puzzle, right?
Maybe.
I mean, like when I look at it, right, I can see the argument. Like there is a neocon like Christian base that would definitely be like, oh yeah, we stand with Israel, right? Like that's what we do. You always stand with Israel. They're God's people, kind of thing. Yeah, like that's an argument I've definitely heard my whole life, right?
Apologies to Hammer.
Yes,
I
no, I
actually
think
didn't
that
know
there is some
I know very little about the
connotation
Druze.
that like
I
kind of get out.
figured them.
However, I don't think that
I
portion
discovered
is
them
as big
this
or as
year,
powerful
so
as they used to be, and I think a
not
lot of
of
these people moved like the
Druish
local,
knowledge here.
and they're very tired of what seems to be like the U.S. spending money on shit that's not our problem. Like, and I think that
Can you guys
that is
imagine
speaking to
Hitler
a
was
lot
like,
now.
no,
And they're also like,
I
think
said
even
gas
the
to the
most diehard
Druze.
of that are definitely doing the thing where people go,
You have
"Oh,
done it
let's
all
let this
wrong.
in as
You've
well." It's like,
misinterpreted.
oh, Hamas is in Palestine. They're going, Netanyahu's not.
He was
the king,
actually
right?
very
and like I think that there's it's maybe not as
Islamophobic.
big of a push.
Well, I
as it
can't
used to
say
be.
that
Maybe
because they're not
1/6
Muslim.
the Republican Party probably would
Whatever.
argue the kind of
You know
point
what?
that you're making. I think.
You know what?
If I'm being.
That's a lot of people.
I mean, it's a lot, but they're not like.
Totally
I mean, yeah, sure, but it's not enough to really move the needle overall. I don't think.
Alexander says the tardigrade. Is that what that is?
The
Tardigrade?
water bear that he was talking about. He's referring
Oh,
to.
oh,
microscopic
tardigrade.
species.
Oh,
Seriously?
that's the name for the. Okay, okay.
They're very cute. You should definitely Google it. It's not like a meme. Like they're actually really adorable.
I mean,
oh
I've
my
heard
god,
of
I
the
have to do
thing.
this right now. Hold on. Let me tardigrade.
I've heard the tardigrade.
Those
I
are
didn't know it was
not
called a water
cute.
bear.
Those are weird looking. What the fuck is that?
They're adorable. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you
Hold
kidding
on,
me?
hold on. I'm gonna, and I apologize for everybody that is on topic. Let me just show you exactly what Ryan said is cute looking.
It is cute.
For the record.
Maybe it's
Let me
because I'm
get
a Pokemon fan.
What the fuck is that?
Looks like something from Warriors of the Wind.
It's the water bear, bro.
Nausicaa in the Valley.
No,
of the
Yeah.
Wind.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that bug thing from that movie. from way
So,
back
Sarah,
in
I
the
gotta
day.
go in a second, but my audience is clamoring to hear from this Varun here. Is he being
Oh,
held hostage? What's going on with
yeah.
him?
Oh, okay. Like you want my opinion about the conflict
I'm
between
ready.
Israel and Gaza?
Yes.
No, I just feel that ever since Islam came into existence, it's only created misery for everyone all over the planet. Because if you see their history, they've had conflicts with Christians, with Jews, with pagans, even with Hindus. So when the Arabs actually introduced their religion to Central Asia, a group of people in Turkmenistan, they're known as Turkic people, they embraced Islam. Actually, they were very, very violent. So what happened was that it got amplified after they embraced Islam. Afghanistan was a Buddhist and Hindu country. Actually, they actually entered over there, they destroyed all the monasteries, they sexually assaulted all the nuns over there, they forcibly converted many people to Islam. So we suffered a lot for 1,000 years under Islamic rule as well. And the conflict is still going on in the form of Jammu and Kashmir. All the Pakistanis and Afghans that you see who claim they're Muslims today, they were actually Hindus and Buddhists. So they're against democratic rights, they're against women's rights, they're against thinking rationally as well. So let's say you keep giving into the demands of the Islamists, you'll actually create another dark age for mankind. And this question, the answer to this question is pretty complicated. You'll think that what the founding fathers said is correct, because the founding fathers said that you shouldn't, of America, they said that you shouldn't interfere in other people's problems, stay away
Thank you,
from
I am
it,
Mr. Fox.
and
I
let
appreciate
them
you
resolve
coming in here
it.
to say how
But
you don't want to
if
be
you look
here.
at it, the Jews are actually quite productive and they're quite, they're very intelligent people. If they do get wiped out by mistake, God forbid, by an overwhelming Islamic majority, then it will be another dark age. Let's say usher in another dark age for mankind, because the Muslims, they're heavy into inbreeding. They marry their cousins a lot. They cannot compete in Europe as far as jobs are concerned. There are hardly any Nobel Prize winners as well. So if anything happens to the Jews, it will be bad for mankind actually on the whole, in the long run. The Muslims only will bring more and more problems on the planet. That's it.
This is your fault.
That's what I feel.
I think that Kashmir belongs to the Muslims of Pakistan, and it should always.
No, they were Hindus actually. They were once Hindus. What happened was that they got forcibly converted to Islam. I know the history. They wanted to convert back to Hinduism. Then what happened was that the priests actually said, no, 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 it'll impurify it'll make everything impure. Let them stay as Muslims. That's how most of them who are Brahmin Muslim and Brahmins actually became Muslims. If you see their surnames, they have a lot of Brahmin names in it actually, like Bhatt or something like that. Bhatt, Mishra. They add a lot of that to their surnames, like Muhammad Bhatt, Muhammad Mishra, like that. Actually, they were Hindus before they got converted to Islam.
Okay. Well, I'm really appreciate you sharing your opinion. Sarah, I do have to go. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and I'm happy I wasn't sick for this.
Rage quit. He's scared of me.
Well, yes, I just don't want to see you
Scared
whip
of
out your
clowns.
little animated wiener again.
It's not a wiener.
Thank
okay?
you so much, Soy. This really meant a whole lot to me, and I
and I'm happy
genuinely.
you're breaking ties with the absolute worst parts of worst your community. Now you can hang out with the cooler people. All right, you can learn, and we can make you a better person. This is also great. So I'm very happy.
Oh, you'll never change my value system, but I don't. I'm. You guys really showed me exactly the great people on the internet are.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Soy Pill, you're not
Good
ready
night,
for the
everybody.
combination of these two? My
Thank
baby
you.
oil.
Have a good night. And first name, last name also wants to make his exit from the panel. First time here. I
Oh my god. I was holding it in. I was not expecting that fucking voice to come out. Holy shit. I was like, oh, this has got to be like an Israeli guy. This is going to be like, some fucking like, oh my god, he just comes out with the like fucking Indian accent. It's just like hardcore simping for Israel. You guys almost got me a couple times with the comments. Oh god. That is the proverbial, that is the mythical Aryan Indian who supports like the Nazis, It's like, wait, what are these, like, what, they know they're brown, right? It's like, no, they're white.